Gu Xingyi heard this, he agreed very quickly. He thought it was some big deal, this thing. For him, very easy. Seeing Gu Xingyi's big promise, Su Ling and Lu Dan simultaneously breathed a sigh of relief, their faces once again overflowing with happy smiles. The two of them were completely unauthorized to do this. There was no such thing as a home visit, and if the park knew about it, they wouldn't be allowed to ask the parents for anything. The two of them really couldn't find a better children's song, so they thought to ask Gu Xingyi. After all, Gu Xingyi had made songs like Courageous Explosion before. Then thank you so much, Mr. Gu. The two of them thanked Gu Xingyi at the same time. Then when Mr. Gu creates a good song, send it to our WeChat and we'll see how to choreograph the dance? They had exchanged WeChats with Gu Xingyi before, which made it easy for Gu Xingyi to keep tabs on little Nai Nai's situation at the kindergarten in the future. But what they didn't expect was for Gu Xingyi to wave his hand. No need to be so troublesome, wait for 2 minutes, now I'll make 2 children's songs to show you guys if they fit. After saying that, Gu Xingyi quickly walked back to the bedroom, took out the manuscript paper, and created them in front of the two. The melodies of the children's songs were basically very simple, just 2 children's songs. Gu Xingyi could have copied out 2 of them with his eyes closed. Su Ling and Lu Dan, however, were completely shocked. What do you mean, just 2 children's songs? Do you not like children's songs? And they knew that Gu Xingyi was good at writing songs, but they didn't think it would be this good. Composing songs on the spot without saying a word? Is this guy really a charcoal-based creature from the blue planet? It couldn't be a mysterious visitor from an alien planet, could it? What Su Ling and Lu Dan didn't know was that their thoughts at the moment were already very close to the truth. If it wasn't for the fear of being too shocking, Gu Xingyi could hang everyone in the entire lyric world in minutes. Especially that what was called the godfather of music, Wu Fan, if Gu Xingyi really wanted to compete with him, he could press him to the ground and violently pound him. It only took 10 short minutes. In the shocked eyes of Su Ling and Lu Dan, Gu Xingyi stopped writing and picked up the song's script paper with the lyrics and handed it to them. Okay. Su Ling was so shocked that she stuttered. Gu Xingyi nodded rightfully. Of course it's good. You guys take a look at the lyrics first and ask me again if you don't know. Su Ling and Lu Dan exchanged a glance, then they looked at the lyrics and sheet music in their hands. The sheet music they couldn't read too well, they only read a generalization, but the lyrics they could see. The lyrics of both songs were very simple and clear at a glance. Su Ling raised her head and took the paper in her hand, embarrassedly saying, That, I can't quite read it, can you sing it once for me to hear? Lu Dan also raised her head and looked at Gu Xingyi. She also wanted to hear what these 2 songs that looked very simple sounded like. This time it was Gu Xingyi's turn to be embarrassed, letting him teach little Nai Nai alone to sing children's songs. He could still sing them, but in front of the 2 beautiful teachers, he really couldn't sing them. However, he still has to sing. Gu Xingyi touched his nose and took the piece of paper from Su Ling. Then I'll sing it. I'm not good enough to sing it. I may not have the flavor to sing this kid's song. Su Ling was busy waving his hand. He was a fan of Gu Xingyi and knew that Gu Xingyi's singing was also very good. It's fine. Mr. Gu, we often sing children's songs too. Gu Xingyi nodded, before putting down the paper in his hand, moistening his voice, and cheerfully singing the song in Su Ling's hand. It was called 2 Tigers. The cheerful melody sang out from Gu Xingyi's mouth, causing both Su Ling and Lu Dan to light up before their eyes. They all perked up their ears in unison and listened attentively. 2 tigers, running fast. One without ears, one without a tail. How strange. With simple lyrics and a catchy melody, little Nai Nai even listened to it only once before following Gu Xingyi, bobbing her head and singing along. Su Ling and Lu Dan also looked like they had found a treasure. This kind of simple and clear melody and repetitive lyrics were perfect for children to learn, and they could definitely sing this song out with ease. Moreover, they already had the beginnings of a dance to this song in their heads just after hearing it. Gu Xingyi and little Nai Nai's chorus ended, and the father and daughter tacitly high-fived in celebration. Su Ling and Lu Dan couldn't help but applaud as well. Gu Xingyi scratched his head. This kind of childish children's song sang from his mouth as a big man, or in front of the 2 teachers, it is really a bit out of place. Fortunately there is a little Nai Nai chorus, otherwise it is really a bit embarrassing. After the song was finished, Gu Xingyi handed Su Ling the manuscript paper in his hand. Su Ling received the manuscript paper that Gu Xingyi handed over, and her face smiled so brightly that she couldn't hide it. Wonderful. Mr. Gu, this song is really great. It's completely suitable for small children in this age group to learn to sing now. Lu Dan also nodded in approval. This kind of simple song is most suitable for children. We just need to go back and choreograph it into simple and easy to learn dance moves, and in conjunction with the hand gestures, the children will surely be able to accept it with ease. It's good to be able to help you guys. Gu Xingyi was also all smiles. He could already imagine the scene at the orientation meeting with groups of budding children singing 2 Tigers under their breath. Su Ling earnestly put away the song's script paper, and then Lu Dan handed Gu Xingyi the paper in her hand again, the look of anticipation in her eyes showing. Gu Xingyi was dumbfounded.
Again.
Lu Dan's meaning was obvious, the two tigers had sung, so let's sing this song again.
Okay.
Facing the teacher who would be spending 3 years with little Nai Nai in the future, Gu Xingyi compromised. Having already sung one song, Gu Xingyi was much more relaxed for the second one, and he even started to do the moves. This song was also a very simple children's song that had once burst onto the Douyin scene in the original world. It was called Planting Flowers in the Garden. Gu Xingyi cleared his throat and raised his hands. He didn't realize in the slightest that the door behind his home was open from the outside at that moment. 3 familiar figures just stood frozen in the doorway, looking at Gu Xingyi who was performing inside.
Dig, dig, dig inside the tiny garden. Plant tiny seeds, bloom tiny flowers.
Gu Xingyi sang as he gestured his hands in the air. First he drew the shape of a garden, then he gestured as if he was planting seeds, and finally he put his hands together and closed them in front of his face, making a blossoming motion. None of the 6 people in the house disturbed him, letting him immerse himself in the performance of this children's song. Behind them, in front of the gate, someone even took out a cell phone and started to videotape it.
Dig, dig, dig inside the great big garden. Plant great seeds, bloom great flowers.
Gu Xingyi compared the garden a bit larger this time, continuing to be shamefully cute. After singing this part, he gestured a bigger garden in front of him.
Dig, dig, dig inside an especially large garden. Plant extra big seeds, bloom extra big flowers.
Put. The sound of uncontrollable laughter came from behind him, and Gu Xingyi froze abruptly as he mechanically turned around.
The figures of Xia Shiyao, Sister Yun, and Tao Lele clearly appeared in front of him.
The culprit who had just failed to hold back her laughter was Tao Lele, who was still covering her small mouth and stealing a laugh while secretly hiding her cell phone in her other hand.
Gu Xingyi was confused. When did they come back? Is this a social death for himself?
Gu Xingyi was silent for a moment, looking at Xia Shiyao's stunningly beautiful face and blinking her eyes.
Why did you come back?
Xia Shiyao originally had a happy smile on her face, which suddenly disappeared after hearing Gu Xingyi's words.
What did this guy mean? Didn't want to come back by himself? Originally wanted to give him a surprise. Now it's just very angry.
She pursed her lips.
This is also my home.
After saying that, Xia Shiyao felt a little bad again, so she added another sentence.
I miss Nai Nai.
After saying that, Xia Shiyao smoothly walked into the room, followed by Sister Yun and Tao Lele who came in snickering together.
This Gu Xingyi really deserved it.
They, however, knew how impatient Xia Shiyao was before she came back. Even early in the morning, she pulled them up. Seeing her mom return, little Nai Nai joyfully jumped into her arms. Gu Xingyi rubbed his nose and also hurriedly stood up to introduce them. By the way, these two are Nai Nai's kindergarten teachers, Ms.
Su and Ms. Lu, here for a home visit.
Su Ling and Lu Dan had long since stood up with smiles on their faces. They had also long since recognized the stunningly beautiful-looking girl in front of them, Xia Shiyao, the singer whose topic was exploding on the internet nowadays.
She was also little Nai Nai's mom. And they also know a little bit about Gu Xingyi's domestic violence. Now they see this scene, Gu Xingyi which looks like a person who will be domestic violence now.
Clearly Xia Shiyao can pin him down to death with a single look. Hearing Gu Xingyi's introduction, Xia Shiyao's face also resurfaced with a smile. She shook hands with Su Ling and Lu Dan respectively.
Hello guys, hard work to the two teachers.
Su Ling and Lu Dan hurriedly waved their hands.
It's not hard work. This is all what we should do. It's Mr.
Gu who has helped us a lot. If it wasn't for the 2 children's songs he provided us with, we would have been fretting. Xia Shiyao sniffed and glanced at Gu Xingyi. So the children's songs he just sang were prepared for the kindergarten.
He actually even had Nai Nai going to kindergarten.
And such an important thing as a teacher's home visit, he didn't even tell himself about it. This man wants to monopolize the power of household management no more. When Xia Shiyao's unkind gaze came again, Gu Xingyi blinked again, his heart that aggrieved.
Didn't he say he'd be a full-time baby daddy?
I don't think it's a good idea to say that you're the one who's going to be in charge of the household.
I'm not saying that you're the main outside and I'm the main inside. Sure enough, women are all big pig's hooves.
This eye contact between the two fell in the eyes of Taoluolele and Sister Yun. They were simply unable to look at it, and Taoluolele even rolled her lovely white eyes.
Ah hey! There are still so many people around. A public flirtation. What a shame.
Su Ling and Lu Dan also put away the script paper on the table at this time and said smilingly to Gu Xingyi,
Mr.
Gu, today's home visit has come to a successful end, so we'll take our leave first. Gu Xingyi hurriedly retained.
Why don't the 2 teachers have lunch here before leaving?
Su Ling and Lu Dan hurriedly waved their hands, their bodies also heading towards the door.
No, can't.
We've already been delayed here for a long time. There are other children's parents waiting for our home visit, Mr.
Gu, don't send us off, go back.
After Su Ling and Lu Dan finished speaking, they left from the neighborhood under the escort of Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao. This home visit was also considered to be a good time for the guests and hosts, and Gu Xingyi finally breathed a sigh of relief.
Full-time baby daddy, it's not good to be one. Back home, Gu Xingyi looked at Xia Shiyao sitting on the sofa with Nai Nai in her arms, and wondered if it was an illusion. Gu Xingyi always felt as if she had gained a little weight compared to a few days ago, and her pretty face, without realizing it, was so watery and white. Gu Xingyi vaguely remembered when he first came to this world and opened his eyes, the little faces of this mother and daughter were reflected in his eyes, and at that time, their faces were so pale and helpless. This cutting sense of time and space interlacing caused Gu Xingyi to momentarily go into a bit of a trance. Xia Shiyao's beautiful eyes glanced over at Gu Xingyi, and saw him standing there like a fool, staring at herself and little Nai Nai without moving. This naive. Xia Shiyao cut him off with an annoyed glance, signaling that Lei Lei and Sister Yun were still there. Gu Xingyi was struck by the flavor of this glance and snapped out of his time interlude. He then rubbed his nose and asked, "Isn't the Star Song Festival finals in 2 days? Why did you guys take this time to come back?" Before Xia Shiyao could speak, Tao Lei Lei staggered out first. "Gu Xingyi, you don't care about our sister Shiyao. The finals are a week away." Sister Shiodio just rested and rushed back without stopping. "Lei Lei, I didn't. I was thinking about Nai Nai." When Xia Shiyao heard Tao Lei Lei say that, a blush rose on her face and she immediately explained. Talua Lei Lei blinked her eyes and looked at Xia Shiyao, which meant that she herself didn't say that you were thinking about him. You belong to the category of not beating yourself up. This time, Xia Shiyao blushed even more. "A week ah?" Gu Xingyi scratched his head. He really didn't watch it. At the end of the revote, he received a call from the kindergarten. How could he still have the heart to watch the later programs? Xia Shiyao softly hummed, sort of answering Gu Xingyi's words. Gu Xingyi nodded, sensibly not asking him how many days he was staying at home. It would be impolite to ask again. He was afraid that Xia Shiyao would gar him. "Gu Xingyi, Shiyao sent you back. We'll leave first. It's not easy to come back. Lei Lei and I will go to the hospital to see Mom." At this time Sister Yun also walked over and looked at Gu Xingyi and said, "Aha! Sister Yun, Shiyao and I will see you guys off. No need. It's not easy for Shiodio to come back. Stay home or we can just go over there ourselves," Sister Yun said, pulling Lei Lei towards the door. Xia Shiyao still holding Nai Nai stood up and sent Sister Yun and the girls downstairs. Gu Xingyi didn't follow and was ordered to make lunch at home. On the way, Tao Lei Lei joyfully took out her cell phone and clicked on the video she had just recorded to watch it, and Sister Yun and Xia Shiyao also came over with curious faces. Seeing Gu Xingyi's face again, they still couldn't stop laughing. Even Xia Shiyao had rarely seen Gu Xingyi look so childish. Sister Yun suddenly said at this time, "Shiyao, can this video be uploaded? Ever since your comeback, you've only had those 2 updates on your blog. Now that you have such good material, it would be good to upload it again to show your fans your daily life at home. And it would also completely change the perception of Gu Xingyi in their eyes." Since the end of the last incident, although Gu Xingyi's image online had reversed quite a bit, people's impression of him was still stuck on the senses of being mysterious, writing great songs, and having a dark history. Netizens didn't know what kind of person Gu Xingyi was in his life, and most of Xia Shiyao's fans left messages under her blog asking about new songs, when she was going to release her album, and whether her life with Gu Xingyi was good or not. Xia Shiyao's blog account has always been managed by Sister Yun, who was very sensitive to this aspect. Hearing Sister Yun's words, Xia Shiyao thought about it and still shook her head. Have to ask his opinion first yet. If he doesn't want to, then he won't post it. Tao Lei Lei sniffed and put her cell phone away. She was a little confused as to what exactly was going on between Sister Shiyao and Gu Xingyi both right now. According to reason, they are an old married couple. Why would Sister Shiodio need to ask Gu Xingyi's opinion on this decision? In Tao Lei Lei's mind, husband and wife should be a community, not like Xia Shiyao, who seems to be careful in everything she does. What Tao Lei Lei doesn't know is that the current Xia Shiyao compared to before, has been too much better. At least now she has her own little temper, and many times, she has her own ideas and decisions. When Xia Shiyao returned home again, Gu Xingyi was busy in the kitchen. The aroma of food drifted into the living room from within the kitchen. Xia Shiyao put Nai Nai on the sofa and leaned on the kitchen doorframe, quietly looking at his back. His shoulders were a lot stronger than before, and he wasn't as thin as before. His whole body exuded youthful vigor. Compared to these, what had changed the most was his personality. He became extremely patient with everything, became calm, and became extremely good and kind to both of their mothers, especially in some of the trivial matters of life. The delicacy he displayed made her unconsciously indulge in his gentleness. This man was her treasure. When Gu Xingyi turned around, he saw Xia Shiyao looking at him in fascination, her autumn watery almond eyes mapping out a gentleness that seemed to melt him. He scratched his head, suddenly a little shy, but he still looked straight into her gaze. "What's wrong?" Seeing Gu Xingyi in such a dumbfounded state, Xia Shiyao laughed, smiling brightly like a peach blossom, making Gu Xingyi look even more dumbfounded. "Nothing, it's just that Sister Yun asked you if she could post the time when you just sang the children's song on the Roundup blog." Gu Xingyi's eyes widened steeply, even the hand holding the spoon trembled a little. "What? She videotaped it? Xia Shuriao pursed her lips and nodded. Lele recorded it, and Sister Yun said that posting it on the peripatetic blog would solidify your image a bit. Gu Xingyi had a question mark on his face. Is this corrupting his image or consolidating it? Seeing Gu Xingyi's look, Xia Shuriao knew he wasn't too happy about it, so she added. It hasn't been uploaded yet. I think I need to ask your opinion. If it doesn't work, I won't upload it. Gu Xingyi saw Xia Shuriao's look and suddenly asked, then do you want to upload it? Xia Shuriao froze for a moment. She just looked at the serious Gu Xingyi. The smile on her face grew even bigger, then she nodded her head. Aha! I want to. It's useless even if you want to. You have to ask MS. Su and the girls first. Ha ha. Gu Xingyi laughed out loud, as if the prank had succeeded. These two songs were given to teacher Su's girls, and since they were given to others, they still had to ask for their opinions. Being put on the spot by Gu Xingyi, after being stunned, Xia Shuriao's almond eyes flashed with a trace of shyness and annoyance. Even her voice got a little louder. Gu Xingyi. In the small kitchen, immediately came the sound of two people laughing and joking. Little Nai Nai, who was playing with her toys on the sofa, curiously looked towards the kitchen. This time it's so strange, Miles. It seems like mommy is hitting daddy? Then Nina heard another exclamation of surprise coming from her dad in the kitchen. Ah! Stop it! The food is mushy! The kitchen was greeted with another bout of chicken and dog jumping, and after a long while, the food finally came out of the pot. It was just that today's meal was more or less tainted with the smell of paste. Perhaps it was because they were all in a very good mood, so little Nai Nai and Xia Shuriao still ate very well. This made Gu Xingyi feel a little emotional. Sometimes the important thing is not how good the food is, but how happy the family is together. After the meal, the family sat on the sofa. Gu Xingyi then took out his cell phone and used WeChat to send a message to Su Ling, asking her about the children's song. Not long after, the WeChat message sounded. Mr. Gu, this song was originally created by you. We will only use it at the kindergarten orientation. We won't use it elsewhere. You don't have to ask us for any use day. Seeing that Su Ling was in a good mood as well, Gu Xingyi smiled. Dealing with these lovely people was a real relief. There was no such thing as deceit. Getting Su Ling's reply, Gu Xingyi then spoke to Xia Shuriao. Although that was a scene where he was more socially dead, the big deal was that he came to a blind eye and didn't look at it. But things didn't turn out as Gu Xingyi wished. Sister Yun, after receiving Xia Shuriao's message, edited and embellished the video with Tao Lele and uploaded it to Xia Shuriao's Siege blog. At this moment, the majority of netizens were still fiercely discussing the upcoming Star Song Exchange final, not knowing in the slightest that they were about to be greeted by another big melon. Xiaohong was a housewife, her husband was a 9-to-5 company gold-collar worker, so she had a lot of free time every day. Like right now, she was half lying on the sofa holding half a watermelon and swiping her cell phone. She also has another identity, that is, she is the group leader of a Xia Shuriao Gu Xingyi relatives group. She's a fan of Xia Shuriao's since a long time ago, and she has a lot of Xia Shuriao's songs in her cell phone, not just the ones written by Gu Xingyi after Xia Shuriao's comeback, but also some from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, Xia Shuriao retired from the circle, and she also changed from a young girl to someone else's wife, and after that, when she saw Xia Shuriao's comeback again, she still consistently liked her. Xiao Hong's finger gently scratched on her cell phone. Inside the group there were a lot of Xia Shuriao's recent topics, but these were all things that Xiao Hong had seen. Xiao Hong was slightly disappointed. She again switched her phone interface to Weibo, then her eyes steeply lit up. Xia Shuriao, who usually did not like to update her Weibo, actually updated her dynamics today. She was busy following the attention and clicked in. Inside the dynamic was a video, and there were already a lot of people commenting below. Xiao Hong faced with a happy color. In her heart she thought that this woman finally updated the video. Her fingers then quickly clicked on the video. The result disappointed her. The person who appeared inside was Gu Xingyi. How is he? Xiao Hong muttered to herself, but still continued to watch, loving the house. Now she was also considered a fan of Xia Shuriao's family. In the video, Gu Xingyi was making childish movements, gesturing with his hands in front of his body, and even singing a refreshing children's song under his breath. Gu Xingyi's movements and songs made Xiao Hong unable to stop herself from laughing out loud. She was truly surprised that Gu Xingyi, who usually had a name synonymous with mystery, was like this in his daily life. Childish and cute. Xia Shuriao must be happy in such a family, right? Xiao Hong listened to it once, then clicked on the video to listen to it again, and she suddenly realized how the more she listened to this song, the more it got on her head. So, she hurriedly ran to the group and edited the message to send it out. Everyone, quickly go to Xia Shuriao's Roundup blog. There's something good to see. After the group was quiet for a moment, it immediately exploded. The group owner, who usually dives a lot, came out to speak. Good stuff? Is it Xia Shuriao's photo shoot? Shibuya expression. You're thinking about farts. Xia Shuriao hasn't even posted a photo of her life since her debut. Curious. Let's go see it right now. What's the good stuff? The group master is really appetizing, and he wants me to go and have a look myself. Only a fool would still be in the water group at this time. Can't you see that most of the people in the group have stopped talking? Then you are? The buzz in the group is just a corner. At this time the buzz on the internet has just begun. There are already many sharp-eyed people who have seen this video, and after listening to it over and over again, they are frantically planting it on their family and friends. Quickly look at Xia Shiyao's siege blog. Guxingyi that then online renders what it means to dig. Crap! I can't stop. A stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and after an afternoon of fermentation, everyone knew that Xia Shiyao had posted a Weibo, or Guxingyi's video performance. The children's song. See the children's song again. Many people happily ran to Xia Shiyao's blog to catch a glimpse of the spectacle, the last children's song or the last one. That courageous outburst is really good. Until 8 o'clock in the evening, Xia Shiyao's blog managed to get to the top of the hot search. As we all know, the comments section of the Silly Bird netizens is the best to read. The comments underneath this Weibo were even better than the video content. First listen, what is this? Second listen, digging inside a tiny garden. Ha 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 ha, I'm dying of laughter, tell me this is Guxingyi. People can't set up old iron. I can't. I'm going to die laughing. I also want to plant flowers. Plant a big seed, bloom a big flower. Guxingyi dance picture. Crawling in a small company. I earn a small salary and I don't dare to spend it. Help! My daughter is already singing along. Now my mind is full of digging. Ahem! I'm different. I'm a 500-month-old baby who listens to it with great interest. It's true that the joy of having a baby is something we single dogs can't appreciate. The premise can't be a bare child. This heck! Who says Guxingyi is a violent man again? I'll be in a hurry. Who's a violent man? Dig it. I can't hold it any longer. Let me laugh for a while. You guys dig slowly. This is obviously a simple children's song, but it suddenly became a source of joy for netizens, and by 9 p.m., the song officially topped the hot search list. Poor Guxingyi didn't know all this yet. He was enjoying the happy moments of the family being together. And just as this blog was topping the charts, inside a mansion in Mordor, Yinping was pathetically drinking a little wine and looking at this explosive blog. Not only did he lose his job, he was also educated by Chengdi, and then not only Chengdi, even his sister, Chengdi's mom, scolded him to death. Yinping thought he was right. Wasn't the entertainment industry always like this in the past? How come it was wrong this time? And he was not doing it for Chengdi's sake? The more he thought about it, the more depressed he got. Yinping could only borrow wine to drown his sorrows, but at that moment he saw Xia Shiyao's Weibo on the hot search again. Damn! It's all Wu Fan's fault. The more he saw, the angrier he got. Yinping directly slammed the wine bottle on the ground. He thought that if it wasn't for the fact that the song written by Wu Fan wasn't good, this kind of thing wouldn't have happened. The truth was also true. If Wu Fan could write a song comparable to Sea of Flowers, then the votes cast by the mentors would not have been questioned and none of this would have happened. Yinping pushed the source of all the mistakes onto Wu Fan, so he immediately picked up the phone and called Wu Fan. The phone was quickly connected, and before Wu Fan had a chance to speak, he was spat at angrily by Yinping's split face. Garbage. It's all you. You call yourself the godfather of music? And you personally guarantee that there won't be any problems with the song this time? I think you're just a pillow. You're just a good-looking but useless thing. I shucks. Wu Fan was just about to go to bed when he received a call from Yinping. Before he had a chance to speak, he was scolded by Yinping with a dumbfounded look on his face, and he didn't react until Yinping's voice fell. A godfather of music was being scolded by someone who knew nothing about music? And he's also a jilted commodity? Wu Fan couldn't help but laugh in anger, and without even a word of explanation, he decisively hung up and blacked out Yinping's phone. This kind of person, with him to say one more sentence is a waste of their own words. Reclining sitting on the bed, Wu Fan staring at the phone, now how can not sleep? The more he thought the more angry. He was angry not being scolded, but since Guxingyi came out, his own song 2 times in a row were defeated under his hands. Now even the number of people who asked him for a song is much less than before, especially a lot of singers. Now when they mention him Wu Fan, they always think of Guxingyi first. This made Wu Fan very anxious, and his resentment towards Guxingyi grew bigger and bigger in his heart. He didn't deny that Guxingyi's songs were good, but the ones he wrote weren't bad either. He thought that the two of them were in between, and the reason why they failed was the singer's problem. Wu Fan, who was annoyed in his heart, opened his cell phone again, wanting to take a look at the recent entertainment dynamics, so he saw the hot search list number 1, the siege blog posted by Xia Shiyao. Wu Fan narrowed his eyes. It was Xia Shiyao again. He didn't know when it started. The entertainment circle he was familiar with was gone, and in its place was the daily news of Guxingyi and Xia Shiyao on the hot searches. Wu Fan stifled his anger and clicked on the roundup blog. Inside was a video, and in the video, it was the very source that made him hold in a bellyful of resentment, Guxingyi. Wu Fan silently listened to the children's song sung by Guxingyi, his brows getting tighter and tighter. After listening to it twice in a row, he angrily slammed his phone on the bed. Groove. Only knows claptrap. How dare you send out this kind of children's song? Wu Fan only felt that this was an insult to him. Just such a simple children's song had made it to the Hot 100 list one. He could have composed this kind of song with his eyes closed. Especially now that many people on the internet were saying that nowadays, after listening to Gu Xingyi's song, they could never listen to another song again. Wu Fan felt that this was the biggest insult to him. Thinking of this, the gloom in Wu Fan's eyes grew thicker and thicker, and a moment later, as if he suddenly thought of something, he picked up his cell phone again, sent out a siege blog and ate Xia Shuriyao. Just this? How dare you send it out? They all say that you, Gu Xingyi, created a good song, but I think it's just like this. Claptrap. After sending out the roundup blog, Wu Fan immediately felt much better in his heart, especially when he saw that his fans were supporting him. Sure enough, there were still people in this world who understood music. Wu Fan looked at his fans' comments and only felt that he had found a confidant in life. But soon, he couldn't laugh anymore. Because at this time, many netizens who were still looking at Xia Shuriyao's roundup blog also found this roundup blog, and they were in an uproar. More still, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao's fans, who were entertaining themselves well at home, were suddenly attacked, and were immediately in a bad mood. So whether it was the netizens from all walks of life, or the fans from both sides, they all ran under Wu Fan's siege blog and argued. People are sitting at home, but pots come from the sky? Xia Shuriyao just shoots a daily, and a red eye comes out to talk? And 8 people? Really think you're still the godfather of music? There's one thing to say, Wu Fan's songs are pretty good too. It's just that he's different from Gu Xingyi's main type of songwriting. His songs are more alternative. Calling Grounded House alternative? I can't appreciate it anyway. There's no need to step on it. Wu Fan's horror songs are still quite flavorful. I'm a bit scared to listen to them anyway. Who's stepping on him? No one cares about him, he just jumped out to get scolded. That's right. I think he lost 2 songs in a row, so he's pissed off and came out to bite people. My brother Wu Fan's songs are better than Gu Xingyi's. He's only written a few songs. Gu Xingyi only has a few songs. How many does my brother have? Don't you know what's in your heart? Wu Fan's blog, in the netizens' quarrels, slowly climbed upwards, and without realizing it, it even went on the hot search. Wu Fan has also been watching the real-time news. When he saw his own blog on the hot search, and there are many people to support themselves, the heart of the previously held in the gloomy gas also dissipated a lot. The previous confidence is back a lot. As for those who questioned him, he will use the strength to hit them in the face. The reason why he dared to send this siege blog, precisely because this Star Song Exchange final, the first keywords are miserable, horrible, this kind of music his specialty. Wu Fan smiled. He was not a brainless person. Since he dared to draw war, he was already prepared. Immediately after, Wu Fan clicked on his siege blog and uploaded another siege blog while it was hot. I know that when I say this, many people will question me, but I, Wu Fan, don't care. A good song is a good song. It's not something that can be proved by some people claptrap. You guys question me, then I'll respond to you with strength. The first match of the Star Song Festival final. Let's ask him, Gu Xingyi, if he dares to take my challenge. If I lose, I'll voluntarily give up the title of Godfather of Music and apologize to Xia Shuriyao. If I win, I just need Gu Xingyi to come out and personally admit that he is inferior to me, Wu Fan. The siege blog was sent out. Wu Fan smiled. He didn't continue to pay attention to it. Instead, he threw his cell phone on the bedside and lay down contentedly. Because he knew that this was already equivalent to a letter of war, he didn't even need to look at it. He could guess that this peripatetic blog would definitely kill the hot search. The truth was just as Wu Fan thought. Once his second blog was sent out, it immediately caused a furor. Veteran lyricists formally laying down the gauntlet to up-and-coming lyricists. This was a big event that happened once in 100 years in the entertainment industry. Many media outlets were sensationalized, and they were the first to compose a variety of headlines, the main one being as swift. Is the new king taking the throne? Or will the old king continue his legend? As soon as this headline full of gunpowder flavor appeared, it was quickly lifted to the hot search list, no matter if it was Gu Xingyi's fans, or Wu Fan's fans, or the people who were watching the fun. Basically everyone was now looking forward to the arrival of the first finals of the Star Singing Exchange. And at this moment in Magic City, inside the Shangshur Entertainment Artist Apartment, Miao Anquan's small assistant Yu Ranran held her cell phone and knocked on Miao Anquan's bedroom door with a startled cry. Miao Anjuan rubbed both sides of her eyebrows and sat up covering the quilt in front of her chest. She had a bit of a headache from her little assistant's alarm. She had just practiced her song for the day, and was just about to take a break now. Ran, what happened? So anxious? Yu Ranran gulped when she saw her own young master's delicate appearance with this fragrant shoulder without an inch of clothing. In her cognizance, in the entire entertainment circle, in terms of looks alone, it seems that only Xia Shuriyao can compare with her own young master. Only the styles of the two seem to be completely different. Xia Shuriyao gave her the impression that she was as gentle as water, while her own young master was as passionate as fire. Both of them fascinated her. When Miao Ankuan saw Yuranran's nymphomaniac look, she couldn't help but have an even bigger headache. This little assistant of hers was good at everything, it was just that she was always scheming against herself. Ran. Miao Anjuan voice a little louder, Yuranran snapped back to God, only then remembered that there are still things to say. Sister Peony. The big event. Take a look. Saying this, Yuranran disliked the screen of her cell phone in front of Miao Anjuan. Miao Anqilan helplessly took the phone and looked at it, and a moment later, her brows furrowed as she pointed to the message on her phone and said, "Did I promise to use his song for the final? How come I don't remember?" Early the next morning, Gu Xingyi woke up with a start, only to feel that his entire body was sore and numb, especially his entire arm, which seemed to have lost consciousness. He opened his eyes in a daze, and only then did he realize that it was Xia Shiyao who had somehow burrowed into his arms again, and even had her entire body pickpocketed like an octopus. As for little Nai Nai, he didn't know at what time, he slept horizontally on his back 7 times to the foot of the bed. Gu Xingyi was speechless for a while, the sleeping posture of these two mothers was simply the same, neither of them were very good. Originally, Gu Xingyi slept happily and had a good dream, but as a result, in the middle of the night, the scene in her dream changed suddenly, as if she was being pressurized by a ghost, and now that she saw this scene, she finally solved the case. Gu Xingyi scratched his head with his only free hand, and gently moved his body so that he could half sit up, and his sore and numb body felt a bit more comfortable. This action seemed to have caused Xia Shiyao's dissatisfaction. Her pink and white little face wrinkled a bit, and her little mouth pouted, and with a cry, her entire body moved towards Gu Xingyi again, once again hugging him tightly. Gu Xingyi's entire person immediately froze. This early in the morning is to make things can't stand it, couldn't stand it at all. Gu Xingyi only felt like a rare batch right now. He looked again at the little Nai Nai sleeping sweetly at the foot of the bed, his entire being wearing a mask of pain. Gu Xingyi rubbed his nose, thinking in his heart, Nai Nai is also 3 years old now. Not small anymore. It's time to sleep in separate rooms. Thinking like this, Gu Xingyi gently pulled out the arm that was being pillowed by Xia Shiyao again. Now it was as if this arm wasn't his own. He even had to use his other hand to assist to pull it out. Perhaps feeling that her pillow was suddenly gone, Xia Shiyao's eyelashes gently blinked. The next second, she slowly opened her eyes, confusedly raised her head, with a hint of doubt in her eyes as she looked at Gu Xingyi. The whole person appeared to be delicate and naive. When the two of them looked at each other, Xia Shiyao instantly came to her senses. Gu Xingyi didn't move, Xia Shiyao also froze, her legs and hands were still resting on Gu Xingyi. This styling made her face quickly fly red, just in an instant, even her earlobes had already reddened, living like a prawn that had just entered the frying pan. Gu Xingyi blinked, Xia Shiyao panicked and left him, turning her back to him, no longer daring to look at him. Her heart was a deer in the headlights. Finished? He shouldn't think he did it on purpose, right? Xia Shiyao bit her lips, the whole person shrunk into an ostrich. She even heard the sound of gulping saliva coming from Gu Xingyi behind her. Gu Xingyi stated that it was hard for him right now. Desperately needed cold water to wash his face to calm himself down. Anyone who saw such a delicate beauty early in the morning and couldn't make any moves would be sad as hell. Gu Xingyi hurriedly climbed up from the bed, bowed his body, and scurried out of the bedroom in a puff of smoke. The sound of the bedroom door being slammed shut came, and only then did Xia Shiyao let out a sigh of relief. She gently patted her rolling face, a puzzled look in her eyes. It seems that since the last time Gu Xingyi stayed in the master bedroom, she would unconsciously burrow into his arms when she fell asleep. Obviously before she slept she remembered that she was honestly sleeping on the other side. Besides, there was still Nai Nai in the middle. Thinking of Nai Nai, Xia Shiyao suddenly froze and hurriedly sat up. Then she saw Nai Nai who was sleeping alone on all fours in the corner of the bed. Xia Shiyao pursed her lips and carefully carried Nai Nai into her arms and placed it in the position that originally belonged to her. Kissing Nai Nai's little face, Xia Shiyao smiled. It seems like it's time for Nai Nai to have her own little room. It had to be said that at this point, the couple's thoughts were surprisingly consistent. When Gu Xingyi finished washing up and came out, Xia Shiyao happened to also come out from the bedroom. The loose pajamas buried all of her marvelous figure. Gu Xingyi touched his nose, and actually had some regrets in his heart. Anyway, he is her husband, just now he should not look at 2 more eyes? But soon Gu Xingyi will own this kind of lewd thoughts from the mind to wipe away. To see certainly is to one day openly see. Looking at Gu Xingyi's somewhat strange gaze, Xia Shiyao glanced at him and went to wash up without moving. It was still early. Originally this time should be Gu Xingyi's morning jogging time, but he wasn't going to go out today. It was hard for Xia Shiyao to come back. He wanted to spend more time with her. Sitting on his butt on the sofa, Gu Xingyi took out his phone. He wanted to see what the keyword for the first match of the Starsong Exchange final was. Xia Shiyao never took the initiative to give him this, so he had to be self-conscious himself. But when Gu Xingyi searched for the keywords of the first match, he was immediately nonplussed. What the hell is this? Miserable? Horror atmosphere? Play? Was this a keyword that a serious program should come up with? The corner of Gu Xingyi's mouth skimmed. How could he not expect that the keyword for the first game of the finals would be this kind? Just at this time, Xia Shuriyao finished washing up and walked out from the bathroom. Gu Xingyi looked up with a puzzled face. The keyword for your Star Song Exchange final is misery? Horror atmosphere? Who came up with this keyword? Hearing Gu Xingyi say this, Xia Shuriyao also walked over to the sofa and sat down, nodding. The keyword for each of the final matches was set by the director himself. No one knows what it will be. Gu Xingyi frowned. He only felt as if this director had that big disease. If Ren Chao knew that Gu Xingyi thought this way, he would cry his eyes out. He didn't want to in the first place. It was hard for him too. But this was his teacher, asking him again and again. And his teacher was a veteran horror movie director. The most difficult to disobey is the teacher's order, especially in the eyes of the older generation. The teacher is like a father. Ren Chao also do not want to chill the heart of the teacher. And this kind of song is not mainstream, but also can side test the lyricist's skills well. These Gu Xingyi of course do not know, since the keyword is already so, he can only rack his brain to think. Gu Xingyi has heard fewer songs of this kind. This was the first time Xia Shuriyao had seen Gu Xingyi frowning when he was creating a song, and it turned out that he would also have a hard time, and he seemed to have those songs at his fingertips before. Such Gu Xingyi gave her a great sense of reality. Xia Shuriyao raised her hand and gently smoothed his frowning brows. No need to rush, no matter what we both work together as long as there are no regrets. Being stroked over his brow by warm and soft fingers, Gu Xingyi's heart felt like a warm current flowed through him. He raised his head and saw Xia Shuriyao looking at herself seriously and gently. Xia Shuriyao, who had just washed her face, had a plain face, but Gu Xingyi only felt that she looked better than ever at this moment. Being looked straight at by Gu Xingyi like this, Xia Shuriyao was a bit hot. She didn't understand why he had to look at himself like this after she just said one sentence. That look, besides appreciation, seemed like he wanted to eat himself up. Strange Gu Xingyi. However, the next moment, she didn't feel strange at all. Because in her eyes, Gu Xingyi's face suddenly came closer until the warm and soft touch was imprinted on her lips. Xia Shuriyao's eyes suddenly widened, even blinking twice in disbelief. This was? Being sneak attacked? Gu Xingyi now also completely understood that in front of his petite wife, what cold water cooling, that was all bullshit. After a long time, lips parted, and Xia Shuriyao's body was a little soft as she leaned against the back of the sofa. She now have not come back to her senses. Gu Xingyi even sneak attacked himself? And also kissed for so long. It wasn't until she saw that Gu Xingyi was actually still staring at herself with intent that she hurriedly covered her face with both hands, so shy that she couldn't wait to hurry and escape from here. Gu Xingyi tasted this wonderful flavor for the first time, and his heart couldn't be happier. Especially with the shy appearance of Xia Shuriyao now, it made him even more joyful. He couldn't help but move a little closer to Xia Shuriyao until the two of them were next to each other. A ham were husband and wife. Kissing is a very important behavior to express the couple's feelings. Gu Xingyi tried to make Xia Shuriyao less shy, or at least let go of the hand covering her face. Unexpectedly, Xia Shuriyao reacted even more. Miso backed up 2 steps, never willing to let go of her hand. Trying to no avail, Gu Xingyi could only look at Xia Shuriyao blearily, with some disappointment in his heart. He hadn't kissed enough. Just now, if it wasn't for the fact that he was inexperienced for the first time and didn't know how to change his breath, he would not have been able to let her go just like that. Gu Xingyi shamelessly got next to her again. Nah, I looked at my cell phone. Definitely won't do anything more. Gu Xingyi picked up his phone and waved it in front of Xia Shuriyao, pretending to look at it. Xia Shuriyao sneakily looked at him through the cracks in her fingers, then she saw his smiling face, and all of a sudden, she became even more embarrassed. Then she pushed Gu Xingyi a little harder, stood up and ran back to the bedroom as if she was escaping. Gu Xingyi couldn't help but laugh out loud as he watched her, still not forgetting to shut the bedroom door. Only then did he really pick up his cell phone and read it. He still had to think about the song, and now that he had nothing to do, he just happened to take a look at Xia Shuriyao's siege blog. He remembered that Xia Shuriyao said that she would send the video that Tao Lele secretly recorded to the blog. Just after clicking on the blog, Gu Xingyi saw his familiar name on the hot search list. The name of the person who is the most popular in the world. Pretty boy sighed. Gu Xingyi felt that it must have been that video that sparked the discussion that his image was going to be ruined. Clicking on a random hot search, then Gu Xingyi's brows gradually furrowed. It seemed like things weren't as simple as he thought. Originally, Xia Shuriyao had posted an ordinary roundup blog that did make it to the hot search, but now this hot search was about a war letter. War letter? It also involved himself? Gu Xingyi's fingers continued to scratch. A hot search looked at, which gradually understand the beginning and end of the matter. The cause is the children's song in their own video, was disliked, and then argued into this. Just this Wu Fan, is there that big disease? Did he invite him to mess with him? Gu Xingyi couldn't figure out, he hadn't even seen this Wu Fan, how come he was disliked? The key was that he disliked himself even if he did. He even went so far as to mention Xia Shuriyao, which Gu Xingyi, as a wife-favoring devil, couldn't even endure.
Gu Xingyi himself also has a Weibo account, but even he himself has forgotten his Weibo, not to mention his fans. He previously used all the Douyin.
This was the first time he had ever used a Weibo account, and usually his fans were all active under Xia Shiriao's Weibo.
Opening his blog homepage, Gu Xingyi deleted all those messy dancing videos that he had previously posted in his blog, until he deleted them to a blank space, and only then did he re-edit a blog. Clicked, sent, and in passing, etched Wu Fan.
You want to fight? Then let's fight. The godfather of music? Oh,
just a few simple words, between the lines but not at all spoiled for him.
Gu Xingyi finished posting, nodded with satisfaction. What do you mean by professional? This is called professional. Really think he is good at bullying?
The words are concise, and the mocking attribute is pulled full. The last one is a perfect ending.
It is very nice.
After doing all this, Gu Xingyi stretched his waist, then put this matter behind him. It was still early, and many netizens were still asleep, so they naturally didn't know about this news. Even Wu Fan, because he slept too late last night, didn't realize that Gu Xingyi had responded to him. Until 9 a.m. when Gu Xingyi's family was eating breakfast, most people were basically up at this time. It was the weekend, so they habitually sat on their beds and fiddled with their phones, glancing at last night's hot search situation in the meantime, and then they found this roundup blog that Gu Xingyi had responded to. This time their confused eyes instantly lit up. There are melons to eat again. The netizens couldn't wait to click on this Weibo, and then they saw this simple response, and in an instant they became even more awake. Yo ho! This Gu Xingyi has a temper. They expressed their liking. The netizens then scrambled to get involved, commenting below, especially some of Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiriao's fans, who were cheering him on and supporting him after seeing this dismissive tone and words from Gu Xingyi. Until 11 o'clock in the morning, Wu Fan, who had just woken up, when he peeled his cell phone up, he saw the siege blog that had already been topped on top of the hot search. Looking at Gu Xingyi's arrogant words, Wu Fan sneered. The type of song for this competition was his specialty, and he was very confident that he would step on Gu Xingyi's feet. When he thought of this, Wu Fan's heart was still a little happy. Fortunately Gu Xingyi answered the battle. If he didn't, he still couldn't do anything about it. Now well, after this time, Gu Xingyi's heat will all be stolen by himself, then. He is still the same music godfather. Wu Fan was in a good mood. He was busy making phone calls and started to contact the operation. Now all that was missing was the consent of Shangshi Entertainment Company. For the side will not agree to use their own songs. Wu Fan has 100% certainty that they will. After all, his own strength in this, before our entertainment companies to their own song invitation, now their own on the poll to send songs, or their own familiar tracks, the other side does not agree that the ghost. If Gu Xingyi knew what Wu Fan was thinking right now, he could definitely burst out laughing. This poor baby, simply do not know what he is facing. At 1 p.m., Shangshi Entertainment returned the message. They really agreed to Wu Fan's offer. A former songwriter gave away his song for free. They would be out of their mind if they didn't agree. Of course, this is also based on the case that Gu Xingyi will not write a song for them at all. If Gu Xingyi is also willing to write a song for Miao Anquan, they will not hesitate to kick Wu Fan out. After all, no one was a fool, and now Gu Xingyi's heat was as hot as ever, so it would be a waste of time not to rub it in. And as it turned out, every one of Gu Xingyi's songs was on fire. When Miao Anjuan was notified by the company, she was practicing her song and was under a lot of pressure as she was about to face Xia Shiriao. When she heard that the company had picked up Wu Fan's song, she frowned slightly because she already had a song now and had practiced all day yesterday. Miao Anjuan was a bit angry and found the company, wanting a statement. After all, changing the song for her without going through her consent was something she couldn't accept. But the company gave her reasons she couldn't refute. For one, the song given by Wu Fan was indeed better than the one she was practicing right now, and secondly, the heat on the internet was exploding right now, and this match was not just a match between Xia Shiriao and Miao Anquan, but it was also a match between Wu Fan, the lyricist behind the song, and Gu Xingyi. The first of the finals of the Star Song Exchange could be described as all eyes on it. Shangshi Entertainment certainly wouldn't let go of this good time. Taking Wu Fan's song they could reap even more benefits. In this way, Miao Anquan's personal opinion didn't matter. Of course Miao Anquan understood, but she was still a bit lost. It wasn't that she couldn't see Wu Fan's song, she just simply didn't want to become a tool person for others to gain benefits. This made her not help but envy Xia Shiriao a little. As if, since her comeback, Xia Shiriao had always used Gu Xingyi's and her own songs, and had never heard of a time when Soundsea Entertainment had forced her. Miao Anquan only thought about it for a moment before she figured it out. This was the result of having someone behind her. How nice. Ha! You made a date with Wu Fan, Until the evening, Xia Shiriao then saw the hot search on the Weibo. She usually seldom pay attention to these. This time where she and Sister Yin made a phone call, only to know that someone actually gave Gu Xingyi a battle. Seeing Xia Shiriao's nervous appearance, Gu Xingyi still said with a relaxed face. Yeah, other people are calling the door, so it's not reasonable to not answer it, right? But you haven't even written a song yet.
What can we do about this? Unlike Gu Xingyi's relief, Xia Shiyao was full of worry. She also knew that Wu Fan was quite good at this aspect of songwriting, and at noon today, Gu Xingyi was still frowning over the song. Gu Xingyi, who was still writing the script of one person's story, stopped and busily waved his hand to calm Xia Shiyao. It's fine. You still don't trust your husband, me? Even when Gu Xingyi said this, Xia Shiyao was still a bit worried. If it was just about her own competition, she could care less if she won or lost. But now that the internet was in an uproar, this match was now completely about Gu Xingyi's face. Xia Shiyao pursed her lips and pondered for a while. Suddenly her eyes lit up, as if she had thought of some good idea. Gu Xingyi saw Xia Shiyao settle down. He then continued to write one man down. In fact, he was also a bit worried about what song he should take to win this competition. Until 9 p.m., little Nai Nai slowly fell asleep amidst Gu Xingyi's fairy tale. Gu Xingyi was just about to lie down when he saw Xia Shiyao, who was sleeping on the other side of the room, cautiously sit up and hook her finger at herself like a thief before heading outside the bedroom. After Gu Xingyi was bewildered for a moment, his eyes abruptly brightened, and his heart was even more excited. Could it be? Gu Xingyi did not dare to continue to think about it, but the look of surprise on his face could not be waved away. Busy crawling out of the nest, Tiptoe, dog sneakily followed out. The bedroom door was gently closed. Gu Xingyi saw Xia Shiyao already sitting on the sofa, waving to herself. Gu Xingyi jogged all the way to the sofa and sat down next to Xia Shiyao, turning his head to look at her, his heart thumping, and then boldly wrapped his arms around her slender waist. Xia Shiyao directly froze. What is he doing? A touch of blush climbed on her cheeks. Xia Shiyao pouted and slapped Gu Xingyi's strange big hand. What are you doing? Gu Xingyi froze as well. No. Wasn't it you who told me to come out? Still. What else can I do? Xia Shiyao blankly glanced at Gu Xingyi, but didn't continue to bother with the hand around her waist, instead whispering. Letting you out is for you to find Inspiration Day. What are you thinking about? Inspiration. Inspiration? Gu Xingyi was dying of embarrassment at the moment, as if she had really misunderstood. Because she saw that Xia Shiyao had searched for a horror movie on her phone and was turning on the TV to cast the screen onto it. It turned out that she was looking for herself to watch a horror movie. Okay. Gu Xingyi, a whole person, suddenly shriveled up. He thought his spring had come. Xia Shiyao turned down the volume, and then she saw Gu Xingyi with this lost look. She snorted out a laugh and pinched the flesh around Gu Xingyi's waist, but her body leaned into Gu Xingyi's arms. Gu Xingyi scratched his head. Like this, it seemed quite good? So he just wrapped his arms around Xia Shiyao in his arms and watched a horror movie. This horror movie is really quite scary. Can be seen as Xia Shiyao carefully selected. Gu Xingyi is a big heart, but did not feel anything. But Xia Shiyao, see, half of the time, the whole person is almost shrunk into a ball, tightly embracing Gu Xingyi does not let go. Especially in the TV, the moment the red-clothed female ghost suddenly appeared, the horror melody suddenly sounded, scared Xia Shiyao so much that she directly buried her face into Gu Xingyi's arms, no longer daring to look at it. Gu Xingyi patted her back and comforted. Fake. It's all fake. If you don't dare to look, then let's not look, okay? Xia Shiyao, however, arched in his arms and shook her head, her voice almost carrying a sob. Don't want to see it. It's just the scary part. It'll be fine in a while. Gu Xingyi laughed and didn't continue to persuade her, but continued to watch the TV. He really seemed to have some thoughts. TV. The female ghost in red, shedding blood and tears, smiling miserably, her figure disappeared abruptly, and when she appeared, it was already a close-up of her face. In the next moment, she was covered with a red head, while spots of blood flowed out from under her feet. Xia Shiyao peeked again at this moment, and then her entire body went soft, directly paralyzed in Gu Xingyi's arms, her body trembling a bit. This time really gave her a fright. Gu Xingyi, have you gotten inspired yet? Her voice was small and carried a tremor. Gu Xingyi only felt warmth in his heart as he wrapped the soft, delicate body in his arms tighter and turned off the TV in his hand. The room immediately quieted down. Thought of it. No need to be afraid, I've already turned off the TV. Gu Xingyi gently patted Xia Shiyao's back, his voice gentle, like he was afraid of scaring the petite wife in his arms again. Really thought of it? Don't lie to me. Gu Xingyi smiled and rubbed Xia Shiyao's scattered hair. Really? Lying to you as a puppy. Only then did Xia Shiyao raise her head, her almond eyes misty with water, obviously frightened. She looked at Gu Xingyi's clear face in front of her and asked again. Really? Gu Xingyi nodded his head, looking at the rosy lips close at hand, but there was no ripple in his heart. Really? Tomorrow morning, your wife will be able to see a complete new song. The horror atmosphere and tragic elements will all be there. Looking at Gu Xingyi's gentle as well as determined eyes, Xia Shiyao believed it, and she softly mumbled, burying her little face into Gu Xingyi's arms and arching it again before getting out of Gu Xingyi's arms. Gu Xingyi looked at the water stains in front of his chest, wanting to cry, this woman, more and more like a little child. Alright. Go to bed quickly, I'll go change out of my pajamas. Gu Xingyi rubbed Xia Shiyao's hair again, this time his voice was somewhat helpless. As soon as Xia Shiyao heard that Gu Xingyi was going to leave, she immediately came to Gu Xingyi's side again, both her hands going through his arms and holding him firmly. No, don't! The various emotions of nervousness, fear, and shyness hidden in her eyes, made Gu Xingyi look blank. However, these were not the most important thing. The important thing was the soft touch coming from his arm, making Gu Xingyi's heart skip a beat. Gu Xingyi gave a soft dry cough. Before, when she was in his arms, he didn't even feel it, but he didn't expect to feel it now, so he could only say that Nai Nai was truly blessed. But I have to change into my pajamas. It'll be done soon. Before, when Xia Shiyao hadn't gone to Magic City yet, the two of them seemed to have formed a tacit understanding that they changed their clothes behind each other's back, alone in the bathroom, and this time when Xia Shiyao came back, it was still the same. Xia Shiyao's face turned even redder, but she still didn't let go of her hand, stubbornly looking at Gu Xingyi. Okay. Gu Xingyi wanted to say something, and brought Xia Shiyao back to the bedroom. This time, Gu Xingyi changed into his pajamas in the bedroom, and under the hazy night color, he saw Xia Shiyao's eyes clear and bright. This night, Gu Xingyi fell asleep with his arm around Xia Shiyao. Both of them slept soundly. When Xia Shiyao woke up, the sky had already lightened. Gu Xingyi had gotten up at some point, and in her arms, there was only little Nai Nai with a soft and supple body left. She clearly remembered that when she went to bed last night, she was sleeping in Gu Xingyi's arms, so she thought that it was Gu Xingyi who had carried Nai Nai into her arms after he got up. Thinking of last night's scene, Xia Shiyao's face flushed a little. She couldn't believe that the person who was clinging to Gu Xingyi yesterday was herself. When had she been so bold? The corner of Xia Shiyao's mouth curled up slightly. This kind of feeling, it seems like it's also very good. Kissing Nai Nai's little face, Xia Shiyao got up from the bed and went out of the bedroom with soft footsteps. Just as she pushed open the door, the aroma of rice floated over from the kitchen. Xia Shiyao inhaled. She smelled the flavor of steamed eggs. Awake? Wash your face first and go. Later I'll tell Nai Nai to get up for dinner. Gu Xingyi happened to walk out from the kitchen with dishes. Seeing Xia Shiyao already up, she smiled and said, nah. Xia Shiyao nodded her head in agreement, her eyes shining brightly. This kind of plain and cozy routine made her feel very fulfilled. Inside the breakfast there was indeed little Nai Nai's favorite steamed egg. Nai Nai took her exclusive little spoon and took a big bite, as if no matter how many times she ate steamed eggs, her eyes could curve into a nice crescent moon. Even now, Xia Shiyao still clearly remembered Nai Nai's overflowing joy when she first ate the steamed egg Gu Xingyi made for her. Just thinking about it made Xia Shiyao want to cry a little. It was the kind of wanting to cry with tears of joy, and as she looked towards Gu Xingyi who was tenderly feeding Nai Nai, that kind of faint joy tumbled over in her heart. After the meal, Gu Xingyi was washing the dishes in the kitchen. Xia Shiyao was laying her hands on the side, but her gaze kept falling on Gu Xingyi. She felt that Gu Xingyi was becoming more and more like a house husband-in-law. Right. Wait for me, I almost forgot the main thing. Gu Xingyi had just returned the dishes to their place. He looked up and saw Xia Shiyao's infatuated gaze, then he suddenly said. Xia Shiyao's thoughts were pulled back by Gu Xingyi's words, and she watched as Gu Xingyi put down the chopsticks in his hands and jogged all the way into the side bedroom, which had been converted into a study by him. When Gu Xingyi came out again, he was holding 2 sheets of curved manuscript paper in his hands, a smile piled on his face. Nah, this, promised you last night. Walking to the kitchen, Gu Xingyi handed Xia Shiyao the song script papers in his hands. Last night's horror movie wasn't in vain, your wife's effort wasn't in vain, and this song suddenly came to me when I saw that movie. Xia Shiyao's pretty face was slightly red. Gu Xingyi said this, she remembered last night's scene again. She took the song script paper and looked down. On the top page were the lyrics. The song title was only one word. Shi Yan. Xia Shiyao froze. She didn't understand how the name Shi Yan could be related to tragic elements and horror atmosphere. Then she continued to read down. The 18th day of the first month, the auspicious day of the zodiac, sorghum lifting. Carry on the red dress, a foot of hate, cut in haste. After only reading the first bit, Xia Shiyao's goosebumps crawled all over her body. The 18th day of the first month? The auspicious day of the zodiac? You can't get married on the 18th day of the first month. Everyone in China knows that it's a day for funerals and mourning. But in the lyrics, it was written that it was an auspicious day. Xia Shiyao gulped, suddenly remembering the female ghost in red that she saw last night. So, this is underworld marriage. Xia Shiyao skimmed over the lyrics and looked at the sheet music again, and after only a few moments, her body suddenly trembled and she looked up at Gu Xingyi. This, I'm afraid I can't sing it. The voice was a bit aggrieved. Gu Xingyi dryly coughed twice, and busily pacified. It's okay, if we can't we won't sing this song, it's okay. In Gu Xingyi's heart, there is nothing that can compare to Xia Shiyao and Nai Nai. Even if it's a competition, it has to be sidelined. Seeing Gu Xingyi say this, Xia Shiyao calmed down a bit. She whispered, it's not that, it's that I'm a bit scared, but it would be much better if I had you by my side. Gu Xingyi then realized that it wasn't that Xia Shuriyao couldn't sing this kind of song, but that she was still under the influence of last night's horror movie. It seems that she was really afraid of watching a horror movie. Thinking of this, Gu Xingyi couldn't help but be even more touched that Xia Shuriyao was so scared, but she still took the initiative to drag herself to see it, just to give herself the inspiration to write a song. Gu Xingyi rubbed Xia Shuriyao's head. Then I'll always accompany you to finish this competition. Xia Shuriyao responded softly with her head lowered, a smirk rising on her face. Gu Xingyi suddenly wondered if this woman was just saying this on purpose because she wanted him to accompany her. At noon that day, the family packed their bags, and after connecting with Sister Yun and Tao Lele, they left for Magic City. In the days after arriving in Mordor, Gu Xingyi again wondered if he had thought wrong, because after Xia Shuriyao returned to Mordor, he basically couldn't see her twice a day. This was because Xia Shuriyao basically spent every day in the recording studio of Sound and Sea Entertainment. Xia Shuriyao was like this all because when she thought that Gu Xingyi had a date with someone else, she couldn't help but want to practice the song a little better. A little bit better. She didn't want Gu Xingyi to lose. Gu Xingyi could only continue to work on the script for one man down over here as well. Time passed quickly, and the first of the Star Song Festival finals had arrived in the blink of an eye. This time, the final was much hotter than the previous days, because this time, the Star Song Festival final not only changed two very famous veteran mentors, but also had the godfather of music, Wu Fan, and Gu Xingyi's appointment. The so-called topic is full of talk, but that's just it. If it wasn't for the heat brought about by all this traffic, with the keywords of this competition, this final felt like it was going to be cool. Ran Chao was also incredibly happy that he had merely followed his teacher's advice, not realizing that he had reaped an unexpected surprise, having Wu Fan and Gu Xingyi just get on. As for who he favored, he definitely wanted Gu Xingyi to win, but he was a little worried, mainly because Gu Xingyi had never composed this type of song before. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the Magic City Stadium opened. Several lines of people formed a long queue. Everyone had a look of anticipation on their faces as they walked one after another towards the stadium. Gu Xingyi was in the middle of these long lines, his head lowered, wearing a mask. He didn't even dare to raise his head as he saw that there were many spectators, surprisingly holding up fan signs with their names written on them. Little Nai Nai didn't come with him this time, but was brought by Sister Yun and stayed in the apartment. It wasn't until 9:30 p.m. that all the spectators had entered. The contest was also officially unveiled, only to see that on the stage, a throne belonging to the champion slowly rose, and beside the throne, stood a crystal-clear crystal microphone. The host, Chen Shuer, stepped on the red carpet and slowly walked onto the stage. She picked up the microphone and looked towards the bottom of the stage with a smile on her face. Welcome to the stage of the Star Song Exchange Final. I am the host Chen Shuer. After the brutal elimination of the previous installments, now the Star Song Festival has finally ushered in the first of its finals. Let's begin by congratulating our contestants, Xia Shuriyao, Miao Ankuan. These two contestants have gone through layers and layers of screening, and have finally stepped onto this stage that belongs to the champions. Chen Shuer said loudly, and the photos of Xia Shuriyao and Miao Ankuan, as well as the resumes of the songs they sang in the previous competitions, duly appeared on the big screen behind them. There was a slight pause to give the audience time to look at the screen before Chen Shuer continued again. But the competition is cruel. There is only one champion, and only one person can sit on this throne. Will it be Xia Shuriyao who wins the title? Or will Miao Anjuan reach the top? Let's wait and see. Next, let's applaud the tutors as they make their grand entrance. As the words fell, the four mentors slowly rose from the ground accompanied by lights. Gu Xingyi also raised her head and looked at the introduction about the mentors on the screen. The two familiar mentors, Gao Yu and Shui Shaoqian were still there, while the other two were Chen Yisun and Lu Ruoying. This made Gu Xingyi sigh. Star Song Exchange had money. Such old and famous singers were invited. It was just bullskin. The mentor appeared on stage and the whole audience cheered. The audience was even more excited. Their long-awaited final was finally coming. This match, for them, can be said to be full of attractions. Two big female singers on the same stage. Behind the two major lyricists is even more gunpowder flavor. The so-called gimmick full, but so. Now even the audience below are like Chu River Han boundary, clear distinction. The right side of all supports Xia Shuriyao's fans. They pulled banners, cheering for her. The left side of the arena is full of Miao Anjuan's fans. They are also not willing to show weakness. The hands of the fans of the light sign waving, flying, mouth shouting is constantly. Gu Xingyi turned his head to look, could not help but skim his mouth. That banner, the corners even have their own names. Just his name, why write so small? Without looking closely, you can't even see it. It's outrageous. What Gu Xingyi didn't know was that there wasn't his name on the banner originally. This banner was made by Xia Shuriyao's #1 fan, Xiao Hong, who led an army of fans to personally make it, but when making the banner, one of the college students, who was a fan, strongly requested that Gu Xingyi's name be added. Xiao Hong had no choice but to comply with this fan called Xiao Ming, adding Gu Xingyi's name to the edges.
In addition to the live audience, the major live broadcast room is crowded with people. Star Song Hui official live broadcast room, and even once appeared like phenomenon. Ren Xiao temporarily let the technical staff and added many exclusive traffic channel, which can only be stabilized the situation. Ren Xiao touched the false sweat on the top of his head. He remembers that the last time this kind of situation appeared in the live broadcasting world, or the last Showbiz Heavenly King's first time to open the broadcast. At this moment, unlike the live broadcasting room and the scene's fervor, behind the stage, it was an eerie silence. Even when the staff was busy, their movements were unconsciously small. The reason for this weird atmosphere was precisely Xia Shiyao, who was sitting in front of the dressing table and was being dressed up by the makeup artist. On the other side of the dresser, Miao Anjuan was wearing a black evening gown and was looking at Xia Shiyao with a complicated face. She didn't understand. Today's theme was obviously tragic elements and horror atmosphere. Why Xia Shiyao wore this bright red brilliant wedding dress?
Not only Miao Anquan did not understand, everyone present did not understand how this kind of festive dress could be related to today's keyword. Xia Shiyao sat quietly in front of the mirror, her heart like still water. She was trying to find that state. Gu Xingyi taught her that when she sang this song, her expression should be solemn, her eyes should be godless with a bit of sadness in them. By the way, Gu Xingyi also said that it was best not to blink when singing this song. Xia Shiyao remembered it all, and although this was difficult, as long as it was what he said, she would go and do it very well. On the front stage, the host had already asked the two contestants to take the stage, and the staff also whispered to inform the two at this time. Xia Shiyao stabilized her emotions, stood up, and walked slowly towards the stage at the same time as Miao Anjuan. All the lights on the stage also dimmed at this time, only two spotlights, hitting the two. Well, as soon as the two of them appeared on stage, a burst of neat exclamations immediately came from under the stage, and all of them stared at Xia Shiyao with wide eyes, not daring to believe. Some even rubbed their eyes, their faces full of astonishment. What made them cry out in shock was precisely Xia Shiyao's outfit, wearing a phoenix cape on her head and a red wedding dress. Under the spotlight, she was simply gorgeous. This is completely contrary to today's theme. Rather, it was Miao Anjuan, dressed in a black gown, looking dignified and solemn, which was more in line with today's keyword. They were puzzled as to why Xia Shiyao would be in this outfit. Inside the live broadcast room, after a brief moment of silence, the pop-ups also drifted up crazily. It's not? Is my eyes blurred? What is Xia Shiyao doing? I can't figure it out. Can it be that Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi have given up? Preparing to sing a wedding march? Wu Fan was right. Gu Xingyi is a clown. See? He's been exposed right away. We haven't even had a match yet? Why are you barking? Maybe there'll be a reversal later. Reversal? If this can be reversed, I'll eat 10 pounds. Another cheater. But Xia Shiyao is so beautiful in her wedding dress. Gu Xingyi, this dog thief. Spoiling my Dao heart. On the stage, the host Chen Shuer asked the two their usual questions, but no matter how much she asked Xia Shiyao, the only thing that answered her was one word, secret. This made Chen Shuer helpless. She was also curious to know what Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi were hiding. Below the stage, in the audience, Wu Fan of course came early, and when he saw Xia Shiyao in this outfit, he almost laughed out loud. This was posing for a bad time? It's not okay to pose for a bad time. Wu Fan had a mocking smile in his eyes. He had meticulously polished a song with a horrible and tragic melody just for this competition. The pre-match interview session on the stage had already ended, and for this one, it was Miao Anjuan who took the lead in singing. Chen Shuer and Xia Shiyao nodded their greetings to the audience before slowly retreating from the stage. The lights dimmed again. The next moment, the music started. A spotlight slammed onto Miao Anjuan, her expression slightly sad, one hand gently raised as if expecting something. At this time, a melodious piano sound rose. With the low sound of the violin, coupled with Miao Anquan's expression, the audience was instantly brought into the music. They seemed to actually feel the pain spreading through their bodies. On the big screen, the details of the song this time also appeared in due time. Cancer. In the next moment, Miao Anjuan's voice sang softly, and it turned out that this was a song depicting the tragic life of a cancer patient. The tragedy of learning that you have cancer is embodied by the lyrics, and Miao Anqian's vocals along with her stage performance makes it even more profound. The song reaches the middle of the song, where the sound of the music changes abruptly, becoming low and scary. The lyrics also aptly reflected the horrific images that appeared in the patient's mind at this point when his spirit had already collapsed. Gu Xingyi under the stage was also listening quietly, and she had to say that Wu Fan did have 2 brushes, and her previous title as the godfather of music was well deserved, and Miao Anjuan also did a good job of embodying the hidden meaning of the song. Whether it was the lyrics or her demeanor, it was perfect. Immediately afterward, the music changed one more time, and then Gu Xingyi's face violently became strange. Wasn't it a bit too high-end? It was questionable whether normal people could understand it or not. Only to see that on the stage, the lyrics suddenly disappeared, and as the Western music progressed, the entire tune became more depressing, as if it was speaking in a silent voice. The entire song was devoid of lyrics, with only Miao Anjuan interpreting it. In the audience, at this time, there were also many people who frowned to hear the lyrics were gone, they suddenly could not understand. The live broadcast room was originally solemn. When this depressing music sounded, the pop-up screen violently began to float the screen. This? Singing properly, why is it suddenly like this? It's really hard for our peony. What is this? What? A bunch of chickens. Can't you understand this? This is the soul of the song. It's expressing the agonizing horror and depression of cancer. Wu Fan is the best. Scalp numbing. But it serves its purpose. At least it can be the theme song of a horror movie. This is the charm of Western music. How can you understand it without culture? Right. You're right about everything. I'm a dirt dog, I don't deserve it. Wu Fan, who was in the audience, had long closed his eyes at this time, immersed in the music. He liked this section too much. He felt that this section was simply divine. This was art. Until the music ended and Miao Anjuan slowly retreated from the stage, the controversy on the internet was still huge. Some people said that the song was a failure in the back, while others said that the song was sublimated in the back. Anyway, there were many different opinions, and the audience couldn't help anyone, but they all agreed that this was a rare and good song, especially the music and lyrics in the first half of the song, which was even more awesome. There was also the background music of the song, which used Western music to the extreme, and many people who knew Western music came out to praise Wu Fan's professionalism. Regardless of the audience's reaction, the competition continued. The lights on the stage had completely dimmed, and facing a beam of spotlights, Xia Shuriyao moved her lotus steps gently and slowly walked onto the stage. Under the lights, her expression was very much at odds with what she was wearing, clearly wearing a wedding dress of great joy. Her facial expression showed a hollow dead sadness, especially her normally watery almond eyes. At this moment, she was actually also looking forward listlessly. On the darkened stage, she stood there silently like that. Spooky. An indescribable panic rose from the bottom of the audience's hearts. There was no music, no intro, and the audience held their breath in silence. On the big screen at the back, the name of the song slowly rose. Wedding. The singer was Xia Shuriyao, and the lyrics and music were both composed by Gu Xingyi. Seeing this song title, no matter if it was the live broadcast room or the audience under the stage, they were all bewildered again. This was the character Xian? Why did they suddenly not recognize it? It wasn't that they didn't recognize the word, it was that they simply couldn't believe that the song title she had appeared at this very moment. Only Gu Xingyi took a deep breath as he looked at Xia Shuriyao on the stage. This expression of Xia Shuriyao's right now was simply too on point, making his sweat hairs already all stand up. The original singer Gudongqi Xiyan, a song that had triggered a buzz across the internet when it first appeared, was even in existence that made countless people's scalps go numb. Now Xia Shuriyao even embodied the atmosphere in front of the song. At this time, the music started, the audience's eyes steeply lit up, even the mentor on the stage, his eyes were flooded with surprise. What is this? Arrow? Pipa? The arrow plays sadness, the pipa plays love. When the tune is played, sadness and love are the same. Everyone looked at Xia Shuriyao on the stage. They still didn't understand why a song called Double Happiness started off with such sadness. Immediately after, the sound of Gu Qin joined in, then the sharp clapper sounded. Xia Shuriyao's godless eyes on the stage lifted up, her vision panned out, looking at the audience below the stage. The song rose. On the 18th day of the first month, on the auspicious day of the zodiac, sorghum is lifted. I carry a red dress, a foot of hate, and cut it in haste. I don't want to prattle on about not wanting to return to my husband. The red sandalwoods are so easy to talk about, it's hard to guess. That's good. That's good. Yes, it is. But, is this a pop music with an opera? And, the 18th day of the first month? The lucky day? A foot of hate? A fake face? The audience felt a chill rising from the soles of their feet to the sky, and goosebumps crawled all over their bodies. This wedding, it's the ancient medieval wedding in China. Not a word of sadness. It's not scary. Instead, the words are filled with sadness and terror. It's a horror that only Chinese people can understand. The folk music with the folklore, and then with this wedding in the underworld, it simply made people's scalp numb. The live broadcast room was completely blown up. They and the live audience is not the same. The live audience can only hold back. They can speak freely. Holy shit. When the song came out, I felt the cabinet behind me move. Big night. Don't. This is the horror that lies deep within the hearts of Chinese people. I've been hiding under the covers listening to it now. Woo woo. I silently retracted my feet that were stretched outside the comforter. Let you terrorize. You directly grounded the house? Can you still play happily? The song is good, but I don't know if the person is a good person. This happiness makes my back cold, my whole body tingling, my legs and feet weak, my joints sore, my scalp pounding, and my eyes darkening. Upstairs, to be able to talk about the onset of the disease in such a refreshing way, you kid can. Good to hear, and afraid to listen, what to do? The reaction of the live broadcast room Xia Shiyao didn't know. She was also integrated into the song at the moment. She slowly raised her hand and pinched her orchid finger, secretly saddened, while she was still keeping Gu Xingyi's words in mind. Can't blink your eyes. In the next second, the music turned, the hall drums started, and the entire music instantly rushed. Xia Shiyao jerked her head up, her gaze looking straight at the audience, and the song sounded sharply under her breath. Listen up, at the dawning of the hour that 3 miles away turns up. Flat and oblique, the sound of horseshoes gradually rises to chop down the word sorrow. That official smiles. All the audience under the stage couldn't stop gulping, being frightened. Even Gu Xingyi couldn't stop shivering. He really didn't think that if he let Xia Shiyao sing this song, she would sing this feeling as if she had experienced it herself. Scary. The sound of the pipa sounded again. Xia Shiyao looked miserable and euphonious. It was as if she was reminiscing, and as if she was slowly telling. That official happily searched for half a day, only humming out a departed sorrow. The song was once again urgent. This time she again failed to catch the words. She's laughing and crying. Guess how she laughed and cried? Crying. See how she cries and laughs? Laughing. The next moment, the swana sounded. The high and joyful music heralded in everyone's ears exploded over, and with the wedding chapel lyrics in the background, everyone's hearts were just shaken to the core. The swana sounded. Gold 10,000 taels. It's not ascension. It's worship. The moment the swana sounded, Wu Fan's eyes widened in disbelief. Gu Xingyi. How dare he? This kind of rogue instrument. What gives him the right to use this rogue instrument? Wu Fan panicked. Completely flustered. Everyone knows there's no arrow that can't be played, and no swana that can't be blown away. The arrow and swana are all together in this song. A Western instrument can't produce the sound of the swana. It's over. Wu Fan's nails pinched deep into the flesh. This song, not only the lyrics are superb, the arrangement is unbeatable, there are a variety of folk elements into it, but also the opera with pop music, simply cracked. The title of the song says happiness, but actually sings sadness, while the lyrics contain a deep meaning of terror. Not only did Wu Fan panic, but also all the viewers in the live broadcast room. Hey, Xia Shiyao, you blink your eyes, please. Oh haha, she doesn't even need to blink her eyes. Upstairs has gone crazy. I'm getting close too. Gu Xingyi and old 6 Art can have an aura, but it can't have an aura. That's not true. Is this an auditorium? It's beautiful to the bone, but it's a bit creepy. Look at my hairs, they're straighter than steel needles. Mom. Xia Shiyao, why don't you blink? Please, don't make me suspect that you're coming up from below to do publicity. Suddenly I don't envy Gu Xingyi anymore. Whoa, I'm all alone, it's 10:30 p.m, lights off, blindfolded, can brothers understand? However, no matter how much the viewers in the live broadcast pleaded, Xia Shiyao's song still continued. It was drilled into their ears along with their blankets, as if the room was filled with Xia Shiyao's voice at this moment. Xia Shiyao had forgotten her fear at this moment, she was tangibly integrated into the song. He said the words from his heart. I'm not going to be able to live up to my promises, but I'm not going to be able to live up to my promises. The 18th day of the first month, the auspicious day of the zodiac. The 18th day of the first month, this auspicious day of the zodiac. Xia Shiyao's song slowly ended, a high sound of swana faded away, the joyful music seemed to come from the sky, but the audience knew that it was not a joyful event. The audience fell silent, and a faint sadness that welled up from the bottom of their hearts swept over them. If the moment when the swanas sounded in front of them was a bit frightening, the swana at the end, together with the festive music, made people feel miserable. It was the sadness of the ignorance of the ancients, the living marrying the dead, or at her flower-like age. Especially the micro-expressions on Xia Shiyao's face, her slightly furrowed brow, the hopeless atmosphere that lingered on her, and the eyes that hadn't blinked until now. All of this sensuality made the audience feel as if they were in the middle of this auditorium, witnessing this horrible sorrow with their own eyes. The pop-ups in the live streaming room also slowly diminished along with the music, with only a few people expressing the emotions in their hearts. The most beautiful ghost bride, there's nothing better. A knitted smile are all sad, a contempt and a sigh are all reincarnation. This is the right way to open a good song. Let a person immersed in the scene, but also let a person to reminisce. The moment the swana came out, I knew that this song it is not simple. Xia Shiyao is really too awesome. She has interpreted this song to the fullest. Cover your ears, Soul Brahma. On the 18th day of the first month, the bride is married, family and friends cry their hearts out, the paper is made into a wedding dress to be worn on the body, and in the future, you will never see your lover again. The auspicious day has arrived, we send the bride back to the stage. You're the devil, aren't you? It's the middle of the night and I'm home alone. The ethereal music completely fell, the lights dimmed, and Xia Shiyao slowly retreated in a red dress hidden in the darkness. This feast mesmerized everyone. Director Ren Chao sighed, wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes. This kind of old Chinese culture, these older generation of talent understand best. That is a kind of hopeless sadness. Backstage, Miao Anjuan, some lost in thought, she just stared blankly at Xia Shuriyao wearing a red dress walking slowly. At this moment, Xia Shuriyao seemed to have not completely come out from the music. That kind of sad atmosphere on her body made Miao Anquan couldn't help but shiver. She was confident that her face was not inferior to Xia Shuriyao's, but right now, the aura on Xia Shuriyao's body outshone hers by a million. It was the soul that a good song gave to the singer's body. For a pure singer, this was the highest honor. Miao Anqilan smiled bitterly. She had lost this battle, not only in the song, but also in her dedication to the song. But Miao Anjuan quickly adjusted her mindset again. She clenched her fists. This kind of Xia Shuriyao was more worthy of her best efforts. She believed in her own strength. She also believed that she would sing better. Xia Shuriyao had already walked over to Miao Anjuan's side by this time. The two women looked at each other, and Miao Anjuan gave Xia Shuriyao a thumbs up. Awesome! Xia Shuriyao was in a trance for a moment, which brought her out of the song's influence slightly, and she blinked her eyes rapidly a few times. Eyes were a bit dry. Then she gave Miao Anjuan a similarly shallow smile. You sing great too. Miao Anjuan froze for a moment and smiled as well. This Xia Shuriyao, her personality was even better than she had imagined. That Gu Xingyi man is really blessed. In contrast to the harmony between the two singers backstage, Wu Fan's entire being was like a deflated ball of leather, having completely slumped in his chair. Defeated. Even before the voting session had begun, he knew that he had lost. As an established songwriter, he knew just by looking at the reactions of the mentors and the scene. The atmosphere created by his own song had been completely crushed by the atmosphere of the song. She, who still remembered his song now? Even Wu Fan himself, the sound of the swana and the sound of joy still echoed in his mind. The swana is the king of all musical instruments, either ascending to heaven or worshipping, the 1,000-year pipa, the 10,000-year zhang, and an arrow for a lifetime. This song, he's basically all accounted for. How can he play this? Wu Fan's entire body shrank back into the chair, frustrated and stifled by being routed in his most skillful area. He was frustrated because it seemed like he really wasn't as good as Gu Xingyi, and he was frustrated because he felt that Gu Xingyi was cheating. Using the swana was cheating. At this time, the lights on the stage had already been turned on, and the bright lights pulled everyone back to reality from this dreamy wedding. The host, Chen Shuer, dressed in a white gown, slowly made her entrance. She held the microphone and looked down to the audience below who were still a bit confused, pausing for a moment before saying aloud, I never thought that I would hear two songs so different on this stage, the brilliant sparks of Western and folk music colliding, two different songs but presenting the same flavor. Let's applaud and welcome our two contestants to the stage, shall we? The audience below then seemed to have woken up from a dream. Reacting, they applauded vigorously. It was too good. It was also too shocking. They had thought that the final would definitely be wonderful, but they hadn't expected that it would be so wonderful, and at this moment, they felt that buying their tickets to come to the scene was just worth it. Xia Shuriyao and Miao Anquan, who were waiting at the back of the stage, also greeted the applause as the host's words fell and slowly ascended the stage. The two of them just stood side by side on the stage, making the audience's eyes light up, and they all marveled in their hearts. What a pair of absolutely beautiful sisters. Standing with the two of them, even Chen Shuer, who was on one side, felt some pressure. Next is the mentor voting session. Let's have the mentors vote on their reviews. Chen Shuer spoke quickly. The audience's attention was pulled to the mentors, and the camera moved over reluctantly. The final of the Star Song Festival was much more formal than the previous competitions, and there was an added mentor critique session, where each mentor had to critique the voting first. The camera was given to Gao Yu, who looked at Xia Shuriyao and Miao Anquan on the stage, a difficult look showing on his face. To be honest, it's really hard to vote in the finals. Both of them sang very well in my opinion. It's a pity that this is a competition. If it wasn't a competition, I would definitely vote for both of you. Let me say a few words about my personal feelings. First of all, I'd like to say Miao Anjuan, you sang very well, no matter if it's your singing skills or your stage performance ability. It's all top-notch. And then let's talk about this song. This song to the back, there may be a lot of people who don't understand it too well, but in terms of a professional singer, the music in the back is what sublimates, perfectly presenting the repressed heart of a person who has gone through the torture of sickness and disease. Next, let's talk about Xia Shuriyao. For Xia Shuriyao's interpretation, I can only use the word perfect to describe it. Singing is perfect. The stage interpretation was perfect, directly pulling people into the mood of the song, making people want to stop, especially the moment when the swana and the song coexisted. My goosebumps rose. I'm now really curious as to what kind of monster Gu Xingyi is to be able to write such a song. So with this vote, I'm voting for Xia Shuriyao. As for Miao Anjuan, I can only say that it's not your problem. There's a difference in the song itself, a song that can be enjoyed by the whole nation, and a song that can only be appreciated by professionals at the back of the room. there's a gap in itself. Gao Yu commented on the performance of the two very professionally and cast his vote for Xia Shuriyao. A burst of applause erupted from the stage, apparently agreeing with Gao Yu's statement as well, and both Xia Shuriyao and Miao Anjuan were as calm as ever, bending down to give their thanks at the same time. Under the stage, Wu Fan's face was a bit ashen. As a professional lyricist, he certainly understood. In this one, it was him who had lost. The next three mentors, their reviews were no different from Gao Yu's, especially after the last incident. Nowadays, in the final, there were not even friendly votes. This also led to the number of votes for the final, which became 4-0. Wu Fan's face had turned white. Nowadays, he didn't even need the audience's last vote. The result was already doomed. Miserable defeat. The song he was so proud of had lost on this most crucial match. The results of the audience's votes also appeared on the big screen at this time, making it even more difficult for the already disheveled Wu Fan to accept. 88% of the audience voted for the song She, while his own song only had a pitiful 12% support rate. Adding insult to injury, this was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, causing Wu Fan to go into a trance. He regretted his momentary impulse to provoke that monster Gu Xingyi. Now in Wu Fan's eyes, Gu Xingyi was a non-human. Which normal human could be so all-powerful? Love songs? Children's songs? Even this kind of alternative song, he seemed to have it at his fingertips. What is this if not inhuman? Wu Fan still couldn't understand why Gu Xingyi had to keep a low profile for so long if he was so cowboyish. It's fun to pretend to be a pig and eat a tiger? On the stage, the host was announcing the keywords for the next song. But Wu Fan didn't listen to it at all. He staggered up and walked towards the outside. He knew that he wouldn't be the godfather of music from now on, and the following competition had nothing to do with him. The first match of the finals came to an end. Although the match had come to an end, the online buzz had just begun. After a week, the audience was once again greeted with a great song, and their happy faces were smiling crookedly. As usual, the clip of Xia Shuriyao's singing had long been high up on Sheikh's hot search. And unlike before, this time, everyone seemed to have unified their opinions, and the titles on the hot search list were all about the most beautiful ghost bride. Clicking on a random video, the real-time comments underneath were unusually enthusiastic. Xia Shuriyao is so beautiful. Suggest watching it under the covers. The effect is much better. Dog head to save your life. You and I were not meant to be, all because an old sick said you don't blink. I just want to ask, are your eyes dry? Upstairs, is it a question of dryness now? The most beautiful ghost bride. Unique. Only Xia Shuriyao belongs to her. I just want to know, isn't Gu Xingyi afraid of Xia Shuriyao when he sleeps with his arm around her at night? How dare a vertical sun break my Taoist heart? In contrast to the harmony on Jitterbug, Weibo was even more lively at this time, and the rhetoric was even more intense. Countless viewers had been suing Wu Fan, rubbing salt into his wounds. Where is the person? Where are the people? Wasn't he clamoring pretty hard before? Gu Xingyi, the godfather of music? This is it? I'm standing with Gu Xingyi this time. I advocate for folk music. Godfather Wu Fan. Don't play dead, come out and play. Ha 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 ha. Are you guys sick? Are Wu Fan's songs bad? Anyone who can bring us good songs deserves respect. No one said his songs are bad. It's him who placed the battle cry. He's the one who asked for trouble first. What? Only your Wu Fan is allowed to diss others, not us? You have to admit you made a mistake. Stand up straight when you're beaten. Losing is losing. In the midst of the online clamor, Wu Fan's microblog was finally updated with only a simple sentence. Skill is not as good as others. I am willing to give up the title of music godfather. At the same time, I apologize to Xia Shuriyao. I'm sorry, it's because I had eyes but no pearls before. Once this microblog came out, many people stopped verbally attacking him. Since people had done what they said, there was no need to hold on to him. It had to be said that Wu Fan was still very smart at this point. If he kept his mouth shut, what awaited him would definitely be a worse outcome. The moonlight was thick. When Xia Shuriyao came out from the backstage, she saw Gu Xingyi standing on the roadside with his cell phone quietly waiting for her. Seeing this scene, Tao Lei beside her covered her mouth and laughed a little, consciously taking the lead to leave. Gu Xingyi in the distance was looking at his cell phone, and he didn't even notice Xia Shuriyao until she walked up behind him. What are you looking at now? A sudden voice interrupted Gu Xingyi's thoughts. Gu Xingyi turned his head and saw Xia Shuriyao standing playfully behind him, both hands behind her back. Her appearance playful and cute, not at all the same kind of sadness as on the stage before. Reading the online comments, now the internet can call you the most beautiful ghost bride. Gu Xingyi smiled and waved the cell phone in his hand. Xia Shuriyao spat, her face slightly red. What the most beautiful ghost bride, said as if she had turned into a ghost. Really, it's all what they say, but I think, it's quite an image. Gu Xingyi thought Xia Shuriyao didn't believe it, and hurriedly handed her cell phone in front of her eyes to give her a personal look over. Then he exchanged a blank stare from Xia Shuriyao. No image? Gu Xingyi scratched his head. He did think it was very graphic. Xiao Shiryao kind of didn't want to care about this nerd anymore and turned around to walk towards the parking lot. Seeing this, Gu Xingyi hurriedly followed, the two of them just like this separated by a distance of 2 or 3 steps, one in front of the other. Walking not much farther, Xiao Shiryao suddenly stomped her foot, her cheeks puffing out in anger, turning her head to look at Gu Xingyi. Again. What again? A woman's heart, a needle in the bottom of the sea. Gu Xingyi felt that this sentence wasn't wrong at all at the moment. He couldn't understand Xiao Shiryao's meaning in the slightest. Seeing Gu Xingyi's confused look, Xiao Shiryao lightly bit her lips and whispered, "Nerd." In her heart, Gu Xingyi was getting dumber and dumber. Before Gu Xingyi could hear what she said, he saw Xiao Shiryao accompanied by a fragrant breeze, walking over head-on before hugging his arm. A soft touch once again came from his arm, and Gu Xingyi stiffened a little. "It's only right to cross your arm." Xiao Shiryao's small face slightly reddened as she said softly, then turned sideways to cross Gu Xingyi's arm. Gu Xingyi nodded mechanically and took a step forward, only this step, more or less unnatural, like a robot. Feeling Gu Xingyi's nervousness, Xiao Shiryao couldn't help but snicker. Originally, husband and wife walking together with their arms crossed was a very normal thing, but for some reason, Xiao Shiryao felt that this move seemed to be very awkward for Gu Xingyi. It was as if she was the robber and he was the coerced hostage, somewhat funny and somewhat cute. Gu Xingyi was now in pain and happy because of how he felt right now, and in pain because he couldn't do anything right now. Xiao Shiryao's previous move of holding his arm, to Gu Xingyi who has maintained a single dog career for decades, the stimulation is still quite big, if not for the fact that he has already had some skinship with Xiao Shiryao before, he suspected that he would have fled. The two of them walked all the way to the parking lot, but there was no sign of Tao Lele. Only after Xiao Shiryao made a phone call to inquire, did she realize that Tao Lele had actually taken a taxi on her own. And Tao Lele also quietly asked her on the phone if she still wants to go back to the apartment at night. Xiao Shiryao's face flushed red, looked at Gu Xingyi who was sitting in the co-pilot like a nerd, and replied to Tao Lele in a low voice. "I'm not going back tonight." Unlike last time, the hotel Gu Xingyi stayed at this time was very close to Xiao Shiryao's apartment. Even if she didn't drive, it only took a few minutes on foot to get there. The car drove straight to the hotel parking lot, and Gu Xingyi was a little puzzled. Why didn't she just drive straight to the artist's apartment downstairs? He deliberately picked this hotel for convenience, so that he wouldn't need Xiao Shiryao to send him back at night. He wouldn't feel comfortable with her being alone. Seeing that the car didn't show the slightest sign of turning, Gu Xingyi turned his head and looked at Xiao Shiryao. "Why don't we go straight back to the apartment? I'll just walk over by myself." Xiao Shiryao's face was flushed as she eyed ahead, not answering Gu Xingyi's words. It wasn't until the car was safely parked in the parking space that Gu Xingyi heard Xiao Shiryao's voice come through, a voice so light that it seemed like it could be blown away by a gust of wind. "The apartment key isn't with me." "No keys? Didn't Sister Yun and Tao Lele also live in apartments?" Gu Xingyi was still in between doubts when he saw Xiao Shiryao pull open the car door and get out of the car first, her head lowered, her expression unreadable under the night. Gu Xingyi hurriedly followed her out of the car. Just as he wanted to say something else, Xiao Shiryao had already taken a step towards the hotel. 5 minutes later, the two entered the hotel room together. Xiao Shiryao just briefly surveyed the room's arrangement before sitting on the bed. There wasn't too much inside the room, it was just a very ordinary king-size bedroom. "Aren't you going to call Sister Yun and the others?" Gu Xingyi closed the door behind him, his mouth still muttering. Sitting on the bed, Xiao Shiryao's face instantly turned an even shade of red as she hurriedly lowered her head, followed by a soft and sticky voice that reached Gu Xingyi's ears. "They're all sleeping, don't want to disturb them." Gu Xingyi let out an "oh," then suddenly reacted as an afterthought. Didn't that mean that it was just himself and Xiao Shiryao tonight? Sharing a room? No nai yet? Gu Xingyi subconsciously gave a jolt and looked towards Xiao Shiryao, who was sitting on the bed. Xiao Shiryao didn't continue to speak, she still had her head lowered, her 10 fingers tangled together, and her almond eyes didn't dare to look at him. The room quieted down, the atmosphere was a little awkward for a while. Although the two are husband and wife, but like this alone in a room time basically no, say Gu Xingyi, he is a little theoretical knowledge, pure love white. Although before in Xiao Shiryao had so 1 or 2 skin kisses, but are to the point, now this situation, he is really hemp claws. Ahem then. I'm going to take a bath. Gu Xingyi was a bit unable to stand the atmosphere, but he still spoke first. Xiao Shiryao just nodded. She was also nervous as hell in her heart. When she came here, she felt she was ready, but when she really arrived here, her heart was a mess. Until the bathroom door closing sound rang, then inside came the pattering sound of water. Xiao Shiryao eyelashes gently blinking, apricot eyes but flooded out some blank color. No one knows what she is now thinking. Gu Xingyi in the bathroom heart is equally unsettled. He over and over again the water rushed his body. Originally 5 minutes to wash a good bath. This time he washed a full 10 minutes. Will body water beads dry? Gu Xingyi tight body towel, only to take a deep breath, push open the bathroom door out. The water mist spread out from the bathroom, and in a haze, Gu Xingyi abruptly froze in place. because he saw that Xia Shiryao was still sitting on the bed, her head lowered, but her shoulders were trembling slightly, and crystalline teardrops continued to drip from her face to the ground. She was crying? Gu Xingyi's originally agitated heart instantly calmed down. From the bottom of his heart was flooded with a burst of heartache. He slowly walked over to Xia Shiryao and squatted down in front of her, stretching out his hands to hold her small face and lift it up, with a gentle gaze and an even gentler voice. Why are you still crying? Pretty face was cupped in the palm of her hand. Xia Shiryao's almond eyes flickered with dots of crystals, teardrops like broken raindrops, dripping down on Gu Xingyi's hand, somewhat warm. I. She opened her mouth, her voice tinged with a sobbing tone, and after only saying the word I, she could no longer speak. Only in those eyes, the little bit of guilt and hope hidden in them was taken in by Gu Xingyi, who froze for a moment. What does your wife want to say? Gu Xingyi gently wiped away the tear stains on Xia Shiryao's face with his fingers, but in the next second, new teardrops once again scratched across her white cheeks, creating a brand new shallow tear stain. Xia Shiryao was suddenly a little afraid to look directly at Gu Xingyi's such gentle gaze. She wanted to lower her head, but her small face was firmly controlled by Gu Xingyi's hands. I don't think I deserve you. Xia Shiryao suddenly cried out with a sobbing voice, her tears surging even more as she closed her eyes, not daring to look at Gu Xingyi's pure and clean black eyes again. I know it all, you're not, but I'm still harboring selfishness, but I still like you, but I still want to keep you by my side. The closer I get to you the more I'm scared. I've done my best. Why? With her eyes closed like this, with a sobbing voice, she kept telling the secrets hidden in her heart. The tears fell one by one onto Gu Xingyi's hand, and that pearly little face in his hand made Gu Xingyi's heart shrink slightly as he watched. He gently stroked Xia Shiryao's small face and softly interrupted her words. Your wife is wrong, you know it, I know it too, but I'm honored to be liked by such a you. You don't know right, since I was a child, I've never been chosen by someone so firmly. In fact, I'm the same as your wife. I used to be a person with very low self-esteem. Maybe this is a common disease of orphans? I've never had a heart for anyone else, and I've never had anyone have a heart for me. Gu Xingyi's soft voice echoed in her ears. Xia Shiryao slowly opened her eyes, staring blankly at Gu Xingyi's near face. The warmth in the depths of his eyes seemed to melt her. Until I met you guys, I didn't know that I would also have a heart for someone. In fact, I'm really happy to hear these words from your wife. Because I clearly know that Xia Shiryao likes me. I've always felt that the sentence you said before was right. Some encounters, some likes, are destined to happen. The heavens have allowed me to come to your wife's side. This is a marriage arranged by the heavens. It can't be helped. God arranges the greatest. Really? Really? Xia Shiryao's misty eyes blinked, quietly looking at Gu Xingyi's good-looking face, listening to what he said, and seeing Gu Xingyi pause, she said with a sobbing, soft voice. Gu Xingyi stroked Xia Shiryao's small face again, pretending to exaggerate. Of course it's true. Think about it, heavenly arrangement, isn't it big enough? Immediately after that he continued. In fact, which is who is not worthy of who. When I was with my wife's honor, I was also nervous. The most beautiful ghost bride, I'm just an ordinary person. My wife is so good, I have to work hard too. As for why I like you, I think, apart from the arrangement of heaven, there are also the bits and pieces of being together with my wife's honor. The love I aspire to is never sensational, but as gentle as water and plain as my wife's honor. Gu Xingyi spoke with a smile on his face as he locked eyes with Xia Shiryao. Xia Shiryao looked at this gentle smile in front of her, pursed her small mouth, and in the next second, she suddenly stretched out her hands and wrapped them around Gu Xingyi's neck. The soft touch came again. The two completely understood each other's feelings at this moment. It should be a good time for the scene, to spend the rest of their lives together with white heads. The deep and romantic long kiss made Xia Shiryao about to suffocate. In the end, she still pushed Gu Xingyi's chest, and only then did the two of them separate. Xia Shiryao covered her face, only feeling as if she was going to burn, or else why was her face rolling? Even Gu Xingyi's gaze changed from warm to hot, making her look down and not dare to look at him again. Gu Xingyi looked at Xia Shiryao's appearance and gently exhaled. His voice was a little hoarse when he spoke again. Your wife's kiss, it's so passionate that it catches you off guard. Xia Shiryao's face turned even redder. She pursed her lips slightly. She only felt that the Gu Xingyi in front of her eyes was getting more and more beat up, typical of getting a bargain and still selling her good behavior. You get out of the way. Gu Xingyi crouched in place, not moving. Xia Shiryao raised her small face, glaring at her almond eyes and pouting her small mouth, living like a bullied rabbit. I'm going to take a bath. Legs are numb. Gu Xingyi laughed bitterly. It wasn't that he didn't want to move, it was just that he had squatted for too long and his legs were numb. Xia Shiryao snorted out a laugh, looking at Gu Xingyi and blinking. Oh, he wasn't owed a beating, he was just a nerd. Gu Xingyi scratched his head, feeling that his stamina value had suffered a serious questioning. He sat on his butt on the ground, soothed himself and hurriedly climbed up and moved to the side. He really couldn't figure out why he worked out every day, which only squatted for a while his legs were numb. Could it be that the exercise is not enough? Xia Shiryao bath to go. Gu Xingyi, this will be wrapped in the body of the bath towel off. he did not bring pajamas. After thinking for a while, he only wore a pantsuit into the quilt. This wait is half an hour, straight while Gu Xingyi waiting up yawn. Gu Xingyi couldn't figure out why it took so long for a girl to take a bath. So long, enough for him to wash 10 times 8 times. He took his cell phone and set an alarm. Tomorrow morning he had to go back to Jiangcheng. In 2 days it would be the first day of school, and the kindergarten's orientation meeting would be held soon. After waiting for a while, Gu Xingyi was already a little confused, and the bathroom door opened. Xia Shiyao stepped in small steps. Her cheeks did not know whether it was steamed by the heat, or shy, red. She wiped the hair that had just been dried by the hairdryer, while carefully glancing at Gu Xingyi on the bed. The two people's lines of sight collided right in front of each other. Gu Xingyi's eyes gradually clearing, Xia Shiyao subconsciously tightened the bath towel on her body. You're still awake? Listen, is this human language? Gu Xingyi was somewhat speechless, but he still said with a serious face, I'm afraid that your wife will be vaporized in the bathroom. Xia Shiyao looked at the mirth in Gu Xingyi's eyes and pursed her lips. This wolfish ambition of his, it's almost obvious, but he's still pretending to be so serious. She paused in place, momentarily a little unsure of what to do. What are you waiting for? Sleep. Looking at Xia Shiyao's overwhelmed appearance, Gu Xingyi wanted to snicker. Well, Xia Shiyao agreed, forced herself to walk to the bed and sat down, and in the next second, only to hear a snap sound, the room's lights were turned off by her. The room was shrouded in darkness. Before Gu Xingyi could react, the quilt on his body was lifted up, and a soft and boneless body smoothly drilled into his arms. Feeling the warmth and smoothness in his arms, Gu Xingyi didn't dare to move for a second. Both of them were not wearing a piece of silk on their bodies right now, so it was really a skin-to-skin relationship. In the darkness, Gu Xingyi could hear her slightly rapid breathing. The two men's bodies were close together, both a little stiff. Hold me. It was only after a long time that Xia Shiyao's muffled voice came from under the covers. Oh. Gu Xingyi gulped and forced himself to calm down, stretching out his hands and wrapping them around Xia Shiyao in his arms. Xia Shiyao also obediently wrapped her arms around his neck, burrowing her little head out of the quilt. It was at this moment that Gu Xingyi truly felt it. The original arm's previous feeling really didn't lie to him. It turns out it really is that big. Nerd. Seeing that Gu Xingyi was like a robot that would only do things on command, Xia Shiyao spoke softly. What? The voice was so small that Gu Xingyi didn't even hear it. I said you're Gu Dork. Inside the dark room, the two of them gradually adapted their sight to the current environment. Xia Shiyao's cheeks were flushed, but she tilted her head without fear, staring at Gu Xingyi's near face. Gu Xingyi looked down to see Xia Shiyao's watery almond eyes in the darkness, and the two of them locked eyes. Even if you're a dork, then you're still a dork's wife. With Xia Shiyao's words, Gu Xingyi was finally no longer so rushed, and with a smile in his eyes, he wrapped his arms around Xia Shiyao a little tighter. Xia Shiyao looked like she saw the laughter in his eyes. She pouted her little mouth for a moment to think, and flew up and nudged Gu Xingyi's lips, then quickly withdrew. Gu Xingyi, I'm actually scared tonight. I've been afraid of the dark since I was a kid, and I'm also afraid of ghosts, and when I sang tonight, I was scared in my heart, but once I thought of you right below, I wasn't so scared. I thought that even if it's a ghost bride, it's still your bride, and thinking about it like that, I'm still a little happy about it. And then after that, after coming back with you, I was scared again. Xia Shiyao spoke in broken words, and Gu Xingyi listened in peace and quiet. Until Xia Shiyao finished speaking, she tilted her head to look at Gu Xingyi again, like she didn't want to let her eyes leave him for a moment. So you're stupid. Gu Xingyi laughed and lowered his head to kiss Xia Shiyao on her forehead. But a fool with a nerd is still more than enough. Alright, don't be afraid, I'll use the rest of my life to prove that I'm always by your side. So, good night? Hearing Gu Xingyi's good night and looking at his eyes with a smile, Xia Shiyao froze. She wanted to cry a little again. Gu Xingyi's warmth was by her side at all times. Xia Shiyao buried her small face between Gu Xingyi's neck, never wanting to come out again. Good night. This was the last sentence Gu Xingyi heard Xia Shiyao say tonight, and it was also the one that put him most at ease. Too many things had happened tonight, from the match to the hotel room. Xia Shiyao's spirit had been in a tense state, and she had just closed her eyes for a short while before quickly falling asleep. This was difficult for Gu Xingyi. The hot and delicate body in his arms made him sleepless at all now. But he didn't regret that he didn't do anything. There are some things that should be done at the most suitable time. Tonight Xia Shiyao's mood was obviously not right, and her readiness to be ready wasn't really a readiness to be ready. Gu Xingyi was in this kind of lustful torture, stayed up until more than 3 in the morning, before he managed to sleep. Early the next morning, Gu Xingyi's biological clock failed in a rare way. He was woken up by the timed alarm clock. Gu Xingyi turned off the alarm clock in a daze, and when he retracted his hand back into the comforter, he felt a softness in his hand. Moreover, one hand couldn't hold it at all. Gu Xingyi subconsciously pinched it, then woke up abruptly. When he opened his eyes, he saw that Xia Shiyao's face was already red, and a pair of almond eyes were looking at him with watery eyes. Young life. He really didn't do it on purpose. Gu Xingyi felt certain that he couldn't explain it anyway. Do you believe me when I say I didn't do it on purpose? Gu Xingyi blinked with an innocent face and looked at Xia Shuriyao's red little face. Still, don't take it away yet. Xia Shuriyao's eyes were like water, filled with shyness, her voice soft and sticky. Gu Xingyi unnaturally retracted his hand, and there was still some pity in his heart. This felt simply too good. Then get up? Speaking of getting up, Gu Xingyi was still a little reluctant to give up. The delicate body in his arms made him want to stay in bed forever. The spring night is short and the sun rises high. From now on, the king does not have an early morning court. Now he finally deeply understood the meaning of this poem. With such a beauty in his arms, even the emperor would have to kneel when he came. You rise first. Xia Shuriyao had already buried her head into the quilt in shame at this moment, her muffled voice coming from the quilt. Last night's move had used up all her courage. Now in broad daylight, she no longer had the courage to be that natural with Gu Xingyi. Oh! Gu Xingyi scratched his head and finally got out of this warm comforter, scurrying to the bathroom in a puff of smoke. To be honest, the first time he met Frankly, he was shy too. Waiting for Gu Xingyi to enter the bathroom, Xia Shuriyao then drilled her head out and looked in the direction of the bathroom, smiling. But soon, she couldn't smile anymore. A pretty face was rapidly filling with blood. She suddenly remembered that her clothes were still all in the bathroom. Gu Xingyi quickly put on his clothes and walked out from the bathroom. In his hands, he held a few pieces of neatly folded clothes and walked to the bedside. He looked at Xia Shuriyao's small face that had already burrowed out of the quilt, bent down and placed the clothes on the bed, smiling. Nah, the clothes have been brought over for you. I'm going to go wash up first. Wait. Gu Xingyi was just about to get up when Xia Shuriyao suddenly made a sound, followed by a jade arm reaching out from the comforter and tugging him in. Gu Xingyi only felt a piece of white tenderness come close in front of his eyes, and then Xia Shuriyao's small mouth came up, pecked lightly on his own mouth and flew away again. Reward. Xia Shuriyao's muffled voice came from the comforter once again. Gu Xingyi licked his lips, helplessly smiling bitterly. This Xia Shuriyao, doesn't she know her own charm? Early in the morning so seduced himself, not afraid of his own beast? Well, he is now being eaten to death. Wait for it. In the future, there will be a good look at her. Gu Xingyi thought fiercely, before turning around and going back to the bathroom to take another cold shower. It wasn't until half an hour later that the two who had finished washing up walked out of the hotel and drove to the artist's apartment. Then Gu Xingyi saw that Xia Shuriyao took out the apartment key from the bag she was carrying and opened the door to the apartment. Xia Shuriyao didn't seem to feel anything wrong at all as she walked straight in, and as soon as she turned her head, she saw Gu Xingyi staying at the door, looking at herself with strange eyes. Why are you gawking? Xia Shuriyao blinked her eyes, somewhat puzzled. Keys? Gu Xingyi's mouth hangs a smile and raises an eyebrow. He has read such a paragraph in his original life. 1 sip before marriage, 1,000 cups after marriage, so it's true? Xia Shuriyao looked down at the key in her hand with some bewilderment. The next second she reacted violently. A touch of redness quickly took over her cheeks. The scene was a little awkward for a moment. Fortunately at this time, Tao Lele brought Nai Nai out from the room, and when she saw Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao, an ambiguous smile rose on Tao Lele's face. Good morning, Sister Shuriyao, hey. Little Nai Nai also quickly struggled out of Tao Lele's arms and quickly pounced to Xia Shuriyao's side, hugging her thighs and lifting her little head to look at Xia Shuriyao accusingly. The little guy didn't see mom and dad all night, last night, or Tao Lele coaxed half a day to sleep. Mommy, where did you and daddy go off? The appearance of the two of them broke the previous awkward atmosphere. Xia Shuriyao hurriedly picked up Nai Nai. Didn't go anywhere. Mom and dad aren't both here. Xia Shuriyao scraped the little one's nose, busy calming her down. But Auntie Lele said that you and daddy have gone to the world of two and don't want Nai Nai anymore. Oh? Xia Shuriyao froze again, then looked at Tao Lele with murderous eyes. Tao Lele was busy snorting and her eyes wandered. Sister Shiodo hasn't eaten breakfast yet, right? I've already made it. I'll go serve it over here. With those words, Tao Lele hurriedly walked away. She felt that if she didn't, she would be GA'd on the spot by Shioyo-san. Not long after, the delicious meal was served on the table by Tao Lele. A few people sat at the table. Gu Xingyi picked up a spoon and fed Nai Nai. Xia Shuriyao looked around and looked at Tao Lele and asked, Where's Sister Yun? How come I don't see her? It's already 9 o'clock. At this hour, Sister Yun must have gotten up long ago. Sister Yun went to the company early in the morning. The company side of things are not all Cloud Sister hand over well. Xia Shuriyao heard the words in her heart even warmer. After coming to Soundsi Entertainment, Tao Lele and Sister Yun have been busy for themselves. No matter it is life or work, the two of them can always deal with it very well. In fact, in Tao Lele and Sister Yun's hearts, they felt just as happy about being Xia Shuriyao's manager and assistant. Like other artists, their agents and assistants would be much busier, helping the artist with jobs and business negotiations, publicity and packaging, and clothing, food, shelter and transportation, etc. were all done by the agents and assistants. But when it came to Xia Shuriyao's side, basically they didn't need to worry too much about all these, because behind Xia Shuriyao, there was Gu Xingyi, who brought her own hot searches and songs. Moreover, the share Xia Shuriyao gave them was much more than anyone else, who could not be happy when meeting such a star. After the meal, Xia Shuriyao held Nai Nai, Gu Xingyi drove, and the family embarked on the journey home in one piece. Tomorrow is the time for Nai Nai to start school, this kind of important moment, Xia Shuriyao said nothing to miss. So, there were only two of them when they came, and they became a family when they went back. Fortunately, Gu Xingyi signed a free contract at the highest level, otherwise, like other celebrities, where can they do whatever they want so freely? Just as Gu Xingyi's family was happily driving on the road back to Jiangchang, a haggard-looking woman had just stepped out of the door of the detention center. Lu Qian looked at the empty suburban road, her eyes hazy, because of the last incident, she was detained for 15 whole days. Now that she came out again, surprisingly not a single person came to pick her up. The company has terminated her contract, now she has nothing. Lu Qian stood on the side of the road like this, took out the cell phone that had just returned to her hands from the file bag, and pressed the on button with force. She now couldn't wait to know if Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao had fallen out because of the last incident. She believed that once they had fallen out, Xia Shuriyao without Gu Xingyi wouldn't be able to make any waves in the muddy waters of the entertainment industry. Since she was already finished, she would never let Xia Shuriyao be better off. Early the next morning, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao both got up early, and like any other parents sending their children to school for the first time, they were all in a flurry. Hey your wife, don't pack the princess house inside. Nana won't be able to carry it. Doll bring it, that one's light. Nai Nai will be back from school this afternoon, no need to pack so many snacks for the other kids? Okay. Yesterday the two deliberately prepared a small cartoon book bag for little Nai Nai. Now inside the small book bag, has been stuffed by Xia Shuriyao bulging. On this Xia Shuriyao is not satisfied, still frowning, fretful looking at the things on the table. Gu Xingyi stood beside, cannot help but some head, he felt Xia Shuriyao some fuss. Nai Nai is to go to school, but not to celebrate the new year. The two were busy for a while before dragging the still sleeping Nai Nai up for dinner. The little one's eyes were not completely open, passively letting Gu Xingyi brush her teeth, and letting Xia Shuriyao organize her hair. Until she sat down at the dining table, little Nai Nai's little head was little by little. After the meal, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao changed into decent clothes, one holding Nai Nai, the other carrying a small school bag, and hurried out of the house. It was already 7:40 now, and they had to enter the park at 8 a.m. When Gu Xingyi parked the car in the parking lot next to the kindergarten, the three of them got off the car and saw that Jianghua Kindergarten was completely different from the last time Gu Xingyi came. Under the early morning sunlight, the front of the kindergarten was bustling with parents bringing their children to school, and even inside the kindergarten, there were colorful flags flying, a thriving scene. This makes Gu Xingyi a little trance. He crossed over from July to the 1st of September now, just almost 2 months' time. He seems to have completely integrated into this place, also into the role of a father. Little Nai Nai had also completely woken up at this time. She was lying in Xia Shuriyao's arms, curiously looking at the kindergarten entrance of those barfing and crying children. In her heart, those kids about her age were not good at all. Because Dad said, the kids who go to kindergarten and don't cry are the good kids. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao only paused for a moment before hugging Nai Nai and walking inside the kindergarten with the army of parents. Inside the kindergarten, one by one, the kindergarten teachers were greeting the parents and children of their classes, and Gu Xingyi hadn't gone far before he saw Su Ling and Lu Dan, warmly receiving the children's parents with smiles on their faces. Su Ling was smiling and talking to one of the parents when she turned her head and saw Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao walking towards her with little Nai Nai. Su Ling spoke with Lu Dan by her side, who continued to speak with the parents as Su Ling hurriedly greeted them. Xingyao Dad, Xingyao Mom, you guys are here, quickly come this way. In a moment when the parents and kids arrive, we'll go to the class first. This time when they met, Su Ling even changed her address, from addressing Mr. Gu to Xingyao Dad, which also represented that in the future, Nai Nai officially became a member of this kindergarten. Gu Xingyao nodded and followed Su Ling as she walked to the group of parents of primary 3 class. The nearby parents greeted the two of them in a friendly manner, and there were also some parents who saw the two of them with a hint of surprise in their eyes, which then turned to joy, clearly recognizing the two of them. Being in the same class as a celebrity child, or Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao, who had been the hottest topic of conversation lately, they would have something to talk about with their friends and family when they returned. Not long after, parents with their children all arrived, Su Ling and Lu Dan in front of the lead, a line of people voluminous toward the small classroom 3 classroom. Arriving at the classroom, the children all sat on small stools, while the parents were arranged to sit uniformly at the back. Su Ling and Lu Dan stood in front and introduced themselves with a smile. Hello children, my name is Su Ling. From now on I will be your teacher in kindergarten, you can call me Ms. Su. Hello children, my name is Lu Dan, you can call me Teacher Lu. The children on the small bench below obviously didn't listen carefully, they shook their little bodies, and some of them directly stood up and ran into their mother's arms, and were awkwardly lifted back to the small bench by the parent. Little Nai Nai was very good sitting on the small stool shaking his little legs, big eyes blinking looking at the two teachers on the stage. Then Gu Xingyi saw that a chubby little boy sitting next to Nai Nai suddenly turned his head to look at Nai Nai. "I've seen you before. You came out of a cell phone, right?" Nai Nai was filled with pride when he heard this. "Yeah, my dad's pretty awesome. He can put me in a cell phone." The chubby boy pouted his little lips when he heard this and gave his dad a disgruntled twist of his head as if he was angry that his dad couldn't put him in his cell phone. But he quickly twisted his chubby little face back and raised his little head. "My daddy is good too. He can make yummy food. And he's especially good at eating. My daddy is especially good at eating too. My daddy can eat a pig." The two little ones suddenly bickered on this topic for some reason, and Gu Xingyi listened with interest, even as some of the other parents' gazes were drawn to the two. That was until they heard that little fatty shout out, "My dad can eat shit." In the group of parents, a chubby man's smiling face suddenly became stiff. The beautiful woman beside him secretly covered her mouth and laughed, and Gu Xingyi's heart lifted. He was afraid that the next sentence little Nai Nai would come up with an even more explosive one. Fortunately, little Nai Nai didn't. She tilted her little head to think and said with slight regret, "Then your dad is so awesome. My dad can't." Phew. Gu Xingyi let out a long sigh of relief, then smiled in relief. "It is really a sweet little cotton jacket, this warmth quality, bar none." Xia Shiyao also snickered, as she saw Gu Xingyi was just so nervous that he was about to stand up. Su Ling and Lu Dan on the stage were still working hard to interact with the children, until the orientation meeting finally started. They both breathed a sigh of relief. Every year at this time, it was the time they worked the hardest. The Welcome Assembly is a special event organized by Jianghua Kindergarten to welcome every new child entering the kindergarten, and it is held on the green artificial lawn of the kindergarten. Parents basically watched the whole event, and the teachers led the children to play various games to make it easier for them to get familiar with each other. Interspersed with this were performances of children's songs by each class. While primary 3 teachers Su Ling and Lu Dan quickly led the children in singing Two Tigers, the teachers of the other classes were still trying to teach the children in their own classes the children's songs. Many of the teachers looked over to primary 3, listening to the neat children's songs. They drooled with envy. They also wanted such simple and catchy children's songs to quickly teach the children. Xia Shiyao stood beside Gu Xingyi, looking at Nai Nai who was singing along with the children, a happy smile rising on her face. She turned her head to look at Gu Xingyi's side face again, her almond eyes filled with tenderness. Jianghua Kindergarten's orientation ended, the children all returned to their classrooms along with their teachers, and now it was time for the parents to separate from their own children. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao hid behind the window, looking at their own little Nai Nai, their hearts breaking, only to see that Nai Nai no longer had the curiosity and happiness she had when she first arrived. Now she was, a tiny one, sitting on a small stool, hugging her little legs, her long eyelashes fluttering, her big watery eyes, and her aggrieved little mouth deflated. Unlike other children's crying and fussing, she just sat there quietly and obediently, her golden peas falling down drop by drop. Gu Xingyi's heart felt a burst of heartache at this scene. He had the urge to rush in and take Nai Nai home. This kindergarten, not on it. Xia Shiyao beside him gently tugged on his sleeve. He turned his head to look. Xia Shiyao lowered her head, her soft voice with a hint of strength. "Let's go. Every child is meant to go through this moment." Gu Xingyi was silent for a moment, and finally nodded. He glanced at Nai Nai in the classroom again, then took Xia Shiyao's hand and walked towards the kindergarten entrance. The sunlight was a bit harsh, and Gu Xingyi's mood wasn't very beautiful. Not being able to see Nai Nai aggravated was one aspect, but most importantly, it was as if he had seen Xia Shiyao's shadow as a child across time from little Nai Nai. Xia Shiyao as a child would only be more sad than the current Nai Nai, right? Without the company of family members, a small person sitting alone on a small stool, but quiet, not noisy, and then sad can only deflate the small mouth, nowhere to talk about it. Nai Nai not only has eyes like Xia Shiyao, but even her character is somewhat similar to Xia Shiyao. Seeing the slightest thing is knowing the slightest thing. What made Gu Xingyi sad was this: Xia Shiyao's personality as a child would only be more well-behaved than Nai Nai. Instead of being well-behaved, she would be careful to look at people's faces and try to make herself as well-behaved as possible, so much so that when she grew up, she was even more gentle as water, timid and cowardly, as if she was going against the grain on everything. Just like last time, even her love for him was careful, even wanting to dedicate her body to express her love. Gu Xingyi's heart was hard to the extreme at the moment. He didn't want to see her like this. He wanted her to live a little more self-centered. He wanted her to cry when she wanted to cry, to make a scene when she wanted to make a scene, and to say whatever she wanted to say. But Gu Xingyi didn't know what to do. He could only hold her hand and go home. When they got home, neither of them was obviously very excited. Gu Xingyi turned on the TV and casually clicked on an entertainment program, wanting to relax, and Xia Shiyao took her cell phone and nestled aside, not knowing who she was messaging. The entertainment program on TV was very general. Gu Xingyi just watched it for a couple of moments, and then had no interest in watching it again. He turned his head to look at Xia Shiyao, and compared to the TV, it was obvious that Xia Shiyao was more eye-catching. Compared to Gu Xingyi just where to that moment, after nearly 2 months of time conditioning, now Xia Shiyao obviously have some meat, before that time, simply too thin. Now, Gu Xingyi looked at Xia Shiyao wearing a flowery dress, couldn't help but grab her calf and put it on her thigh, and pinched the meat on her calf's stomach with her hand. Well, very good. The sense of touch is good. Xia Shiyao was startled by Gu Xingyi's sudden action and let out a cry of shock. Her entire body sat up straight and looked at him in some panic. You, what are you doing? I'm your husband, what are you afraid of? I was just looking to see if you've gained some weight, and am satisfied with the results. Sure enough, you've put on a lot of weight. Gu Xingyi had a serious face. Xia Shiyao glanced at Gu Xingyi with a skeptical gaze. Could he not tell without getting on his hands? But the feeling of lying halfway on Gu Xingyi's lap with her legs like this seemed to be quite comfortable. Xia Shiyao looked at Gu Xingyi with a wary gaze for a while longer, and found that he really didn't seem to have any other ideas, before she continued to look at her cell phone again. Gu Xingyi looked at her white feet were still moving around restlessly, obviously at this moment her heart was still a little nervous. Gu Xingyi continued to look like a gentleman, but a pair of hands were gently rubbing the belly of her calf. The comfortable feeling made Xia Shiyao unable to concentrate on her cell phone. Her eyelashes blinked rapidly, but she still pretended to be calm as she fiddled with her cell phone. On the contrary, Gu Xingyi was very cozy. Xia Shiyao's calf, the touch is not too good. It really is a series of leg play yara. Unfortunately, this enjoyable moment didn't last long, and it was time to make lunch. I'm going to cook. Gu Xingyi retracted his hand with slight regret, placed Xia Shiyao's calf on the sofa, stood up and said, then walked towards the kitchen. Xia Shiyao raised her eyes and watched Gu Xingyi walk away. Her eyes also had reluctance. Thinking of lunch, she thought of Nai Nai again. She didn't know if Nai Nai was used to eating the meals there at the kindergarten. After all, Gu Xingyi's cooking was really delicious. The little one's clothes and other things are all prepared by her. Water cups and tableware, including bedding, are uniformly issued by the kindergarten. Xia Shiyao was thinking about Nai Nai. The cell phone in her hand suddenly rang at this time. Xia Shiyao turned back to look at it. It was a call from Sister Yun. Just now she was still chatting with Sister Yun on WeChat about the company's business. Now how come she suddenly called? Hello? Sister Yun, what's wrong? Is there something urgent? Xia Shiyao picked up the phone. She knew that Sister Yun normally wouldn't call her like this to talk without something important. Hey, Shiyao, there is indeed something over here to ask you. There are still a few days left for the second match of the finals. This time we are going to invite a guest to assist in the singing. The company asked if you have any intended guest. If not, they will invite a veteran singer from their own company to assist in the singing for you. Xia Shiyao was silent for a moment after hearing this. Her left hand placed at her side unconsciously clenched the corner of her coat. Sister Yun, you know, this time the keyword is love song duet. I have the intended person. You're talking about Gu Xingyi, right? Sister Yun's slightly tired voice came from the receiver. Xia Shiyao pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Shiyao, have you thought about it? You know that Gu Xingyi isn't a professional singer. Comparing to those veteran singers' singing skills and stage performance ability, Gu Xingyi doesn't have any advantage. Also, did you talk to Gu Xingyi about this matter? Did he agree? Listening to Sister Yun's words, Xia Shiyao raised her eyes to look at Gu Xingyi's busy figure in the kitchen. Sister Yun, you know. Xia Shiyao paused. She didn't finish her sentence. She knew that Sister Yun understood what she meant. You are always so heartbreaking. How good to change this character. Good, then I'll decline for you on the company side. As for Gu Xingyi, forget it. I won't worry about you two's affairs. Sister Yun only wants you to be happy. Sister Yun said in a somewhat doting manner. Xia Shiyao plopped her little legs on the sofa, rubbing her calf tummy that had just been rubbed by Gu Xingyi, and glancing at the back of that busy person in the kitchen. Softly said, will do. The phone hung up. Xia Shiyao was a bit dazed. There was actually a sentence in her heart that she didn't say. That is, I'm already happy. Gu Xingyi was concentrating on choosing vegetables. The leaves in his hand were suddenly snatched by a jade hand. It turned out to be Xia Shiyao who walked in without saying a word. She was seriously choosing the vegetables, and squeezed right next to Gu Xingyi, not bothering to look at him. Smelling the familiar fresh scent coming from Xia Shiyao's body, and looking at her little face that was red for some reason, Gu Xingyi smiled, and moved his body slightly to one side, so that the two of them could stand a little more comfortably. Old hubby, did you get inspired for the song? Gu Xingyi, who was in the middle of chopping vegetables, shook his hand and almost cut his finger. He stubbed his ears in disbelief and turned his head to look at Xia Shiyao, whose pretty face was already so red that it seemed to be dripping blood. What did you call me? Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, Xia Shiyao was so shy that she was about to bury her small face into the vegetable pot, and her hand became a bit flustered as she chose the vegetables, turning the leaves into pieces of varying sizes. She suddenly felt that Gu Xingyi was so bad. Obviously she had already heard it clearly, but she had to make her say it again. Hubby. Xia Shiyao pinched the vegetable leaf in her hand, like it was the Gu Xingyi in front of her, but she still struggled to say it again.
This husband sounded like heavenly music in Gu Xingyi's ears, making him feel as if his entire body had loosened up in an instant.
Gu Xingyi's face instantly turned into a smile, and even his voice drifted a bit. Why did your wife suddenly remember to ask about the song? Just asking. Let me think.
Gu Xingyi looked at the vegetable leaves in the basin that had already been torn to shreds by Xia Shiyao, and after thinking carefully, he suddenly understood why Xia Shiyao had acted this way.
After thinking about it, Gu Xingyi's gaze flickered for a moment, his complexion becoming somewhat complicated.
For Xia Shiyao to be able to call him her husband, he was naturally pleasantly surprised. Just like the last time in the hotel, he was looking forward to these surprises. But this was different. Although it was all willingly by her, the starting point was different. She was pleasing herself again.
Gu Xingyi suddenly wanted to cry a little. This idiot, every time she expresses her love, does she have to use this way?
Careful, like a stray kitten that was picked up and brought home. It made Gu Xingyi's heart ache, but he didn't know how to go about it. Xia Shiyao waited for a few moments, but did not wait for Gu Xingyi's reply. Her heart was a little flustered. She wanted to raise her head to look at Gu Xingyi, but she was a little afraid to do so. Another short while passed. Xia Shiyao felt Gu Xingyi beside her move. In the next second, her body was suddenly wrapped in his warm embrace, and the sound of Gu Xingyi's gentle words came from her ears.
I've already thought of a song. After dinner, I'll write it down and give it to you, okay?
Gu Xingyi's warm breath hit her ears. Xia Shiyao's body stiffened for a moment before quickly softening. Such an intimate move made her legs a little soft.
Okay.
At this time, she had completely forgotten what she should say. Gu Xingyi only hugged her gently for a bit before letting go of Xia Shiyao, mainly because such a soft and sticky Xia Shiyao was too tantalizing. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to resist wanting to bully her.
A lunch, hard dragged an hour to finish.
On the table, Xia Shiyao was a bit stuffy. She ate her rice in small bites, her mouth bulging. Just now in the kitchen she still had a lot to say before her thoughts were disrupted by Gu Xingyi's sudden movements.
The darned Gu dork was still laughing across the room right now.
After the meal, Xia Shiyao took the initiative to take on the job of cleaning up the hygiene, while Gu Xingyi, on the other hand, went to the study. He seemed to have already thought of what to do. Although this would aggravate Xia Shiyao for a little while, but he believed that after this Xia Shiyao would naturally call out for her husband, not in this situation. Xia Shiyao nestled on the sofa after washing the dishes. She looked at the direction of the study and froze. There was some hope and some withdrawal in her eyes. In the end she pursed her lips, and only loving tenderness remained in her eyes.
This time there was a long wait until after 4 in the afternoon. Only then did Gu Xingyi walk out from the study with 2 pieces of paper. He looked at Xia Shiyao's eyes that suddenly glowed a little. The hand holding the curved paper unconsciously got a little harder. Her careful love was so heartbreaking and helpless to him.
Gu Xingyi forced up a smile and walked over to sit beside her.
Look at it, love song duet. I'm familiar with it.
Xia Shiyao took the song paper in Gu Xingyi's hand. She was now not surprised by his creative ability, and was not surprised at all. She just quickly scanned the lyrics and the music score, and knew that the song was still good. Gu Xingyi never seemed to disappoint when it came to lyrics and music, and his lyrics and music could always mesmerize people. But Xia Shiyao didn't have the heart to think about that right now. She just glanced at the love song in her hands that fit the keywords so well, and her eyes rested on Gu Xingyi's body and she couldn't move away. The anticipation that showed in her eyes was clear at a glance. But Gu Xingyi acted as if he didn't see it, as he stretched out, his eyes drifting away. Xia Shiyao bit her lip. The anticipation in her eyes turned into loss. She looked down at the lyrics in her hand again, and was a little aggravated. She wanted to sing this song with dumb Gu.
We're going to invite guests for this final.
Xia Shiyao raised her head, cupping the song script paper in her hands, her voice soft. Hubby, I don't have any guest singers. Gu Xingyi's body trembled for a moment, his heart beating even harder because of Xia Shiyao's soft husband and the aggression in her voice. He tried to tilt his head up and not look at her. He was afraid that he would fall into her gentleness all of a sudden.
It's fine, this kind of thing will definitely be resolved by sound and sea entertainment.
Gu Xingyi stretched his back to hide his expression as he said in a light tone. Xia Shiyao bit her lip harder. She lowered her head, not daring to let Gu Xingyi see the watery mist that had risen in her eyes. The room quieted down for a moment, and both of them stopped speaking. Gu Xingyi kept waiting for Xia Shiyao to open her mouth, but after waiting for a long time, she still didn't speak.
I'm going to pick up Nai first.
Gu Xingyi took a deep breath and looked at the time. He still didn't bother to look at Xia Shiyao. He directly stood up and walked towards the door. Xia Shiyao just watched as Gu Xingyi's back disappeared in the doorway before the door was closed. She just sat quietly on the sofa, deflating her little mouth and silently dropping tears as Nai, who was sitting in the classroom before. A child who can't cry will never have candy to eat. Gu Xingyi suddenly remembered this saying as he leaned on the doorframe, his dark eyes revealing some sadness. Arriving at the entrance of the Jianghua kindergarten, Gu Xingyi didn't have to wait long before the school bell came out from inside. Rows of children followed their own teachers and cheerfully came to the parents' waiting area, and Gu Xingyi received Nai as he had hoped.
Compared to the morning, Nai-Nai's mood was obviously much better. Her little face was already overflowing with smiles, obviously having been coaxed by Su Ling and Lu Dan, these kindergarten teachers. Coaxing children is really something. When Nai-Nai saw her father, she jumped over with her short legs. Gu Xingyi smoothly picked her up and left a fragrant kiss on her little face. Nai-Nai looked around again, then her big eyes blinked in confusion as she looked at her daddy. Daddy, why didn't mommy come to pick up Nai-Nai? Gu Xingyi was instantly choked. Could he say that mommy was bullied by daddy and cried at home? Back at home, Xia Shiyao has already made dinner. Now that Nai-Nai is in kindergarten, she needs to get up early in the morning, and can no longer go to bed as late at night as before. Gu Xingyi was still avoiding Xia Shiyao's gaze as he had just done. He was afraid that once he met her watery eyes, he would instantly soften his heart. The table was quiet, even Nai-Nai didn't play around as usual. The little one seemed to be sensitive to the emotions between her parents, as she twisted her head from time to time to look at her mom, who was eating quietly with her head down, and then at her dad, who was silent on the side. Then she deflated her little mouth, and her little body rubbed towards Xia Shiyao's side without leaving any traces. Daddy is bad. Definitely bullying mommy again. So, after dinner, Gu Xingyi coaxed for a long time, and quietly reassured the little one that he wasn't bullying Xia Shiyao, before letting little Nai-Nai immediately go to bed. Before going to bed, of course, there is no shortage of Gu Xingyi's daily bedtime stories. Gu Xingyi waited for this moment for a long time. He secretly looked at Xia Shiyao lying on the other side, cleared his throat and told Nai-Nai colorfully. Once upon a time, there is a very good little white rabbit. She has a very good friend, the little gray rabbit. But the little gray rabbit is very lazy. This year's autumn harvest, the little white rabbit hard work harvested 5 carrots. One day the little white rabbit door to find the little gray rabbit to play, and saw the little gray rabbit is starving, pitifully looking at themselves. The white rabbit saw his favorite little gray rabbit to be hungry. She did not hesitate to give the little gray rabbit a carrot. The little gray rabbit to get a carrot, happy to say to the little white rabbit, "You are so good." Hearing the words of the little gray rabbit, the little white rabbit was also very happy, and after that, every few days, the little white rabbit had to go to the little gray rabbit and give him a carrot. Until finally, the little white rabbit himself only a carrot. This day, the little white rabbit endured to find the little gray rabbit. The little white rabbit looked at the hand of the last carrot, and looked at his good friend little gray rabbit. She knew that this carrot and then give out, he will be hungry. Speaking of this, Gu Xingyi paused for a moment. He looked again at Xia Shiyao, who was still lying quietly on one side, and then gently scraped little Nai-Nai's nose. Nai-Nai, if you were this kind little white rabbit, would you be afraid of losing this best friend and give the last carrot in your hand to the little gray rabbit again? Little Nai-Nai was quietly listening to the story with her big round eyes, and when she heard her dad ask her, she wrinkled her little nose and thought for a while before she said in a childish tone, Can we split it in half? That way the little white rabbit and the little gray rabbit won't go hungry. Gu Xingyi smiled and rubbed little Nai-Nai's head and said, Of course you can. Nai-Nai is so smart, but Daddy wants to tell Nai-Nai that it's wrong for the little white rabbit to do this. She should tell her friend the little gray rabbit what's on her mind, instead of being afraid of losing the little gray rabbit and going to give him the best of her own things. Little Nai-Nai looked at her dad in confusion. She thought the little white rabbit was very kind and cute. Xia Shiyao's body trembled slightly, biting her lip. A trace of aggression rose in her eyes again. She also felt that the little white rabbit was not wrong. Gu Xingyi kissed Nai-Nai's little face again. The little white rabbit is very good, but she forgot herself. She only thinks about the little gray rabbit in her heart, but she never thinks about herself. Okay, little Nai-Nai should go to bed if you can't get up tomorrow. Your teacher will have to spank you. Gu Xingyi turned off the bedside lamp and slowly coaxed little Nai-Nai to sleep, and in a short while, the little one fell asleep. In the quiet room, there was only the slight breathing of the three of them. While Gu Xingyi did not lie down, he just quietly leaned on the back of the bed, eyes open, silently looking at the dark night. He was waiting for Xia Shiyao to take the initiative to find him. Xia Shiyao's heart was also very unsettled. She had been thinking about the story Gu Xingyi had just told. She knew that it was something he had told to himself. But she didn't know why Gu Xingyi was like this. He clearly knew what he meant. Why couldn't he just agree to himself? A little more time passed. Gu Xingyi heard Xia Shiyao on the other side sit up from the bed, and soft footsteps followed. In the darkness, Gu Xingyi's eyes were dark and glowing. Gu dork. A soft and sticky voice caused Gu Xingyi to lose his concentration a little, and he saw that Xia Shiyao had already come to the side of his bed, her two small hands grabbing his arm. Your wife, do you know how long I've been waiting for you? Gu Xingyi's voice was a bit hoarse. His lifted heart finally fell. It was great that Xia Shiyao could take the initiative. Xia Shiyao didn't say anything, just pursed her lips. Gu Xingyi rolled over and got out of bed, gently and quietly pulled Xia Shiyao to the living room. He was afraid of waking up little Nai-Nai. The neon lights of the city outside the window penetrated through the curtains, and Gu Xingyi saw Xia Shiyao's eyes, which were already full of water mist, and also saw the grievance and loss hidden in her eyes. Gu Xingyi felt his throat get a little heavy as he looked at the careful petite wife in front of him and softly said, "Your honorable wife, what do you want to say to me?" Xia Shiyao looked at Gu Xingyi on the sofa in a daze. She finally bit her lip and said in an even softer voice, "I want you to be my supporting vocalist, I want you to accompany me to sing that song." "Then why didn't your wife directly say it before?" Xia Shiyao was silent and lowered her head again as Gu Xingyi continued. "Was it because you were afraid that I would refuse?" "No." This time, Xia Shiyao answered firmly, because she knew Gu Xingyi wouldn't reject herself. "Then what is it? Does your wife feel that you must give something of yourself for me to be happy?" Hearing Gu Xingyi say this, Xia Shiyao bit her lip and gently shook her head twice, trying her best to stop the tears she wanted to fall. "No, that's not what I think. I know that your wife has always been like this. When you feel sad in your heart, you digest it alone. When you come across things that are hard to accept, it's the same. You've always been careful, even if, it's the same with me." Gu Xingyi's voice was a bit dull, his heart was even more blocked. He held Xia Shiyao's shoulders with both hands, and met her gaze. "But honorable wife, I'm your husband. You used to have no one to speak your mind to, and when you suffered grievances, you could only digest them silently by yourself. But now that I'm here, if you're still like you used to be, and you bear everything silently by yourself, then what am I really doing, Speaking of this, Gu Xingyi's voice was trembling a bit. Xia Shiyao couldn't stop her tears at this point, but when she saw Gu Xingyi's eyes, she panicked inwardly. She had never seen him with such sad eyes before, and she had never thought that Gu Xingyi would shed a tear, so all of a sudden she couldn't care less about the tear stains on her own face, and she panicked as she reached out to help him wipe the corners of his eyes. "Your wife wants to sing that song with me, and so do I, but there's another song I want to sing to your wife right now. I hope that in the future, your wife can say whatever you want to say and do whatever you want to do, and I can say it with you and do it with you. Even if your wife wants to cry and scream, I'll be happy." Gu Xingyi felt unusually uncomfortable in his heart just by looking at her flustered appearance. Originally, to be heartbroken for someone is such a feeling, and it turns out, to love someone is such a wish for her to be better. After Xia Shiyao wiped the corners of Gu Xingyi's eyes, she tried to hurriedly wipe the tears off her face again. She was afraid that Gu Xingyi would dislike her for dropping tears all the time, until he heard Gu Xingyi say these words in a trembling voice. All of a sudden, she couldn't stop her tears even more, and she sniffled and looked at Gu Xingyi with some caution again. She never knew that it was possible for her to cry in front of others. In that case, would Dorky Gu be too annoyed with himself? But Gu Xingyi told her with practical actions. Gu Xingyi pulled her into his arms in one go, a smile forced on his face. "Look, isn't it great that you're like this? And I'll only love you more." Xia Shiyao raised her head, tearful eyes staring blankly into his eyes. He was still the same gentle nerd. "Gu dork wow." Xia Shiyao couldn't help herself all of a sudden, and flung herself into Gu Xingyi's arms and cried, crying so wantonly. Gu Xingyi gently patted her back, leaning down and lowering his head to her ear. "I have a song I want to sing to Xia Shiyao, and I will only sing it to Xia Shiyao." Xia Shiyao gripped the corner of Gu Xingyi's pajamas with her two small hands, deflating her mouth, her face buried in his embrace and rubbing hard, but her little head still nodded out of habit. Gu Xingyi laughed a little and rubbed her head, his gaze gentle, singing softly. "Want to see you laugh, want to mess with you, want to embrace you into my arms. 1 second, red-faced in the quarrel, the next second turn around and make up. Not afraid of you crying, not afraid of you screaming, because you are my pride. A pair of eyes chasing you around, a heart has long been ready." Gu Xingyi's gentle voice rang in his ears. Xia Shiyao lifted her small face and looked at him with red eyes. "Originally, she is now also spoiled by someone?" Xia Shiyao sniffled her little nose again, and her hand gripping the corner of Gu Xingyi's coat became harder and harder. She could cry and make a scene like everyone else now, because dumb Gu was telling her that he would always be by her side and never leave her. Gu Xingyi lowered his head, looked at Xia Shiyao's watery eyes, and gently dropped a kiss at the corner of her eyes. He stopped. Xia Shiyao was a bit upset, deflating her small mouth. She could hear that the song wasn't finished. Gu nerd continue. She reached out her finger to poke Gu Xingyi's stomach. This was the song that Gu Xingyi sang to her, and only belonged to her. She wanted to hear the end of it. Gu Xingyi smiled and pinched Xia Shiyao's pretty nose. In fact, doing this, letting Xia Shiyao be sad and then know it, letting her memorize it, was the most impotent thing he had ever done. But he had no better way. He believed he could slowly change Xia Shiyao in the long years to come, but then Xia Shiyao would still go through many times of aggravation and hide her heart many times. He no longer wanted to see her appearance when she was alone quietly digesting the grievances in her heart. Gu Xingyi looked deeply at Xia Shiyao, feeling her pinch the corners of her coat tighter and tighter, and sang softly again. "Just once, I'll take you to see the end of the world. Laughing in the sunny days. Make noise in the free air. Do you know? My only want." Xia Shiyao's eyes became even more infatuated as she looked at Gu Xingyi. Her hand that was gripping the corner of Gu Xingyi's coat gradually loosened, and she turned to hug his waist, her entire body leaning into his embrace. Listening to the song, she seemed to see her future days with him. quarreling and laughing. This was a day that Xia Shiyao had never imagined before. It wasn't that she didn't want to, it was that she never dared to think about it. But now he wrapped his arms around himself and made himself suddenly dare to think about it. The world is still small, I'll accompany you to the ends of the earth. In the corners where there are no worries, stop looking. In the carefree times, slowly grow old. You know, my whole heartbeat beats with you. She carefully and clumsily showed her love to him, even trying to dedicate her body to cater to him, while he diffused it with sincerity time and time again, and this time, even more so with a song. At the end of a song, Gu Xingyi lightly exhaled a breath, feeling the delicate body in his arms that held him tighter and tighter, and said softly, singing this song, I want to let Xia Shiyao know that I will be by Xia Shiyao's side in the future, to be Xia Shiyao's reliance, no matter what, I won't go away, those things, those grievances, you don't have to hold them in your heart by yourself. Your wife is in my heart but more important than myself, I hope you don't have to be so careful anymore, running in both directions is love, my love for your wife will only get deeper and deeper. Xia Shiyao just buried her head in Gu Xingyi's chest and kept listening. Gu Xingyi finished and after a while, she lifted her little face, pouted her little mouth and whispered softly, Gu dork, you're so annoying. Gu Xingyi deliberately pretended to be aggrieved. Where is it annoying? Just annoying, knowing that I want you to go to the competition with me, and you're deliberately messing with me. Oh, that's why you deliberately called me your husband? As soon as these words left her mouth, Xia Shiyao's face turned violently red, and she glared fiercely at Gu Xingyi with her eyes that still had water vapor hanging in them, before exasperatedly pouncing Gu Xingyi onto the sofa and covering his mouth. No more talking. Gu Xingyi's eyes were filled with laughter, and he symbolically struggled for a bit, busily nodding his head, signaling that he wasn't going to say any more. Only then did Xia Shiyao let go of Gu Xingyi, only the shyness in her eyes couldn't be hidden. She sat on Gu Xingyi and looked at him with a puffed-up face. So your honor wife, isn't this still quite temperamental? Seeing such an honorable wife, I'm very happy. In the future, if there's something, I hope that your wife can also tell me with such a straight face. Gu Xingyi was pressed down on the sofa with a gentle smile. He was happy to see such a sight of Xia Shiyao. Life is short, your wife should first think of yourself before you can think of others. You are you, I am me, we are together, that's what we are, not a single me. If you only think of me, that kind of you, how can you be the real you yourself? Moreover, I will be heartbroken. Xia Shiyao looked at such Gu Xingyi, nodded her head vigorously, her hands propped up on his chest also cupped his face, her mouth deflated and wanted to cry again. Obviously such a nasty Gu dork, how come she likes it so much? Xia Shiyao rubbed his face, blushing a little, then she suddenly covered his eyes with her hands and leaned down to kiss him. Forcibly kissed? Gu Xingyi was shocked, the reaction brought about by his own move seemed to be a bit fast, and some surprise? The night was tantalizing, and the Xia Shiyao at this moment was even more tantalizing. A long French wet kiss made Gu Xingyi a little confused, even his hand, at some point, drilled into that loose pajamas. It wasn't until she was about to climb to the peak that Xia Shiyao reacted as an afterthought. She raised her head in a daze, bringing up a hint of crystal, and froze as she looked at Gu Xingyi's large hand that had reached into her clothes. The delicate soft touch on her lips left, and Gu Xingyi opened his eyes in bewilderment, before seeing his large hand that was making mischief. In the next moment, he blushed with embarrassment. Ahem, you say, is it this hand of mine? He has a mind of his own? Xia Shiyao's face flushed red, directly turning from the initiative she had just taken into a passive one, and with a humph, her entire body pressed against Gu Xingyi's, trying to stop his big hand from continuing its actions. Gu Xingyi secretly snickered, swearing to the lamp, he really didn't want to move around, he just wanted to pull his hand out. Now, he was confined in Xia Shiyao's clothes. This time, he really couldn't pull it out. Gu Xingyi smelled the fresh scent of Xia Shiyao's body, and could only hold her body with one hand, his hand gently patting her back. Alright, get up quickly? I promise not to move around. Xia Shiyao was not moved in the slightest, still pressed on his body like this, only a muffled voice rang out from Gu Xingyi's chest. You haven't promised to go to the competition with me yet. So that's the reason you're not getting up? Looking at Xia Shiyao, who was relying on herself to play tricks on her, Gu Xingyi somewhat wanted to laugh. Stupid Xia Shiyao, is this a reward or coercion? Oh. Even if your wife doesn't say anything, I'll still participate with you. Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, Xia Shiyao violently raised her head from his chest, staring at him with almond eyes and an unbelievable expression. So, you're just doing it on purpose. Aha! Gu Xingyi fondly pulled his hand out and spread his hands. Gu nerd! In the next second, the soft flesh around Gu Xingyi's waist was pinched by a small hand. Hiss, be gentle, you'll wake Nai up. Gu Xingyi bared his teeth and said softly, he was a bit skeptical of life, so even the gentler women know this trick? He watched the men with wives on Jiayin who all came this way. Originally he didn't believe it, but now he did. Bad man. Xia Shiyao glared, her eyes voice lowered, this bad guy, just knows to bully her. If you don't do this, how will your wife be like this now? I don't want to see a condescending and careful wife-honored person for the long years to come. Nah.
Xia Shiyao pouted her little lips, and with some heartache, gently stroked the soft flesh around Gu Xingyi's waist. Even if she said that wouldn't change the fact that he was bullying herself. Gu Xingyi once again reached out his hands to carry Xia Shiyao into his arms, keeping the two of them close together. It's just that Nai Nai is in kindergarten now, and when I go to the competition with you, I still need to find someone to take care of Nai Nai temporarily. Xia Shiyao's eyes gradually softened as she listened to his heartbeat, and she softly replied back after just a moment's thought. Let's trouble Lele to come over and take care of Nai Nai first. It's only a few days. We still have to practice songs together. Going to the company's recording studio is a bit better. After she finished speaking, she paused for a moment and gently called Gu Xingyi again. Gu nerd. Nai Nai is also in kindergarten now. Isn't it time for her to have her own little room? Xia Shiyao buried her head, her ears red. Gu Xingyi nodded in agreement. Well, when I come back this time, I'll pack up the side bedroom and make a little princess room for Nai Nai, so I'll leave it up to you to coax Nai Nai at that time. Xia Shiyao just gently bumped Gu Xingyi's chest with her head and didn't say anything. Gu Xingyi searched for a moment and continued. There's also the car. I've been talking about buying a car, but I haven't taken much time to buy one. Tomorrow I'll contact that previous sale again and buy another one. It's also convenient to transport Nai Nai to and from school. And the house, we need to change a bigger house, but this, need to wait for the wife to make money to realize it. After all, I'm a full-time baby daddy he. He said he was a full-time baby daddy, but Gu Xingyi was really busy now. He had been writing anime titles, and the first season would be finished in 10 days, and the songs were still written by him, and even the contests, he was now going to participate as a guest singer. Gu Xingyi laughed and joked a little, but he did feel that the house should be changed. This house only has 2 rooms, and now the side bedroom is still being used by him as a study. When Taluola came tomorrow, he still had to clean up the side bedroom first. Xia Shiyao softly mumbled, then raised her head and quickly kissed Gu Xingyi on the lips again. Thank you Gu dork. She had always wanted to say thank you to him, and it wasn't until now that she finally said it. You really want to thank? Then, call your husband again? Gu Xingyi looked at the touchy-feely Xia Shiyao and said with a smile in his eyes in anticipation. This made Xia Shiyao blush a little again, and she flew up from Gu Xingyi's body as if she were racing away, her feet hurrying towards the bedroom. Only an extremely faint voice came from Gu Xingyi's ears. Time to go to bed. Fine. Gu Xingyi rubbed his nose. Anyway, tonight's task had been completed and there was an unexpected surprise. He was already satisfied. Rolling over and sitting up, Gu Xingyi also took a step into the bedroom. Returning to the bed, he once again wrapped Xia Shiyao in his arms, little Nai Nai being mercilessly abandoned by the two to the side. In the darkness, Gu Xingyi contentedly closed his eyes and prepared to sleep, before he heard the petite wife in his arms softly call out, "Husband." This night, there were no more regrets. The next day, when Xia Shiyao opened her eyes in the morning, Gu Xingyi was no longer on the bed, and she gently pulled back the covers to see her messy pajamas. What a colorful nerd! Xia Shiyao wrinkled her pretty nose and blushed. She looked at the time again. It was already 7:30 a.m. Xia Shiyao looked at little Nai Nai who was still asleep and decisively picked her up. Little Nai Nai was again forced to open for business for the day. The habits that the little one had developed before could only be changed slowly now. Gu Xingyi brought breakfast to the dining table. When he saw Xia Shiyao carrying little Nai Nai out of the bedroom, he looked at Xia Shiyao who had already organized her pajamas neatly with a smile. Good morning, hurry up and wash up for dinner. Xia Shiyao glanced at him and hummed in response before taking Nai Nai inside to wash up. The gentle Xia Shiyao being petulant and naive has a different flavor. After dinner, Gu Xingyi sent Nai Nai to school, and Xia Shiyao contacted Taluolele, each in their own way. Taluola was very quick to agree. For going over to take care of little Nai Nai, she agreed with both hands. Such a cute baby, she couldn't wait to hold it in her arms and jerk it off every day. When Gu Xingyi came back, Taluolele had already left for the station. Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao also started to get busy, packing up the side beds, contacting sales to order the car, and various other things. Gu Xingyi on the car does not have a great pursuit, can drive on the line. He did not have any business talks, so just let the forest store sales to give him a random recommendation. The requirement is to have a car. Tomorrow we'll be able to pick up the car. Time passes very quickly. After Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao packed up their side beds, the two of them hadn't rested long before time had come to noon. Xia Shiyao also received a call from Tao Lele, who had already arrived at the Jiangqing station. After arranging everything at home, the two of them drove to Magic City. Once again, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao were the only two people in Magic City. Gu Xingyi was a little emotional. The original world himself, a single dog, is not so busy, did not expect this life as a full-time baby daddy, go out so many times. In the morning, Xia Shiyao sent the song for the competition to Sister Yun, who took the song to the company's recording team as usual, to produce the background music and register the copyright. The two arrived in Magic City and only rested a little in their apartment before departing once again to the Soundsea Entertainment Building. The two traveled lightly to the 11th floor,
where Sister Yun was already waiting. As far away as she was, Sister Yun saw the two of them holding hands together. She couldn't help but have a smile on her face. She took a closer look at Xia Shuriao's pretty face. She didn't know why, although she hadn't seen her for only 3 days. This time when Xia Shuriao came back, she felt that Xia Shuriao was a little bit different. It was a kind of brightness that emanated from within, a state that Xia Shuriao had never been in before. Seeing such Xia Shuriao, Sister Yun's heart warmed. She had accompanied Xia Shuriao for so long, and had always felt very sorry for this little niece, and also knew that Xia Shuriao had always been careful when treating people. Unexpectedly, the one who finally made Xia Shuriao change would be Gu Xingyi, who she initially couldn't see. That would be good. Sister Yun. Xia Shuriao and Gu Xingyi arrived in front of Sister Yun and shouted in unison. Sister Yun nodded, her gaze soft as she looked at the young couple in front of her who were like divine lovers. Back. Are we going to practice the song straight away now? It's a lot of pressure. I'm not a professional singer after all, so I still need to practice as soon as possible so that I don't sing too badly in the competition then. Gu Xingyi scratched his head, a little embarrassed. Although he was confident that his voice could and would not run out of tune, when there was a lifetime of you being able to burst into flames was also because of this aspect. But he was indeed inferior to professional singers in terms of singing professionalism. This was a fact that couldn't be changed, and he might have to drag Xia Shuriao's feet in this competition. I believe that no matter how you guys sing, Shuriao is going to be very happy, so isn't it okay for Shuriao to be happy? Xia Shuriao's face slightly reddened as she listened to Sister Yun's words, and her grip on Gu Xingyi's hand tightened a bit. Gu Xingyi smiled, a statement he agreed with. As the three of them talked, they walked into the recording studio together. Xia Shuriao took the song's script paper out of her bag and placed it on the sheet music shelf as Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriao began to focus on studying the song. Both of them were very serious when it came to songs, and they were very much alike in this regard. This was the first time the two sang a love song together. Xia Shuriao's eyes had been flashing with a bright light, singing a love song with Gu Xingyi. This felt so good. Xia Shuriao looked at the title of the song and the lyrics on the manuscript paper. Her heart was still a little nervous. The lyrics on it were the same as what she had always wanted to say to Gu Xingyi in her heart. The river and the sea share the rest of our lives, and the rest of our lives are all about you. And the title of the song was called The Rest of Your Life Afterward. Gu Xingyi benefited from being more familiar with the song, so when the two of them practiced in the beginning, he was obviously much more skillful than Xia Shuriao, and was even able to teach Xia Shuriao in some places. But at the back, Gu Xingyi was completely convinced. Just after practicing a few times, Xia Shuriao was obviously singing much better than him. Especially in the breath conversion and the control of the tune above, directly pulled Gu Xingyi a big cut. So at the end of the day, it became Xia Shuriao's turn to teach Gu Xingyi. Throughout the afternoon, the two were immersed in the sea of music, and thanks to Xia Shuriao's teaching, Gu Xingyi was obviously much better than at the beginning. But Gu Xingyi felt that practicing songs and stuff was really tiring. From 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, he felt like his voice was going up in smoke, and especially when a favorite song was sung by him countless times, it really was a bit of auditory fatigue. He looked at Xia Shuriao with some heartache. From this, he could see that for those songs in front of him, how much effort Xia Shuriao had used to practice so well. It was said that 1 minute on stage, 10 years of work under the stage. It really wasn't an exaggeration at all. Just like that, in the end, it was Xia Shuriao who saw the tired look on Gu Xingyi's face and took the lead to stop practicing for the day. Gu Xingyi breathed a sigh of relief. He suddenly felt that he, as a full-time baby daddy, was simply not too relaxed. As he walked out of the recording studio with Xia Shuriao and Sister Yun, Gu Xingyi held Xia Shuriao's hand and quietly whispered in her ear, "Wife, you've worked so hard." Xia Shuriao blinked her eyes and didn't reply. She didn't feel much hard work. When she used to sing, it was much harder than this. Just the fact that these words came out of Gu Xingyi's mouth made her feel unusually sweet in her heart. At this time, someone else happened to come out of the recording studio and met with Gu Xingyi's trio. Gu Xingyi looked up. It was a woman draped in a kanji, looking very graceful, and she was followed by a small assistant with a lowered head and glasses. This woman just glanced at the three people, and then lightly hummed, "Missed the body to take the lead to the elevator." Under the feet of high-heeled shoes stepped Didi sound. The woman's feet stomped on her high heels. Didi. The three of them didn't seem to provoke her, right? Gu Xingyi had felt that this woman was somewhat familiar, but he had forgotten where he had seen her before, and was confused by this woman's gesture. He turned his head to look at Sister Yun and asked in confusion, "This is? What's the conflict with Shuriao?" Sister Yun was busy shaking her head, looking at the woman who had disappeared at the elevator and smiled bitterly. Which is no contradiction. This woman is called Lena, and is also the company's top singer. You two just focus on love, where there is still mind to care about showbiz. Showbiz, this pot is so big, and now out of the two of you every day hogging the hot searches, they are much less traffic, more or less will be some resentment towards you. This Lena is, when Shuriao just joined the company, she was a little bit unable to look at our family Shuriao. By now, she is from unable to look at to become a little jealous, right?
Hearing Sister Yun's words, Gu Xingyi then remembered where he had seen this woman called Lina.
When I watched TV earlier, the advertisements that were often interspersed seemed to have been made by her.
This was something that really needed to be taken care of. The piece of cake that was the entertainment industry was just so big, and when they took up more, others took up less, which would naturally attract hatred. But it couldn't be helped, every industry was the same, survival of the fittest. Gu Xingyi naturally couldn't be afraid because of this. And the reason why he chose Sound and Sea Entertainment in the first place was because Sound and Sea Entertainment's main focus was to cultivate singers with a strong star-making ability.
As for the other two, Shengshi Entertainment is more Buddhist in this aspect of singers, and although they are also one of the three giants, they focus on the development of the movie and television industry, and their actors are more outstanding.
The other one, Tianmei Entertainment, was not to be mentioned. Being one of the same three giants, they had the worst reputation. Xia Shiyao was a pure singer, and Sound Sea Entertainment was of course the most suitable, but even if Sound Sea Entertainment really couldn't accommodate Xia Shiyao in the first place, it wasn't like he didn't have a choice. After all, there is still the option of obscene development. Approaching the second match of the Star Song Festival finals, the netizens' attention to this match was also getting higher and higher.
Last time, Xia Shiyao's Songshi is still hanging high on the hot search of all major platforms, not only because of the high popularity of the click rate, but also because of the major netizens who are competing to cover the song, especially in the many live audio channels. The Songshi seems to have become a test of the anchor's singing ability. However, no matter how many netizens are covering the song, netizens always think that the most beautiful ghost bride is Xia Shiyao. No one can beat Xia Shiyao in the Songshi.
Some people even compared the songs that appeared in this session of the Star Song Festival with the songs of the previous sessions of the Star Song Festival, and as a result, he realized that there was no comparison at all. This year's Star Song Festival, not only did Xia Shiyao's songs have a much higher level than the previous sessions, even other singers, in order not to lose so ugly, came up with songs that were much stronger than before.
Thus, another post appeared online,
counting down a few treasure songs created by Gu Xingyi. The era of showbiz spit songs will be ended. Inside the post, starting from the initial "A Lifetime with You" to "The Wind Rises," and then finally the post went into detail about what records had been broken by the appearance of these songs. Although the official albums of these songs had not yet appeared on the Huayin platform, their airplay and clicks were there for all to see.
At the end of the post, it was summarized into a sentence that it was foreseeable that once Xia Shiyao's debut album appeared, it would be in existence where every song made it to the Huayin New Songs chart, and even the Golden Melody Awards, which was not out of the realm of possibility. Once this post appeared, it immediately gained countless favorable comments, and everyone couldn't help but look forward to the second final. What kind of song will Gu Xingyi write for Xia Shiyao? Knowing that this competition could invite guest singers, many people were guessing who Xia Shiyao would actually invite. Most people think that Xia Shiyao will definitely invite a veteran singer, because this is a competition about the winner, and Gu Xingyi is not a singer after all, certainly not as good as those veteran singers. Showbiz, no, all understand, the water is muddy, in order to make money, and then the perfect couple will make way for the interests. But there are some people, especially Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao's fans, they are actually still vaguely expecting Xia Shiyao to invite Gu Xingyi. After all, from the time they appeared in the public's field of vision to now, show that they are all in the thought for each other. They expect the entertainment industry to have such a couple that doesn't go with the flow, to make the turbid entertainment industry have a clear land. For everything that happened in the outside world, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiyao didn't know. They were out early and back late every day these days, practicing the songs diligently. Because of Xia Shiyao's guidance, Gu Xingyi's singing skills were rising by leaps and bounds. September 7th. The second session of the Star Song Festival finals officially opened. Until now, the audience didn't know who the guests invited by Xia Shiyao and Miao Ankuan were, and the program group didn't reveal a single bit of information about this in order to keep the suspense. The competition site, in front of the Magic City Stadium, has long been crowded. In addition to the audience on the scene, more reporters from various companies, the number of people than in any previous installment are much more. The second final of the Star Song Festival. The second match of the final of the Star Song Festival, the one that would probably determine the winner. And this issue is a love song duet. About the guest singer candidate problem in the internet has long been a buzz. A lot of people are speculating these two entertainment giant companies will not be in this game to invite their own company's big names in the singing world to. After all, according to past experience, getting the Star Song Festival Championship is equivalent to taking a ticket to enter the first tier of singers. In order to maintain a sense of mystery, Ren Chao had arranged an exclusive interview area for the reporters in front of the stadium gates early on, while the supporting singers had quietly sneaked into the backstage long ago under the arrangement of the program team. The only ones left for the reporters to interview were the two known contestants, Xia Shiyao and Miao Ankuan. At 7 in the evening, Sister Yun accompanied Xia Shiyao to appear in front of the door, and this appearance immediately attracted a lot of cheers from the audience. Not long after, Miao Ankuan and her little assistant also appeared in front of the door, similarly ushering in a burst of cheers. This was the first time since Xia Shuriyao's comeback that she had accepted an official interview, and the eyes of a bunch of reporters were radiating a wolf-like green gaze as they scrambled to surround her, all wanting to get the first-hand information. Ms. Xia Shuriyao, may I ask who is the guest vocalist you invited this time? You guys will know when you sing in a while. Xia Shuriyao shook her head and replied playfully. She naturally wouldn't say that this was what the program group had ordered 3 times. Ms. Xia Shuriyao, can you tell us what your daily life with Gu Xingyi is like in normal times? This could be said, and a smile appeared on Xia Shuriyao's face. Just like any other couple, nothing different. The reporter who asked this question froze. What's the difference between this answer and no answer? He then pointed the microphone at Miao Anjuan again. May I ask player Miao Anjuan, you lost the last match, may I ask if you have the confidence to equalize this time? Miao Anjuan glanced at Xia Shuriyao by her side and smiled. I will try my best. Xia Shuriyao is a very strong opponent, and playing against such an opponent will benefit me greatly. The reporter was once again speechless. Well, you two unified your words, right? These 2 questions were equivalent to not asking. At this time, another reporter asked a question. Ms. Xia Shuriyao, may I ask what you think about the hot topic of Gu Xingyi raising the level of the entire Chinese music scene online? Xia Shuriyao blinked. In her heart, Gu Xingyi was the best. I don't know what others say, in my heart, Gu Xingyi is the best lyricist. Woohoo! There's the traffic for this issue. The reporter who asked this question grinned. Xia Shuriyao was pretty stiff with this statement. Even though she said it was in her heart, it was also undoubtedly saying to the crowd that Gu Xingyi was the best lyricist. A few more reporters then asked a few questions. Xia Shuriyao and Miao Anjuan saw that it was about time and casually dealt with them before entering the stadium. The reporters also quickly dispersed as they went in. For the content of today's interviews, they are both satisfied and regretful. Satisfied that they have gained a lot of dry goods today, regretful that in the end, they still don't know who the 2 people's supporting singers are. The audience, also at this time, lined up one after another into the arena. Not long, the arena was full. As the gates of the stadium closed, a bright river of stars rose above the arena, and the starlight in the sky slowly scattered across the stage. The opening song of the Star Song Festival also resounded throughout the arena at this time. The second match of the finals officially kicked off. In contrast to the nervous excitement of the audience in front, the backstage was peaceful at the moment. Xia Shuriyao and Miao Anjuan, 2 beautiful women as girlfriends, general whispering chat days. They do not know what to talk about. The eyes glanced to Gu Xingyi this side, face with some smiles. Gu Xingyi, on the other hand, was talking to a man who was about 40 years old. This man, even Gu Xingyi, who wasn't very familiar with the entertainment industry, had heard of him, the old generation's Heavenly King superstar, Lu Tianwang. Upon seeing this Heavenly King, Gu Xingyi wanted to laugh bitterly in his heart. This was his first competition. The opposite side had even invited this great Buddha. It was really looking down on him. Although Lu Tianwang was not at his peak, but he was one of the 4 Heavenly Kings in the beginning, able to be called by the netizens as the Heavenly Kings. Its strength and influence can be imagined, especially in the appeal of the fans, that has an unparalleled advantage. And Lu Tianwang, at the moment he also has a very good feeling towards Gu Xingyi. He knew Gu Xingyi when he made the song A Lifetime of You. That song is also Lu Tianwang's favorite song among all the songs at the moment. Especially the melody and lyrics of that song made Heavenly King Lu feel that it should be a song that could only be written by someone of his own generation. But in fact, the song was made by the young Gu Xingyi. Thinking of this, Heavenly King Lu couldn't help but feel some emotion as he looked at the gentle Gu Xingyi in front of him and laughed. I really didn't think that the younger generation would appear such a monster as you. To be honest, the entertainment industry now really make people can't understand. After these old generation singers of ours have fallen, those songs of the new generation I really can't listen to them. It wasn't until I heard your song A Lifetime of You that I realized that there are still eye-opening talents among the youth. Gu Xingyi scratched his head. This time when they met, he also realized that this Heavenly King's temper was really good, and the person didn't have a stance, so much better than those condescending celebrities he had seen before. Heavenly King Lu saying that really discounts me. You're a senior, there's still a lot I have to learn. Gu Xingyi was very modest. Such a Heavenly King deserves respect. Ha ha, Xiao Gu, it's not good for young people to be too modest. Strength is strength. When I was your age, I was still struggling silently at the bottom. Heavenly King Lu's laughter drew sideways glances from the other side from the 2 female protagonists of the day. Miao Anjuan's gaze flickered slightly. It was also her first time working with Heavenly King Lu, but it was obvious that she would feel a bit restrained when she chatted with him. But that man on the opposite side, at this moment, he was talking and laughing with the Heavenly King. This was strength and charisma, and this man, whose age was just similar to hers, was really impressive. The Miao Anjuan retracted her gaze and looked at Xia Shuriyao by her side. She was currently looking at Gu Xingyi over there, her eyes full of tenderness. At this moment, Miao Anjuan really envied her a little.
At this time, on the stage, Chen Shuer had already gone on stage. She introduced the two contestants of this competition as usual, Xia Shiyao and Miao Ankuan, and invited the judges' mentors to sit on the judges' seats. Next, it was really the moment that all the people were watching. The contestants came on stage. At the staff's notice, Miao Ankuan and Xia Shiyao slowly walked onto the stage, facing the lights. Both of them were wearing a long dress designed in advance by the program team today, the difference being that Xia Shiyao was wearing a white one with a small golden rose on her chest, while Miao Ankuan was wearing a golden one with a small white rose on her chest. One person was like a neighbor girl, simple and moving, and one person was like a royal princess, graceful and atmospheric. The two walked together, at first glance, giving a different kind of beauty, but after looking at them for a long time, they seemed to be on the same path, both being the ultimate beauty in their respective fields. As soon as the two came onto the stage, they immediately reaped a burst of cheers. Chen Shuer once again stood with these two, and her heart was also very emotional. These two, the pressure they put on themselves was really great. Welcome our two contestants who are competing today to the stage. Next, let's use our applause to welcome today's supporting singers. First of all, welcome Miao Anqilan's supporting singer, Lu Tianwang, to the stage. In this match, Miao Anqilan was the first to sing, so the first assistant singing guest to be unveiled was Miao Anqilan's assistant singing guest, Heavenly King Lu. As for Xia Shiyao's supporting vocalist, it would still be a mystery, and the audience would only know when she sang. This also made the viewers curse in their hearts that the program group was a real dog, really able to hide. However, this did not affect their experience of watching Star Song Exchange, and many viewers were unusually shocked when Chen Shuer announced that Miao Anjuan's supporting vocalist was Heavenly King Lu. That was Heavenly King Lu, the idol of their youth. Many viewers were so excited that they picked up their cell phones and started sending messages to their friends and family. Quickly watch the Star Song Exchange. Heavenly King Lu is here. This also led to many people who hadn't originally paid attention to the Star Song Exchange coming to show their support one after another, and for a while, the pop-ups in the live broadcast room spread all over the screen. An army of middle-aged 30-somethings have come to report for duty. Heavenly King Lu is invincible. Tearful, I didn't realize that Lu Tianwang had come. How can this Miao Anjuan lose? There's one thing to say, I wouldn't recognize Heavenly King Lu. Who is this? A look upstairs is underage. You don't even know Lu Tianwang? I don't know him either. Is it hot? I only know Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi. They're all called Heavenly Kings. Do you think it can't be hot? Our generation is just getting old and doesn't want to surf the internet much. It's not like we're dead. Support Heavenly King Lu. Support Miao Anjuan. Invincible. This was the influence of the Heavenly Kings. Although most of their fans were starting to align with life, once the Heavenly Kings appeared, their youthful memories came back with them. On the stage, Xia Shiyao and the host also retreated backstage at this point, handing the stage over to Miao Anjuan. Under the spotlight, Heavenly King Lu slowly walked onto the stage from behind the stage. He enthusiastically waved his hand towards the audience. Even though his age had already reached his 40s, his appearance was still well maintained and gave off even more of a mature charm. This made a lot of audience under the stage go crazy. They have enthusiastically waved their hands fluorescent sticks to welcome the veteran king of the sky. Music also began to sound at this time. Along with the soft music, above the dark stage, starlight fell, forming a starry sky. On the big screen at the back, the title of the song they were going to sing this time also slowly appeared. Embracing You Under the Starlight. As the starry sky appeared, Heavenly King Lu, who was wearing a black suit, sang softly. His voice was a bit vicissitude, but in the vicissitude, there was some unique flavor that was mesmerizing. The audience closed their eyes and listened attentively. Until a verse of lyrics ended, Heavenly King Lu turned his gaze to Miao Anjuan. Amidst the melodious music, Miao Anjuan locked eyes with Heavenly King Lu and picked up the microphone and also slowly opened her mouth. Her voice was clean and crisp, like a silver bell entering the ears of the crowd. Good to listen to. The song came up and captivated the audience, and the duet between the two managed to bring them under a starry sky. And under the starry sky was a couple who were passionately embracing each other. The starry sky above the stage was dotted with stars, and at this time, a heart-shaped pattern made from the convergence of starlight also slowly appeared, matching the music, making the audience unconsciously recall in their hearts the scene when they embraced their loved ones. Whether it was the audience at the scene, or the audience in the live broadcast room, they were all mesmerized in the sea of love at this moment. Even Gu Xingyi, who was backstage, closed his eyes and slowly savored the song. In the end, he was a heavenly king. He had sung the song's flavor completely, and in terms of singing ability, Gu Xingyi was really ashamed of himself. But he wasn't very stage fright either. He believed that his song, likewise, wasn't bad. Xia Shiyao also felt the same way, in her heart. As long as Gu Xingyi was there, singing with her, she wouldn't be afraid of anyone. Even the heavenly king wouldn't be able to. Miao Anjuan and Heavenly King Lu's song Embracing You Under the Starlight completely awakened the audience's souls of love. Pairs of couples on the scene embraced each other under a heart-shaped pattern formed by the starlight,
while those single dogs, who could only drool with envy in their eyes, hugged their brothers sitting on the side and comforted each other. Which is what love song duet competition, this is clearly a dog-killing conference. Until those sparkling stars in mid-air disappeared and the music came to an end, Heavenly King Lu and Miao Anjuan bowed deeply to the audience before their figures gradually faded into the darkness and retreated from the stage. Even though the two had already retreated, the glow sticks under the stage were still waving neatly. Gu Xingyi looked at the Lu Heavenly King who was walking head-on and was overcome with emotion. This was the ability of the Heavenly King. It was also the influence of the Heavenly King. When he first crossed over he thought that this world's songs were just like this, but now he realized that it was the original owner's insight that was too shallow, and that the music scene where the older generation was in the past was different from what it is now. As the army of middle-aged fans said, they were just old, not dead. After the older generation of artists retreated behind the scenes, they just got busy with their lives, but really when these people reappeared, these fan armies, accordingly, appeared. These older generation artists were truly worthy of admiration. The pop-ups in the live broadcast room, at this time, were also frantically brushing the screen, as the appearance of Heavenly King Lu brought many people to tears, and his easy mastery of this song also represented the strength of the Heavenly King. Tearful eyes, long time no see. Heavenly King Lu. See you again. Heavenly King Lu. After listening to this song, I'm going to go and line up with life again. Have you all noticed that Gu Xingyi and the older generation of artists seem like the songs they created are all so good. That's the legacy. China is always like this. There's always someone who steps up when every field is at its lowest. Gu Xingyi is like that. Indeed. I'm also a middle-aged man. What were all the songs in the entertainment industry before? It wasn't until Gu Xingyi appeared that I listened to songs again. I just don't know who Xia Shiyao's supporting vocalist is. It's hard to bear. I really hope it's Gu Xingyi. It can't be him. Showbiz, no at all. Miao Anquan has invited a Heavenly King. I think Xia Shiyao won't be any worse. Why is it impossible? I truly think that Xia Shiyao and Gu Xingyi, they're really different from the others. What's the point of arguing? Just read on and you'll know. A bunch of barflies. Shoo. It's starting. While there was still a heated discussion online, Xia Shiyao's figure had already appeared on the stage, her white dress, the small golden flower on her chest paired with the happy smile that spread across her face, causing the audience to fall into a trance. This kind of happy expression was something they had just not seen on Miao Anquan's face. This was the kind of expression that only comes from truly having love. When Miao Anqilan sang in duet with Heavenly King Lu, even though they sang very, very well, that kind of look that you only get when you're in love, they didn't have it. They weren't supposed to be a couple, so naturally they wouldn't be as natural as a couple. But Xia Shiyao was different. This look in her eyes right now was clearly the look that only a small woman in love could have. Seeing Xia Shiyao like this, many viewers' hearts trembled slightly. Could it be? Could it really be him? On the stage, the lights gradually changed, a warm light suddenly appeared, and along with the light, a piece of pink rose petals fell down from the air in an ocean. Immediately afterward, on the big screen, the title of the song appeared. The Rest of My Life. The lyrics, composer and arranger, was still Gu Xingyi. But when the audience saw the name of the song being sung, their hearts suddenly trembled for a moment before a great sense of satisfaction rose. The pop-ups in the live broadcast room, which had just stopped for a while, suddenly brushed up again at this time. I told you so. I told you. They're different. It's worthy of being the people I'm a fan of. They're just different. Open your eyes and see. Sung by Gu Xingyi. Xia Shiyao. A breath of fresh air in the entertainment industry. Brothers, I adore it. Just the name alone blows me away. This is Xia Shiyao. Heard the showbiz world is muddy? I'm sorry. It doesn't exist. A love song duet. Of course it has to be a couple. Xia and Gu. They really didn't let me down. How dare she? Isn't she afraid of losing? Are you looking down on my Gu Xingyi? Although that cub seed has made mistakes, he's truly reformed. And he's famous too. Regardless of what the audience's reaction was, at this moment, Xia Shiyao, who only had a soft gaze in her eyes, turned to look closely at the backstage entrance, where a familiar figure was slowly appearing. Soft music also sounded at this time. Under the warm light, Gu Xingyi was wearing a black suit, also wearing a golden rose on his chest, welcoming Xia Shiyao, walking with deep emotion. The audience under the stage and those who were watching the live broadcast had their mouths wide open. It was the first time they had seen Gu Xingyi in formal wear like this, and it was still such a clear picture. This guy, in formal attire, was really quite handsome. The prelude gradually fell, and in a rain of roses, Gu Xingyi picked up the microphone in his hand and sang softly. Finding the sun where there's no wind, being the warm sun where you're cold. The world is full of people, you're always too naive, the rest of my life I only want you. Singing this, Gu Xingyi had already walked slowly to Xia Shiyao's body. He put down the microphone, looked at Xia Shiyao with a gentle face, raised his hand, and gently tapped on the tip of her nose. Numb. The single dogs were completely numb. The dog-killing conference didn't work once, it came again, and it was even stronger than once. Audience members who had girlfriends or wives had smiles on their faces at the moment. They looked at the person next to them and followed Gu Xingyi's action, gently tapping on the tip of the other person's nose, and then the two of them laughed heartily. The single dogs who didn't have girlfriends could only look at the big brothers around them and cry without tears. This action, how can they not do it? Xia Shuriyao blushed slightly as she tilted her head to look at him, her eyes full of him. She similarly raised the microphone, and the gentle song sounded once again. For the rest of my life to come, the wind and snow are you, the blandness is you, and the poverty is you, glory is you, and the tenderness of your heart is you. As far as the eye can see, it is also you. A bunch of lights flashed, and in the rain of pink roses, starlight rose again. A little bit of starlight hit Xia Shuriyao's body, dotting her collarbone with a faint halo of light, flickering and flickering, the beauty of which made Gu Xingyi's eyes fall into extreme gentleness. The moment Xia Shuriyao's clear and gentle voice rang out, the audience had completely fallen into the song. Not only the audience, even the tutors and the backstage Miao Anjuan and Lu Tianwang, they all had a slight glint in their eyes and a gentle smile. Professionals are professionals in the end. When Gu Xingyi was singing, people paid more attention to the gentleness in his eyes and the atmosphere of the stage, but as soon as Xia Shuriyao left the stage, people were immediately pulled into the song. The audience all felt that the song, like a burst of tingling electric current across the body, made people unable to stop falling into the beauty of the rest of their lives. If Heavenly King Lu and Miao Ankuan were singing about the present of love, then Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriyao were singing about the future of love. Both the present and the future were perfect love, mesmerizing. The two people on stage, suits and long skirts, held each other's hands in the rain of flowers and then in the starlight, facing the audience off stage. All the audience held their breath at this moment, looking mesmerized at the two people on the stage who were like a divine couple. Such love, so good. They also wanted it. Accompanied by the sound of music, Xia Shuriyao once again raised the microphone, and for this part, she sang first. Her gaze was as watery as water, and with a smile, she looked at Gu Xingyi beside her, and lightly opened her vermilion lips. I want to take you to see the clear sky. I want to tell you out loud that I'm obsessed with you. The past is in a hurry, you will always be touched. For the rest of my life in the future, I only want you. Gu Xingyi held Xia Shuriyao's hand and took a step towards the front of the stage. In the midst of the audience's stupor, he suddenly pulled her into his arms, his eyes smiling, and lightly kissed her forehead. Xia Shuriyao's mouth was slightly open, the whole person looked delicate and naive. She also did not expect that Gu Xingyi would do this. This was his temporary intention. For this song, Gu Xingyi had the deepest feelings. Whenever he heard this song in the original world, he would imagine that the person who would accompany him in the future, what would it be like? Now that he knew, that person, was Xia Shuriyao. Gu Xingyi was completely immersed in the song, and singing it, it seemed like he had already seen the rest of his life with her in the future. Gu Xingyi picked up the microphone, as if he was gently speaking to Xia Shuriyao. For the rest of our lives to come, the wind and snow are you, the spring blossoms are you, the summer rains are you, autumn and yellow are you, the cold and warm seasons are you, and wherever your eyes go, it's also you. At this time, all the audience who were watching the Star Song Festival, no one cared about how Gu Xingyi sang. Whether he sang well or not, it was no longer important. What mattered was that they had all been immersed in the beautiful images on stage, immersed in the beautiful declaration of love for the rest of their lives. As far as the eye can see, everything is you. For the rest of my life, I only want you. Time is like water, there are always no words, as long as you are there. It's a sunny day. On the judges' table, several mentors have also been moved. People say that singing, but even better singing, but also just to let the listeners better wholeheartedly resonate with the song. Although Gu Xingyi's singing is really slightly inferior, but he did resonate the word. In the broadcasting room, Ren Chao covered his chest. He was no longer concerned about the data on the monitor that skyrocketed to the extreme. He was more concerned about the fact that he really saw such a duo in this kind of showbiz atmosphere now. Although he had already known that Xia Shuriyao had invited Gu Xingyi to be the guest vocalist, when they really stood on the stage, this excitement, this shock, was something that no improvised pair could bring. It was a feeling that came from within, and it was mesmerizing. And now in the major live broadcast rooms, the pop-up screens were uniformly floating on the screen. For the rest of my life, it's all about you. There were even countless couples who secretly decided that when they got married, they must sing this song in duet at the wedding site. This was the charm of a love song duet. Backstage, Heavenly King Lu looked at the duo on stage like a prince cradling a princess. With a smile on his face, his eyes slightly drenched, he suddenly felt that he had come on this trip. It was worth it. Showbiz, there is a successor, will never be criticized again. On the stage, Gu Xingyi wrapped one hand around Xia Shuriyao's waist, and with one hand, he brought her to gently spin around, and the two of them resumed standing side by side, facing the audience. They raised the microphone together and looked at each other, their eyes showing love. The chorus began. For the rest of my life, the wind and the snow are you. You're the one who's plain. Poverty is you. Glory is you. The tenderness of your heart is you. Wherever you look, you are you. Wherever you look, it's you. The music fell, and the last note of the two ended. The scene suddenly erupted into thunderous applause. They were both touched, but also incomparably envious. A good man and a good woman, but that's it. Kiss. Unknown to the stage, who shouted out. The next moment, all the audience shouted in unison. Kiss one. Kiss one. Xia Shuriao's face grew redder and redder. So many people under the stage made her incomparably shy. Gu Xingyi twisted his head, looking at these watching audience under the stage, picked up the microphone and put it to his mouth, suddenly asking, "Kiss one?" The stage immediately rose up, and the audience screamed. However, as cunning as Gu Xingyi, he had a bitchy smile on his face and said again, "Thinking about it is beautiful. If you want to kiss, you should also go home and kiss again." Boo! The audience couldn't take it anymore and booed in unison, and the atmosphere of the scene became even more heated as a result. Even the viewers in the live broadcast room all laughed as they transformed into Land Key Immortals, and the pop-ups instantly spread all over the screen. Good you Gu Xingyi. Waiting to die are you. Cut. As if anyone wants to see you spill dog food. If you don't kiss, what's so fierce about it? Gu Xingyi, can you do it or not? That's right. If you can't, just say so, I'll do it instead. Upstairs, I can hear you from thousands of miles away. Gu Xingyi, alas. Once there was a great opportunity in front of me, I did not cherish, until after the loss I realized that if God gives me another chance, I must. Definitely. Kiss on. Gu Xingyi didn't care about the ghostly cries of the audience under the stage anymore. He looked at the shy Xia Shuria with a gentle smile. After thinking for a while, he removed the small golden rose in front of his chest, and wore it on the tip of her hair. After embellishing it, Xia Shuria was instantly more beautiful, like the bride in his dream, making the color of joy in his eyes even more intense. The audience under the stage immediately ate another mouthful of dog food, each howling even more joyfully. Fortunately, the host Chen Shuer quickly stepped onto the stage at this time, and busily pacified the audience at the scene, which stabilized the excited mood of the audience under the stage. After that, Miao Ankuan and Lu Tianwang were also invited to the stage. The four stood side by side on the stage, looking toward the tutor seat, at this moment to the tutor review voting session. The first to comment and vote was still Gao Yu. He looked towards the four people on the stage, and suddenly had a feeling that he had no way to speak, and after thinking for half a day, in the end, he smiled bitterly before he finally opened his mouth. This match, letting me critique it is harder than killing me. Words just exported, led to a burst of laughter from the audience on the stage. They all understand, on stage this is what combination a heavenly king, a now the most bold and the lyricist, shelf who are going to hemp claws. But as a professional judge tutor, I still say my opinion. First of all, Lu Tianwang and Miao Ankuan, your duet even I am ashamed to be inferior. Lu Tianwang is a senior, the strength of the natural unquestionable, but Miao Ankuan, today gave me a big surprise. Your performance today was very good. You didn't show any fear even when you sang with the Heavenly King on the same stage. That's good. Secondly, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriao, the two of you, I can't say anything about it because I was also brought into the happiness you envisioned by the song, and the stage effect was even more full of points. If uninformed people saw it, they would definitely think it was a wedding scene. When Gao Yu said this, he paused for a moment, and a struggling bitter smile spread across his face again. This match was a feast for the audience, but for him, it was truly a sure hell. He hadn't even decided who to vote for until now. At this moment, the gazes of all the spectators at the scene were focused on Gao Yu, and Gao Yu's entire body loosened up for a moment, still deciding. This vote of mine, let's vote for Miao Ankuan, because I'm a professional tutor, and in terms of professionalism and singing, Miao Ankuan and Heavenly King Lu are clearly better. After Gao Yu cast his vote, his entire body loosened up and leaned on the back of his chair. This voting really made his heart tired, more tired than a concert. God knows how long he had been tangled up inside. The voting session has always been the most tense moment in the atmosphere of the scene. The four people on the stage, on the contrary, their faces were as normal. The audience under the stage, however, held their breaths. They seemed to be even more nervous than the parties involved, because they all had their own support players in their hearts. Until Gao Yu vote finished, the audience only came a little noisy sound. To the professional mentors, there was nothing wrong with Gao Yu's vote, but to the audience, they were more able to empathize with Gu Xingyi and Xia Shuriao's the rest of their lives afterward. Many people were a bit disappointed, but they didn't say anything. Gao Yu's critique really wasn't wrong. Although Gu Xingyi had practiced hard for a few days, his level of professionalism was still inferior compared to Heavenly King Lu. The second mentor who voted, it was Shui Xiaoqian's turn. He also had a difficult look on his face. He thought for half a day on the mentor's seat. Finally he made a good decision, took a deep breath, and looked to the four people on the stage. My view may be a bit different from tutor Gao Yu. I think that songs are a way for people to express their emotions, and people are finding that resonance point in songs that belongs to them. Professional singers are able to drive the audience's atmosphere precisely because their singing is able to resonate with people, and tonight, Gu Xingyi and Xia Shiryao are undoubtedly doing a better job at this. So, for my vote this time, I still choose to vote for Xia Shiryao. When the song reaches the hearts of the people, in my heart, Xia Shiryao and Gu Xingyi have already won. Shui Xiaoqian finished his opinion in one breath, before letting out a long breath. 1,000 readers have 1,000 Hamlets, and 1,000 listeners naturally have 1,000 feelings. In the face of two hard-won good songs, Shui Xiaoqian chose to follow his heart. The number of votes once again came to a 1-to-1 tie, so the audience held their breath even more. This night, the result will be exactly how. By now no one's heart has a bottom. If you want to say that the most relaxed at this time belongs to the four people on the stage, their hearts at this moment feel that, no matter win or lose, they have already tried their best. Try their best is the best answer to themselves. What's the saying? You just try your best, and leave the rest to God's will. This was the mentality of the four people on stage right now. When it was the turn of the third mentor, Chen Yisun, to vote, he didn't comment first, but instead stood up and took the lead in bowing to the four people on stage before speaking with emotion. To be honest, I haven't paid attention to the Chinese music scene for many years, but it wasn't until today that I realized I was wrong. As it turns out, the Chinese music scene isn't as declined as I thought it was, and I'm here today to witness the emergence of two stunning love songs, and the sparks that collide between the new generation and the old generation. If it's about the play and songs of the two contestants, this vote, I would vote for Xia Shiryao, but if I add the performance of the supporting singers, I would still choose Miao Anquan and Lu Tianwang. I agree with Gao Yu, as a professional singer, I would naturally be more inclined to a more professional combination. So, with this vote, I'm voting for Miao Anquan. Chen Yisun's words fell. Gu Xingyi on the stage smiled helplessly. Sure enough, in the end, it was him who dragged Xia Shiryao down. Comparing to Heavenly King Lu, he naturally couldn't compare to him above the degree of professionalism in singing. After this vote, the number of votes also came to 2:1. Everyone's eyes all stared at Lu Ruoying. The guide's camera also pulled close, giving Lu Ruoying a close-up at the right time. When the camera drew closer, everyone suddenly froze, because they saw that Lu Ruoying was secretly wiping her tears. As a former love song diva, Lu Ruoying had the deepest feelings for love songs, and she was touched by the kind of beautiful love that Xia Shiryao and Gu Xingyi displayed. When she saw that the camera was already on her, she then realized that she had lost her composure, so she busily wiped her eyes again and put up a small smile on her face. Sorry, I lost my temper. This vote, I'm voting for Xia Shiryao. I don't have much to say in terms of critique, I just want to say that this song of yours has touched me. Looking at Lu Ruoying on stage with sincere feelings, Xia Shiryao and Gu Xingyi bowed to Lu Ruoying at the same time. Especially Gu Xingyi, looking at the familiar faces on the tutor's table, his heart did not mention how much feeling. This world's Lu Ruoying, and the original world does not seem to be different, but she has a famous song has not yet appeared, and I do not know in this world, whether it will appear or not. Gu Xingyi's heart was a little gloomy, always felt that if that song didn't appear, it would be a pity for this world. The votes of the four tutors have ended at this time, 2-2 tie. The next time the audience performance arrived, on the big screen, real-time voting opened, only to see the audience on the scene have taken out their cell phones, nervously to their favorite players to vote on their own exclusive that vote. At this time, even the pop-ups of the major live broadcasts have disappeared. All the people who are concerned about the Star Song Exchange have clicked on the voting button. The voting of the Star Song Exchange can only be real name system, one person, one vote. So at this current situation, every one of their votes for the outcome of the competition is crucial. For the audience, this was a different kind of war. Whether their favorite contestant could win or not depended entirely on them. So many of them began to call on their friends, and in various groups, they were all actively polling for votes for their own little masters. Xia Shiryao Gu Xingyi's relatives group, 1, which used to be a small group, has now grown into 5 large groups, and the long diving group owner Xiaohong rarely jumped out at the moment, her cell phone screen tapping until it was on fire, frantically asking her groupmates to notify their respective friends and relatives, and pulling votes for Xia Shiryao. On the internet, some accounts that have not been seen for a long time have also appeared. They are all middle-aged people, and the army of life against the line. They also received the message at this moment, they are fighting for Lu Tianwang. This was a battle between the new generation of fans and the old generation of fans, as well as a battle between the new king and the old king. On the big screen, the real-time support rates of both parties were high, biting off more than they could chew, and they were still increasing all the time, lasting longer than any of the previous matches. The audience's votes, for a moment, were caught in a tug of war, and the support rates of both sides were catching up with each other. At this moment, even countless media outlets looked at the support rates on the big screen with disbelief. They never thought before the match that Gu Xingyi's energy would be so great that he could compete with Lu Tianwang for 1 or 2. Although Tianwang was old, he was still a Tianwang. They had thought that Xia Shiryao's choice of Gu Xingyi to be the guest of honor would be a mistake, but now the situation had hit them hard in the face. When exactly did Gu Xingyi start to have this popularity? They thought about it carefully, and suddenly realized that it seemed like without realizing it, the song that was now exploding in the entire Chinese music scene was created by Gu Xingyi. This cub, just like this, had silently occupied half of the Chinese music scene. Although the hot searches had been inseparable from Gu Xingyi during this period of time, they were mostly about things that happened to him, such as the domestic violence incident, such as the dating incident. These things had silently covered up the sparkle of his songwriting. It wasn't until this moment that all of them had come back to the fact that, putting these things aside, what they were listening to now had always been Gu Xingyi's songs. Terror. The media who noticed this gulped, and they suddenly realized that the Chinese music scene might be about to change. Once these songs created by Gu Xingyi were made into an album and put online at Huayin, the charts at that time, they didn't dare to imagine. With just one person's power, they could slaughter the charts? Thinking of this, they unconsciously put their eyes on the big screen directly above the Star Song Exchange stage again. They knew that once Xia Shiriyao won this time, it would mean that the sky of the entertainment industry, from this moment onwards, would really change. This Star Song Exchange was the most popular one in history, and at this moment, not only the audience, but even the eyes of the entire entertainment industry were focused on this. Shangshi Entertainment, Sanxi Entertainment, Tianmei Entertainment, as well as all the large, medium, and small entertainment companies, at this moment, all of their executives, all of them converged in their respective companies' conference rooms. What the media had noticed, how could they not have noticed, as early as before, they had held a meeting, but at that time, there were not many people who thought that Gu Xingyi had the ability to be able to change the dynamics of the entertainment industry. But now it was different. On the Star Song Hui, Gu Xingyi's terrifying popularity was undoubtedly showing them that Gu Xingyi already had the strength to approach the Heavenly Kings. Although he didn't have enough of a resume, his popularity was already beginning to take shape, and compared to the Heavenly Kings, he was perhaps just that much further away from an opportunity. China's entertainment industry, since the four Heavenly Kings gradually retired, no one has been able to have such a scale of popularity. Gu Xingyi is the first. Ridiculous thing. He cannot be seriously considered a circle of people. A character who had been straying from the edge of the entertainment circle, yet had such popularity. This was the most frightening. In the conference room of Soundse Entertainment, a group of executives were watching the big screen intently, and what was playing on it was the real-time live broadcast of the Star Song Festival scene. The guide camera turned to Gu Xingyi at this moment, and a ripple appeared in Yang Xian's originally calm and wave-free eyes. He still vaguely remembered that not long ago, Gu Xingyi single-handedly barged into Mordor and asked him for a seemingly impossible top contract. At that time, Yang Xian only thought that Gu Xingyi was a talented, bold, and capable young talent, but he didn't expect that only 2 months later, the hot search was like his backyard garden, wanting to enter. The Chinese singing world was also dominated by this man, and the songs that have exploded in popularity lately are all his. Yang Xian took a deep breath. He didn't know whether to be happy or worried. The tree attracts the wind. After this, I'm afraid that Xia Shiriyao and Gu Xingyi's life won't be easy, even his own company. Now there are some different voices. The cake is so big, you want to eat all of it. What about others? Yang Envy's eyes flickered as he looked at the big screen, his fingers unconsciously tapping on the desktop. In the conference room, more complicated than Yang Xian's mood, belongs to the Yang Lin sitting at the bottom, before the imperial sister now see, actually has lost some weight. She looked at the big screen Gu Xingyi. Her eyes are a little complicated. Since the last time he passed the phone, Yang Lin never contacted him, because smart as she, naturally heard Gu Xingyi phone deliberately distant. During this period of time, she also understood her own mind. She admitted that she was so much in love with Gu Xingyi, maybe from the first time she received Gu Xingyi, maybe it was when Gu Xingyi sang As Long as It's Ordinary in the office, she didn't know when, but Gu Xingyi made her heart flutter. It was also true that it was hard for such a talented man with a good personality not to attract attention, and she was not exempt from that. But again, she knew that Gu Xingyi only belonged to Xia Shiriyao, so she didn't bother him again and deliberately avoided hearing from him. Now that she saw Gu Xingyi again, he was even more dazzling and attractive than before, and his feelings for Xia Shiriyao were obviously deeper as well. Yang Lin lowered her head and smiled bitterly, somewhat not daring to look at it again. She didn't know why she fell in love with such a man with a family. She could only say that she didn't know what she was feeling, but she was deeply in love with him. At this moment, Shangshi Entertainment, like Sound and Sea Entertainment, all the senior management were concentrated in the conference room. Sitting in the first place was the chairman of Shangshi Entertainment, Tian Xingqi. Compared to the serious atmosphere in the conference room of Sound and Sea Entertainment, the atmosphere of Shangshi Entertainment was obviously much more relaxed. Even the chubby fat on Tian Xingqi's face was trembling with his laughter. Tian Xingqi laughed while holding up the gold-rimmed round glasses on the bridge of his nose. This is only interesting. It's good to have a Gu Xingyi come out and stir up the otherwise dead pool of the music industry. Anyway, I'm not focusing on music, movie and television is the direction of our company. Ha 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 ha. The executives in the room all laughed when they heard this, and a director sitting to Tian Xingqi's left immediately flattered.
It's still Chairman Tian's good tactics inviting out a heavenly king, letting everyone see the strength of Guxingyi. Losing is not a disadvantage, let the other companies have a headache. Winning is also our Shangshur Entertainment's Miao Anquan winning, we're naturally happy.
Ha ha, winning makes everyone happy, losing is also a small profit, a high move. Tian Xingqi blinked his wise green eyes and glanced appreciatively at the directors around him.
1,000 wears, only a horse's ass does not wear. Tian Xingqi was comfortable in his heart. You Guxingyi can make a small profit, but I, Tian Xingqi, will never lose. At this time, the most saddened, belongs to Tianmei Entertainment. This session of the Star Singing Festival, with their company's 2 dark horses were eliminated one after another. Originally Tianmei Entertainment thought that there was nothing for them to do. But now, when people are sitting at home, trouble comes from the sky. A Guxingyi had caused everyone to be in disarray, and when they thought that the songs that would be on the music charts in the future might all be created by Guxingyi, their hearts were stuffy. In the conference room of Tianmei Entertainment, the atmosphere was dead at the moment, and the chairman of the board, Lu Gao, was even gloomy.
Who can tell me, Lu Qian is the situation? And where did Guxingyi come from? A retired 2 years married woman, hard to be held up by him alone?
Lu Gao heart is very tired. This time he has been abroad to talk about the project, and did not pay too much attention to the domestic things. As a result, he did not expect how long he just left.
Home is going to be stolen?
A group of executives looked at each other in dismay. How did they know where this monster-like guy came out from? They only knew that those songs were really good. Looking at the silent senior leaders, Lu Gao was suddenly furious. A pig teammate. One by one, they only know how to get drunk on paper and gold. They've really been living in comfort for too long, and they don't have any sense of crisis at all.
Now, immediately,
investigate the matter clearly.
No one can leave until this matter is clarified. Also, contact the water army for me. No matter how much money is spent, this fight must be won by Miao Anqilan and Heavenly King Lu. We can't let Guxingyi successfully sit on the reputation of having a chance to enter the next Heavenly King and minimize the impact. Also, go out to another person and contact Guxingyi tomorrow to test his reaction. Just say that we're going to ask for a song date. Lu Gao finished in one breath, once again casting his gaze to the big screen. He looked at Guxingyi's smiling face in the screen. How could he look at it? How could he find it piercing?
In addition to these 3 giants, various small and medium-sized entertainment companies also acted at this time. Some of them chose to befriend Guxingyi and release their goodwill. Some, like Soundsea Entertainment, chose to extinguish his flames before he could rise completely. For a while, the entire entertainment circle was surging with dark currents, and the most peaceful place right now was the Starsong Festival site. The Starsong exchange scene was quiet. Everyone was looking at the real-time support rate on the big screen, and they didn't even dare to take a breath. Because on the big screen, the support rate of the 2 people, but at this time rare to maintain a state of parity.
It was outrageous. All the viewers, including the mentors and contestants, were staring at the big screen with wide eyes. Unbelievably. It's even? How does this count?
The number of supporting votes from both sides had actually come to the same number, which was something that had never happened before when looking at the entire history of Starsong Exchange. After all, the audience had a huge base and it was basically impossible for this to happen. Time was still passing by the minute, but the number of votes seemed to be fixed like this, and there didn't seem to be any more votes on either side. The time stipulated for voting was also approaching its end. The audience at the scene couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Could it be? Is this the way the game will end? Just when everyone felt that things had come to this, suddenly, on the big screen, the number of votes in favor of Xia Shuriao suddenly jumped a bit. The votes had been flat for almost 5 minutes, and with only 1 minute left, Xia Shuriao had steeply gained 1 more vote. The scene at this moment immediately sent out a gasp of shock. Their mood was like riding a roller coaster. At this moment, they had already raised their hearts to their throats, and the tension in their hearts had reached the extreme point.
Could it be? Xia Shuriao was really going to win?
On the big screen, the countdown had already started. 60,
59,
58. At this moment, no matter if it was the audience at the scene, or the viewers in the live broadcast room, they couldn't stop themselves from counting down the numbers neatly along with the countdown on the big screen.
Tense. Exciting. Could it be that today, Guxingyi could really win over the veteran Heavenly King in the competition?
Such a reverse scene was a favorite in many people's hearts. At the moment, the match didn't seem to have much to do with Xia Shuriao and Miao Anquan anymore. They were more interested in knowing who was more popular, Guxingyi or Heavenly King Lu. Well, just as everyone was excitedly already counting down to 40, all of a sudden, Miao Anjuan's support votes, too, jumped a tiny bit. The scene once again erupted into a gasp of surprise.
Another tie?
But the truth was beyond everyone's expectations. After Miao Anquan's votes jumped a little, without pausing for a few seconds, they jumped again, 1 vote, 2 votes. It rose at an even rate visible to the naked eye. This obviously abnormal scene made everyone at the scene frown. These people who were voting were too disciplined. It wasn't something that fans could do at all. Such a professional vote-up was like an assembly line job, making people feel squirmy inside. The audience was still a bit uncertain, but the mentors and contestants on stage, as well as Ren Xiao who was watching in the background, understood in their hearts at this moment.
This was someone hiring a water army.
Ren Xiao clenched his fist. This was the second time.
The second time someone had messed up on his program. The key was that there was nothing he could do about it. The loopholes that hadn't even happened before were all revealed in this edition of Starsong Exchange. When he invited the contestants, he had signed a treaty with their respective companies that they couldn't swipe votes. But now, someone was openly swiping votes.
Ren Xiao knew that it had to be impossible for Shengshi Entertainment to have done this, because the cost of breaking the treaty was much greater than the gains achieved by Miao Ankuan's win, and it was only the second final. The winner was not yet certain who the winner would be. Soundse Entertainment is even more unlikely. Xia Shiyao is their company's contestant. The rest is Tianmei Entertainment and those small and medium-sized entertainment companies. Ren Xiao immediately understood their intentions. This is some people do not want to see Gu Xingyi on the throne. Although Ren Xiao understood, there was nothing he could do about it. He was just a director. He couldn't help these companies. Even if it was the company behind himself, he still couldn't help so many interest groups.
This is the entertainment circle. This damn showbiz, it's really hopeless.
Ren Xiao punched his fist on the table in front of him and spoke through clenched teeth. Then he closed his eyes and began to take deep breaths. After easily soothing his emotions, Ren Xiao's eyes tended to calm down, and as if he had made some kind of important decision, he took out his cell phone from his pocket and called the company's number. On the stage in front, the results of the audience's real-time voting rate had already appeared. Miao Anjuan won this competition with a lead of a few thousand votes, but she and Heavenly King Lu did not have any expression of elation on their faces. A victory won in this manner was simply an insult to their status as singers. The original tense scene was rarely cold, the audience below all froze in place. If a few votes or dozens of votes appeared in the back against the odds, they were not rare. There will always be someone late, but this kind of large-scale uniform frequency of votes, it is also too strange. In the live broadcast room, some people have already spoken and questioned. The netizens' eyes are bright. This kind of obviously unreasonable things, they are not fools.
What's the situation? I just had my heart in my throat and suddenly I'm given this? Shady again? It shouldn't be. It's not like Miao Anjuan doesn't have a chance of winning. There's still a few dozen seconds left. I believe in Heavenly King Lu's character, and the program group wouldn't be stupid enough to do this. It's probably someone messing around. Hired the water army. Then how can this be counted? How else can it be counted? A loss is a loss. We can still watch one more game. Upstairs, you can't say that. This vote is obviously not normal, so Xia Shiyao deserved to lose? That's all. Let's see the results. Let's see what the program team will say. The results had already appeared. No matter what, as the host Chen Shuer had to announce it, she picked up the microphone somewhat helplessly, and just as she was about to open her mouth, she saw the director, Ren Xiao, hurriedly walking up from the backstage. After Ren Xiao came up, he whispered something to Chen Shuer. Chen Shuer was relieved to hear it and handed the microphone to Ren Xiao. Ren Xiao took the microphone and gave a slight nod of his head to the four people on stage, then turned to face the audience. Hello everyone, hello again, I'm the director of the program, Ren Xiao. I'll be hosting for you next. The results of the competition have now appeared, although there were some ups and downs during the voting period, and the results were not as satisfactory as they should have been, but that's just the way it is. Ren Xiao looked at the audience on stage and spoke in a serious tone. The guide also cut the camera to him at the right time, and the live broadcast room was quiet, all wanting to know what he would do next. For those extra audience votes in the back, I think many people know in their hearts what's going on. For this situation to occur, this is a mistake of our program team, and a failure of the entertainment industry. As the director of the program team, I feel sorry that I didn't get to see contestant Xia Shiyao win the title today, but I'm also happy that contestant Miao Ankuan was able to win, because their performances, in my opinion, that both deserve to win this competition. As for the result, this one is still won by Miao Anjuan. In my heart, both of them are champions. After Ren Xiao finished saying this, some noises came from the audience under the stage, but the noises quickly disappeared. Although they were a bit upset about the number of votes, they still recognized the strength of Miao Anjuan and Heavenly King Lu. Only after the scene quieted down again did Ren Xiao continue. The next thing I'd like to announce is that this session of the Starsong Exchange comes to an end. I apologize for not being able to bring you all a good viewing experience. We will definitely improve the competition mechanism in the future, and the next Starsong Exchange will not have any more problems. Although this competition did not produce a champion, I believe that the true champion is in everyone's heart. Ren Xiao solemnly finished this paragraph, then bowed deeply to the stunned audience at the scene, before looking at the four people on stage with apologies. The four people on stage all smiled at Ren Xiao. They all felt some admiration for Ren Xiao for being able to make this move. After all, not everyone has the courage to be able to make such a decision. The Star Song Festival ended like this with a tiger's tail, there was no champion, and the program didn't even finish airing. This was something that had never happened before in the entire history of entertainment. It was one of the biggest failures and one of the biggest successes of the show. Because, this program made most people know the figure of Gu Xingyi, and there were multiple great songs on the program that were able to massacre the charts. For the audience, although it was regrettable, the champion in their hearts already existed. Backstage at the Magic City Stadium, the staff were packing up the venue and were busy. The four of them, Gu Xingyi and Ren Xiao, stood on the side, looking at the scene in front of them and couldn't help but sigh a little. A good program, just like this end, the previous days of the pomp and circumstance of a few people are vivid in their minds, really did not expect, in the end will be such an ending. Especially Ren Xiao, at this time has been slightly disheveled, this program is his heart and soul, and now said no one no more, in the future, I guess I can no longer see such as this exciting competition. At this time, the four mentors also packed up and walked over. Shui Xiaoqian seemed to be more familiar with Ren Xiao. He looked at the drooping Ren Xiao and patted his shoulder. Tutor Ren, relax, this time it's already like this, just pay more attention in the future and make the rules better. Ren Xiao gave a bitter smile and shook his head. How can it be that easy, this time? Because I forced the end of the match, the breach of contract will be a total loss of this time's earnings. Whether or not I can keep this director's position is questionable. That's serious? Shui Xiaoqian was stunned upon hearing this, clearly not knowing that things were so serious. Ren Xiao waved his hand, seemingly unwilling to say more about this, although it was possible that he would lose his job this time, he did not regret that he did so. When the few people present heard this, they all looked at each other in disbelief, not knowing what to say. Gu Xingyi held Xia Shuriao's hand, as he looked at Ren Xiao who was already in his middle age, he couldn't help but admire his courage and character even more in his heart. This kind of choice was really hard for ordinary people to make. Ren Xiao also found the awkward atmosphere on the field at the moment because of him. Busy Face again smiled and said, "Hey, you guys should chat about anything, don't care about me, isn't this matter of mine still undecided?" Ren Xiao himself said this before a few people came out of the awkward atmosphere. The older Heavenly King Lu was the first to open up the topic. He looked towards Gu Xingyi and smiled. "This time I came, the biggest surprise to me was you. I can foresee that in the future, at the top of the Chinese music scene, you, Gu Xingyi, will have a seat." Heavenly King Lu's eyes were full of admiration, making Gu Xingyi a little embarrassed. Where was he any good? That was all due to his predecessors in the original world. Before Gu Xingyi could speak, Shui Xiaoqian followed. "Right. There's no problem with what Heavenly King Lu said. Gu Xingyi, you're so great, I wonder if I'll have that honor to ask you for a song in the future?" The few people on the field were a bit impressed when they heard Shui Xiaoqian's words, and all of them looked at Gu Xingyi with two bright eyes. As veteran singers, they naturally wanted to have a good song of their own. They weren't short of songs, but they were short of fine songs. They naturally knew that Gu Xingyi's songs were basically the best of the best. Gu Xingyi looked at the eyes of several people like wolves and tigers, and was busy waving his hand. "Several of you are seniors, don't discount me. If there's a need in the future, I can give it a try. Then it's a deal. Sisters Xia Shuriao can't be jealous." Gu Xingyi then realized that this Shui Xiaoqian was a self-acquaintance. As soon as he finished his words, Shui Xiaoqian said right after with a smile on his face, "And by the way, he also brought along Xia Shuriao to bring the relationship closer." Xia Shuriao blushed slightly, her hand was still in Gu Xingyi's hand until now. Hearing Shui Xiaoqian's words, she was busy shaking her head. "It won't. Gu Xingyi he has always had his own ideas for composing songs." Originally, Shui Xiaoqian was just joking. When he saw Xia Shuriao answering so seriously, he froze, followed by a few people laughing. It was really unexpected that the radiant Xia Shuriao on stage would be such a gentle and naive person in reality. A few people gathered around and joked for a while longer, and before parting ways, a few mentors, including Ren Xiao, and even Heavenly King Lu, added Gu Xingyi's WeChat. As for Miao Anquan, she didn't bother to add Gu Xingyi, but she also had Xia Shuriao's best friend, and after these two competitions, the two of them were already quite familiar with each other. A group of people went out of the gymnasium and went their separate ways. In fact, according to the custom of previous years, after the program was all over, it was necessary for everyone to get together and have a celebratory drink to celebrate the successful conclusion of the program. But this time, because of the accident of the program, the celebration reception naturally did not. When Miao Anjuan got into the company's nanny car, she happened to see Xia Shuriao and Gu Xingyi talking and getting into the car together from the car window, and then their car drove away from the parking lot in front of her. Looking at the car in front of her that had already disappeared at the exit, Miao Anjuan's gaze flickered a bit. She actually quite envied Xia Shuriao. She felt that Xia Shuriao was powerful, had a good personality and was pretty. The most crucial thing is that she also has a good husband. Just when they were talking together, there were so many veteran singers on the field, and a heavenly king, but their topic of conversation always revolved around Gu Xingyi. She and Xia Shuriao were the same contestants, but it was obvious that the two were not worth the same amount of money. and the reason for this was that Xia Shiryao had Gu Xingyi, while she, herself, only had a company focusing on the direction of film and television behind her. Everyone has their own suffering, she is also the same. The Star Song Festival accidentally ended, she went back, and will continue to struggle in the position of the third-line singers. This competition is over, Xia Shiryao has something to be busy with. The two have just returned to the apartment. Sister Yun came with a pile of documents in her arms, which are all sorts of things, making albums, running notices, pushing albums, fan meetings. There were all sorts of things. The days of leisure seemed to be getting farther and farther away from her, and when Gu Xingyi saw this thick stack of documents, he couldn't help but rub her temples for her. Xia Shiryao was sitting on the sofa with Sister Yun, quietly flipping through them. Gu Xingyi didn't disturb her and turned around to go to the kitchen. This was her business, as long as she was happy. Sister Yun, these few advertisements, help me push them. The other two, you can take them, but make sure the product is authentic. And it's only after the album is released that I'll have time to shoot. Xia Shiryao looked at it while frowning as she pulled out a few advertisement invitations from it. Any advertisements that had the slightest flaw were picked out by her. Sister Yun picked up these few advertisements from the table and looked at them carefully, then her face held a hint of worry. Have you rejected them all? There are 2 advertisers in here that are big partners of the company. If they are rejected, I'm afraid that some people in the company will have a problem with it. Sister Yun, don't think too much, just reject them. It's clearly written in the contract, no problem, and don't forget that the copyright of the album will be in our own hands. Everything will be done according to the contract, and they won't be able to suffer any loss from Sound C. Before Xia Shiryao spoke, Gu Xingyi, who heard Yun's words, said, holding a spatula in his hand and leaning on the kitchen doorframe. He and Sound C Entertainment are in a cooperative relationship, not a contract of sale, so why should he care so much about them? Hearing this, Sister Yun and Xia Shiryao looked up at the same time. Sister Yun nodded when she saw Gu Xingyi's confident look. Since the 2 main couples were going to refuse, she naturally wouldn't say anything more. Xia Shiryao, on the other hand, was warm in her heart. As long as Gu Xingyi was there, what did she have to be afraid of? The next day, a double holiday. When things in Magic City ended, Gu Xingyi returned to Jiangcheng. Now that Xia Shiryao had more things to do, he had to hurry up and change Tao Leilei's temporary nanny back. As a member of Xia Shiryao's Dragon and Tiger Generals, Gu Xingyi couldn't let her become a baby slave like himself. When Gu Xingyi arrived home, Tao Leilei was nestled on the sofa, holding little Nai Nai in her arms, watching cartoons, both of them smiling from ear to ear, with a large pile of snacks on the table. This made Gu Xingyi's forehead go up 3 oversized thick lines across it. Hearing the sound of the door opening, the 2 on the sofa turned their heads together, and little Nai Nai grinned the first time she saw Gu Xingyi, smiling as she could down from Tao Leilei's arms and pounced into Gu Xingyi's embrace. Gu Xingyi smoothly picked her up. I don't know if it's an illusion, at this moment, he always felt that Nai Nai had gained some weight again? Tao Leilei also stood up and looked at Gu Xingyi with an inviting look, that looked as if she was saying, you see? Whether it's Sister Shiryao or little Nai Nai, I was able to raise them all white and fat. Gu Xingyi was powerless to spit, and could only say in sincere words, great merit, go back, your sister Shiryao needs you now. Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, Tao Leilei instantly pinched her waist and couldn't be bothered to feel great. Then she quickly packed up her luggage, held her head high, waved at Gu Xingyi who was already frozen in place, and left in style, leaving Gu Xingyi with only an invincible back. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. Hiding your accomplishments and fame? Bullshit. Don't you need to send them off? The corner of Gu Xingyi's mouth twitched slightly as he looked at Tao Leilei's back, as if he heard a song playing in the underworld. How invincible. How lonely. In the end, Gu Xingyi still hugged Nai Nai, caught up with Tao Leilei, and drove her to the station. In the next half a month or so, Gu Xingyi was finally free. During this time, in addition to picking up Nai Nai to school every day, he was at home studying the script of One Man's Life, completely turning into a good man at home. Xia Shiryao is also getting busier and busier. She is not only recording songs in the company, but also running notices and doing publicity. Anyway, from day to day, basically there is no free time. This also led to her only being able to make a video call to Gu Xingyi every night before she went to bed, and the 2 of them talked about all kinds of big and small trivialities that happened every day in the video. It was worth mentioning that because of the issue of Xia Shiryao's top contract, some people in Sound C Entertainment did have quite a few comments, especially when Xia Shiryao refused some business activities. These comments behind the scenes became even louder. However, fortunately, these comments were suppressed by the recent heat brought by Xia Shiryao, and the chairman of the company, Yang Xian. He also explicitly prohibited the company's gossip. According to his words, everything is based on the contract. September, destined to be an extraordinary January, Xia Shiryao's publicity was very successful. Now the internet is full of news about Xia Shiryao's new album. The album contains The Wind Rises, Courage, Sea of Flowers. The album contains a series of songs that have appeared on Star Song Festival, etc. It is said that there is also a new song that the audience has not heard before.
which makes the netizens look forward to the album online without fail. Xia Shiyao's blog was also updated at the right time. The album will be officially launched on October 1st at 8 p.m. on the Huayin platform. Because Xia Shiyao's heat was too great, some other singers who were prepared to release their new songs on October 1st could only change the time. They said, there was no way. It's hard to compete. It would be difficult. Xia Shiyao's appearance broke the balance of the Chinese music scene. Everyone knew why, but there was nothing anyone could do about it at the moment. In addition to Sound and Sea Entertainment, there was also a monster of a man standing behind her. As early as the second day after Gu Xingyi came back, he received a lot of information from companies inviting songs. Among them was Tianmei Entertainment, and the price they offered was very attractive, but Gu Xingyi didn't pay any attention to it. Xia Shiyao's album was about to go online, and he was a fool to help other people write songs at this time. Regardless of how the entertainment industry is now in a state of flux, how the dark current, Gu Xingyi's life is very calm. On the 20th of September, Gu Xingyi finally created a complete script for the first season of One Man's Life. The Madman side had called before to inquire about the progress, and now he was finally able to give him a complete script. Early the next morning, Gu Xingyi dropped Nai Nai off at school, then contacted Chen Feng and drove to the studio he was in. Although it was in the same Jiang city, Chen Feng's studio was some distance away from his home, and it took Gu Xingyi more than 40 minutes to arrive at this familiar commercial building again. On the 6th floor, Chen Feng had been waiting in the company for a long time, and when Gu Xingyi pushed his way in with a thick file bag, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. Was this really the scribbling studio from before? The last time he came, the beer cans all over the place in the empty room gave him a big impression, but now, in this studio, the few pots of greenery placed on the windowsill were full of greenery, the brand new desks were neatly discharged, and more than 20 staff members were busy at their posts. With a smile on his face, Chen Feng put his arm on the shoulder of Gu Xingyi who froze in front of the door. Brother, what's up? It's okay, isn't it? Isn't it decent? Gu Xingyi twisted his head around, looked at Chen Feng fixedly, and suddenly said, did you empty your family's pockets? Chen Feng scratched his head, a silly smile on his face, busy pulling Gu Xingyi towards the inner office, whispering as he walked. Shoo, keep your voice down. Emptying my family's pockets is impossible, except that it's hard for me too. What you're looking at is all surface work. In reality, once the anime starts production, I might not even have enough money on me. Gu Xingyi frowned and said with some doubt. Crazy man, you're not going to beat your face up, are you? Fine. You're already fat enough for face work. Say, how much money have you actually prepared? 5 million. What? Gu Xingyi thought he was hallucinating. His voice got louder all of a sudden, drawing the staff in the room to look at him in unison. Luckily he had been wearing a mask and no one seemed to recognize him. Keep your voice down. I know it's too little, but my parents have given me an ultimatum, and this $5 million is the last chance for me. Old Gu. This is the moment of truth. My future is riding on you. The corners of Gu Xingyi's mouth twitched as he looked at Chen Feng with a skeptical gaze. 5 million? Still not enough? There was still a possibility that it wasn't enough? Crazy man, are you trying to tell me next that if you fail, you'll just have to go back and inherit your family's national supermarket chain that's worth over $100 million? How do you know? I know your ass. Gu Xingyi felt that her previous self must have had a brain fart to feel sorry for Chen Feng. Pushing open the door, the two of them entered the office. Gu Xingyi sat down on the chair and glanced at Chen Feng with a sultry look. It's not that I'm talking about you, crazy, you're a rich second generation. How can you be bullied by two little yakuza? Hearing Gu Xingyi say this, Chen Feng also straightened up, as he poured hot water for Gu Xingyi while saying, it's my own problem that I was cheated, it has nothing to do with whether my family has money or not. And although I called Wang Jun a good for nothing, in fact, he is indeed quite capable, his professional abilities are fine, and his family's situation is not bad. After speaking, Chen Feng took a sip of water and smiled bitterly. Old Gu, as you know, when scolding people, you only think about how to belittle the other party, but actually, he's not as useless as I said. After Gu Xingyi heard this, he also nodded his head. This matter what Chen Feng said was right on the money. Get up from where you fell. This he supported Chen Feng's concept. So then what's the situation when you say 5 million isn't enough? Gu Xingyi had only studied how anime scripts should be written during this period of time. He didn't know much about the details of producing anime. Chen Feng looked at Gu Xingyi's serious down look, his face also solemnized, and he immediately explained with Gu Xingyi. Old Gu, you don't understand the industry of animation. It's an industry that burns a lot of money. Just one ordinary anime costs around $10 million. The emergence of an anime is not as simple as people think. The preliminary stage requires planning, scripting, art design, scene design, character design, and so on some specialized talents to design. Wait. Gu Xingyi interrupted Chen Feng's long speech that was about to come out of his mouth. His head was a bit buzzing when he just heard 10 million. He knew that doing animation was quite costly, but he didn't expect it to be so costly. Now Chen Feng was throwing so many specialized things at him, where could he figure it out?
It was true that he was a traveled person, but it wasn't like he had the systems necessary for traveled people. Where would he be so omniscient? Crazy man, keep it simple, the whole thing is so specialized, I can't understand it. It's actually about selecting the right script, and that script must meet the requirements and standards set by the company and the TV station. Why are national comics lagging behind? It's because of the stricter domestic requirements. Chen Feng scratched his head and chose to speak in an easy-to-understand way. After the script is reviewed and approved, then the audience and market demands are taken into consideration, and the corresponding anime is produced. When producing the anime, the character image, clothing, personality, voice, etc. are first determined, and then the music is produced to match the anime's look and feel and ambience. Only after these two steps are done can the production of the more complex anime be officially opened. It can be said that every minute of anime production burns money, and there is also a large amount of publicity costs after the anime is produced. So, really don't underestimate a small anime, every frame of it is burning funds. Hearing Chen Feng say this, Gu Xingyi fell into deep thought for a moment before he raised his head. Crazy man, you said that an ordinary anime would cost around $10 million, so what are you going to do about this follow-up? Chen Feng waved both hands, seemingly innocent. Let's take one step at a time, and we'll save a lot of costs. First, the script doesn't cost anything. The original is completely in our own hands. We don't have to share it out. Secondly, when it comes time to publicize the anime, we'll still need you and my star sister-in-law to help out. I know that you guys are as hot as ever right now. When the time comes for you guys to casually cast the characters in the anime, that traffic will still take off. Chen Feng hemmed and hawed. Gu Xingyi skimmed his lips. This fatso was thinking quite far ahead. Alright, since you've thought about it, this script is for you. How to build it is your business. Just that I have one request. Don't spoil this anime. This was something that he had spent a lot of time writing out word by word, and it was a treasure of the original world. If Gu Xingyi didn't really believe in Chen Feng, he wouldn't have taken this out at all. Chen Feng took the file bag handed over by Gu Xingyi, opened it and carefully looked at it. This look, he was completely caught up in the script. The various ups and downs of the plot inside captivated him deeply, and according to his expertise, Gu Xingyi had completely portrayed all the scenes and all the characters' images, personalities, including some minor details, perfectly. Even the dialogues between each character, Gu Xingyi had portrayed them according to the professional anime perspective. The more Chen Feng looked at it, the more the smile on his face flourished. With this anime script, he felt that he was bound to succeed. An hour later, Chen Feng stood up violently, his eyes looking straight at Gu Xingyi. Old Gu, don't worry about it. This script of yours, coupled with my specialty, guarantees that it won't be buried. Gu Xingyi sighed in relief after hearing this. He had written this script entirely on his own according to the online requirements. And now that he could get Chen Feng's approval, it meant that he hadn't written it wrong. He smiled and stood up as well, patting Chen Feng's shoulder vigorously. Good. You said it. I believe you. Handing over the script of one man's life to Chen Feng, Gu Xingyi also settled a matter of his heart as he looked at the time and continued. It's almost noon, let's go have lunch together. I'll have to rip you off this time, right? Dog big house. Eat. Feel free to eat. However, before we eat, you have to sign this first. Chen Feng laughed out loud, and while talking to Gu Xingyi cheerfully, he took out a document from his desk drawer and handed it to Gu Xingyi. Gu Xingyi didn't know what he was up to, so she took the document and glanced at it with some confusion. What caught his eye on the document was the large line of title on it. Equity Transfer Agreement. Gu Xingyi instantly frowned as he looked up at Chen Feng with a displeased face. Crazy man, what do you mean by this? Chen Feng, however, was full of sincerity as he looked at Gu Xingyi in front of him and said solemnly, Old Gu, don't get me wrong. Didn't I say so back then? If you come and work with me, I'll share half of my company's shares with you. Now that this script was given by you, and my hope of insisting on producing anime was also given by you, this share, naturally, should be given to you in half. Don't you dare bullshit with me here. Crazy man, the reason I gave you the script is because I don't want to see my brother bullied and still without his dream. If you don't want it, give it back to me and I'll just take it away. Gu Xingyi rolled his eyes and directly threw the share agreement in his hand to Chen Feng. For Chen Feng's good intentions, he was informed but could not accept it. I don't care. You have to sign even if you sign today. If you don't sign it, you have to sign it as well. Or else I won't leave. Look at the name of the company on it. You don't want it, just take it as my gift to Nai Nai. Nai Nai is so big, I as an uncle haven't given a gift yet. Looking at Chen Feng who sat on his butt on the ground tugging at his own pants leg and crying like a ghost, Gu Xingyi's mouth couldn't help but twitch up, his eyebrows even more unconsciously trembled. I've seen people crying and begging for money. I've never seen people crying and begging for money. And this cub seed. When did he learn this trick? Even if Nai Nai had come, when she saw this trick, she would have to surrender to it. Looking at Chen Feng sitting on the ground like a child, tugging at his own pants leg, Gu Xingyi rubbed his temples. He did not expect Chen Feng to give him this trick. Sitting on the ground, Chen Feng squinted and sneaked a glance at Gu Xingyi, and when he saw him like this, he snickered again. When Gu Xingyi's line of sight looked over, he quickly turned his face away again, putting on a look of an aggrieved little daughter-in-law. Gu Xingyi thought about it and said helplessly, "You old six, I'm really convinced. You get up first, anything can be said. If you sit on the ground again, I'll leave." Hearing Gu Xingyi's words, Chen Feng looked up at him and realized that he didn't look like he was joking. He quickly climbed up and licked his face and smiled as he shoved all the agreements into Gu Xingyi's hands. "Old Gu, don't be anxious, look again, what I said is true, think about it, the script is yours, the later publicity still needs you, you don't think about yourself, you also have to think about me. Not like this, how do you let me think in my heart?" With those words, Chen Feng picked up another pen from the table and handed it to Gu Xingyi, looking at him blearily. Gu Xingyi looked at Chen Feng's sincere eyes, and also understood that he had to do something, letting him accept this share like this. He couldn't do it, but he could think of a more twofold solution. After thinking about it, he picked up the equity transfer agreement and looked at it. There was Chen Feng's signature and the company's seal on it, 50% of the equity, and what made him care more was the name of the company. Star Yao Animation? Gu Xingyi glanced at Chen Feng, seeing the name he knew, so this guy had thought of this long ago. Probably waiting for himself here. Crazy man, I can sign the name. But there's one thing, I also need to inject capital, doesn't your money happen to be rather tight? Since that's the case, I'll also contribute $5 million. Well, since I'm doing it, I'll do it to the best of my ability. As Gu Xingyi spoke, he scratched his head again, and without waiting for Chen Feng to answer, he continued. But, I don't have that much money right now, I'll have to wait for a while, at most next month, so I'll tighten up that money of yours in the early stages first. Since he could not shirk, Gu Xingyi decided to enter the shares. He is now not so much money, but his wife will have money next month, and so on the sales of the album out, that money is not beautiful. Chen Feng on the side of the words, and finally did not say anything. Gu Xingyi can sign on the good, he does not ask for anything else. After signing the word, Chen Feng will save the agreement to the file bag, after as long as he found a time to go to the business change information on the good, this thing is done. Chen Feng, this is a smile, hooked Gu Xingyi's shoulders, to the office outside. He. Old Gu, walking, must treat you to a big meal today, and by the way, it's just right to introduce a few of the company's backbones for you to get to know. This time, let's consider it as a get-together before the official opening of the company's project. Gu Xingyi nodded, he was now considered a member of the company, and it was good to get acquainted with the people in the company. It was just that he seemed to be getting farther and farther away from the full-time baby daddy life he had dreamed of. Gu Xingyi sighed in his heart, thought of being a salted fish, did not expect the salted fish eventually did not become. It is true that there is a saying, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Pushing the door out from Chen Feng's office, the staff outside was still busy. Chen Feng stood in the aisle, holding the script he had just gotten in his hands, clapping his palms vigorously to draw everyone's attention over. Only then did everyone put down their hands and look over, and from a few other offices, 5 people also stepped out to look over here. Upon seeing Gu Xingyi's proper face, many of them were obviously stunned, followed by their eyes lighting up all of a sudden. Seeing everyone arrive, Chen Feng put a smile on his face and said loudly, "Everyone put down their hands first, I'll introduce a colleague to you first." Many people were curious before why my company name is called Star Yao Animation. Now you should understand, this one next to me is none other than the lyricist who's doing fire on the internet right now, Gu Xingyi. He is also the biggest shareholder of our company just like me. And to tell you all one more piece of good news, our anime script. There it is. The script I'm holding is the anime we'll be producing, and from today onwards, everyone will have to work harder. Let me say this in advance. Thank you all for your hard work. Today's lunch is my treat, let's eat. Chen Feng's words just finished, the surrounding employees also broke out in cheers. They just joined this company not long ago. They were still worried about the company's future. After all, these days there is no actual work. Chen Feng's salary opening and let them satisfied. They were really worried that this company would go out of business, but they didn't expect that they would finally wait for their first script, and it was obvious that the one who brought the script wasn't someone else, but Gu Xingyi, who was the hottest topic on the internet right now. All of a sudden, they all felt that the future of this company was bright. Chen Feng arranged for the staff to book the restaurant, then pulled Gu Xingyi to the 5 people who came out from the office. These 5 people, 3 men and 2 women, 4 of them looked young, just in their 20s, only one was about in his early 30s. And these 2 girls, also dressed in a secondary dress, sweet and cute looking, or a pair of twins. Gu Xingyi unobtrusively glanced at Chen Feng, this kid, he's not going to mess up again, right? The truth is that before Wan Qing was this kind of secondary dress, brought Gu Xingyi a kind of preconceived bad feeling. At this time, Chen Feng also began to introduce. He first pulled Gu Xingyi and said to several people, "This is Gu Xingyi, my iron brother." Then he introduced the few people to Gu Xingyi in turn. These two little beauties are Chu Xiyin, Chu Ximeng, two sisters, one is the drawing supervisor and the other is the art supervisor. They are both responsible for the style, character, and background design of the manga. These two are Tao Jing and Duan Heping, but I managed to get them from a university town. They are in charge of photography and music. And this one, brother Hongwei, Fu Hongwei, an old friend of mine, in charge of performances, responsible for drawing the scoresheet with extremely simple lines, as well as giving instructions on the characters, animals, and scenes. After Chen Feng's introduction, Gu Xingyi smiled and shook hands with a few people respectively. Chu Xiyin and Chu Ximeng's eyes were even more glowing as they grabbed the lead and said, Gu Xingyi, although we're from the anime industry, we're all fans of Xia Shuriao. We've been listening to every song of hers. That's right. It was when we saw the name of this company before that we were abducted in. Tao Jing and Duan Heping also smiled somewhat coyly. They were Gu Xingyi's fans, and when they were fooled by Chen Feng, they also joined this company. But of course, it was also because Chen Feng treated people with sincerity, and they were satisfied with the salary given to them. A group of people talked and laughed and walked outside, all young people. A few people quickly familiarized themselves. The two little beauties even surrounded Gu Xingyi and asked him questions, mainly about Xia Shuriao. Gu Xingyi was also somewhat unexpected. Originally came out to deliver a script properly, he became a shareholder, and now a proper meal has turned into a fan meeting. He glanced at Chen Feng, who was laughing like a fool next to him, and had the urge to send him to the morning market. This cub seed, it turns out that he was going around taking people under his own name. This is outrageous. This was the first time the entire Staryo Animation Company had gotten together for dinner since its inception, and Chen Feng was visibly happy as hell that this was the closest he'd ever gotten to his animation dreams. At the table, the atmosphere had been great. It was only under the curious urging of the crowd that Chen Feng took out the script, and several people curiously gathered around to look at it. On the front page was the large name of one man's life. At the time of seeing the name, everyone had some guesses in their hearts. National Comics, under one person, it must be a hot-blooded tomato. National Comics, we all know, not good to do. A little worse script, Poison Point is too much, and his hot-blooded tomatoes, even worse to do, strict audit, and cannot be too bloody, but also to attract the audience's attention, the limitations of the big. Their company came up to do this kind of, the crowd heart is a little not optimistic. Chen Feng at this time turned over the first page, let them continue to read on. The table, a few people did not say anything, whether they look good or not, but since they joined the company, then they will certainly all work hard to complete the production. On the first page, and the opening, a drunken man mumbled something to himself while walking through the gloomy woods. He unknowingly walked to a graveyard and wanted to rest his feet at the grave. Suddenly a sound of shovels digging a hole caught the drunkard's attention. He was creeped out and shouted that there was a ghost. Gu Xingyi describes it well, and when several people see this, they can't help but continue to read on. And what's especially interesting is that the characters' conversations in this are all flavored with a strong dialect, which gives people a very fresh feeling. Immediately after that, the slightly amusing protagonist Zhang Chulan appeared, the mysterious girl Feng Bauer appeared, and the world that the protagonist encountered began to become different. First, his grandfather's body was stolen, and then he was besieged by zombies. As Chen Feng flipped the script, story after story, making the eyes of the few onlookers grow brighter and brighter, and their moods grow more and more excited. This script, the writing is too good, but also too comprehensive. They just so slightly looked at, the mind cannot help but appear the specific image of the characters as well as the background atmosphere. Dumb and cute, speaking a mouthful of Chuan Yu dialect Bauer sister. The seemingly lazy, easygoing and spiteful, but actually thoughtful Zhang Chulan. And this gradually unveiled the mystery of the alien world. The more the crowd watched, the more obsessed, but also the more they watched, the more shocked. This anime, once made, will undoubtedly subvert the traditional system of the current National Comics. We must know that the current National Comics is still stuck in the past old-fashioned setting system. And this alien world, the power system inside is completely a new type of battle setting. Gu Xingyi was still gulping down the food. He hadn't even managed to take a few bites of his meal before just chatting. He was still very confident in one man's world. At this time, the phone he had placed on the dining table suddenly rang. Gu Xingyi looked up at the few people who were still engrossed in looking at the script, picked up the phone and headed out of the private room. The phone call was from Lin Guodong. They had left each other's phone numbers when they were at Hua Yin. They just didn't know, this time, what Elder Lin was looking for him for. Arriving outside the door, Gu Xingyi picked up the phone and was the first to greet. Elder Lin, good noon. Ha ha ha. Good noon, Xiaogu. You've been causing quite a ruckus lately, haven't you? I can hear about you every day even in Hua Yin. Gu Xingyi said it's just a sprinkle. No, I'm just kidding. I'm at home with my baby, and I only sang a song when I went out. Gu Xingyi told the truth. He did go out and sing a song. The rest of the time he was at home with the baby. You kid. Is that just a song? Well, not to tease with you, it's like this. As you know, Huayin is a department under Huayang, and now the TV station is going to come out with a program, an inspirational program, with the theme of encouraging contemporary young people not to give up, and to insist on bravely moving forward in pursuit of their dreams. On the phone, Lin said this and paused. Gu Xingyi heard Elder Lin's strings, so he answered quickly. Elder Lin, is this program still missing a song? Hopefully, you're looking for me to ask for a song? Ha ha ha, you kid is just smart. Yes, the songs created by those lyricists in the department were not too satisfactory to the TV station, so didn't I think of you? Lin gave a bright laugh and talked to Gu Xingyi about the cause of the matter. Originally wanted to find you directly, but you were busy before and ran to be the guest of honor. I can't delay you for your wife's appearance is not, and now the TV station side is urging the tight. I had to come to ask you, how is it? How about the theme song of such a program? Are you sure about it? Listening to Elder Lin's words, Gu Xingyi's mind was rapidly pondering. Inspirational, brave, perseverance, pursuing dreams without giving up. As soon as these keywords came out, Gu Xingyi felt as if he had heard them somewhere before, and in the next moment, a song that he could even hum on the spot appeared in his mind. Crap! Wasn't this the song Chasing Dreams Red Heart that he had listened to every day when he was in school in his original world? Isn't the meaning of chasing dreams with a red heart to strive hard, go forward, and follow your dreams? The original World Don't Too Hot song. Gallo won all kinds of awards with this song, and this song once became an inspirational God song that was passed down by young people by word of mouth. Master Lin, I have some inspiration, it should be fine. That's great, it's worthy of you. Xiao Gu, how about this, are you free tomorrow? Come to Kyoto, I'll be waiting for you at the Kyoto Huayan TV station. You come over then, I'll take you there, and if the song is suitable,